concocted the air pump and successfully installed it in the bathroom. Just as he was about to test it, he suddenly froze. No electricity. He had been thinking about quickly crafting a television, but without electricity, the television would be as useless as the air pump, just an iron box. This was truly a significant dilemma. Although one must resolve problems upon identifying them, Yichuan genuinely had no idea how to tackle this one. He could either produce a large generator or harness hydropower, but both methods currently relied on the system for support. System, when can I unlock the generator? Yichuan pondered aloud. However, it seemed the system had once again entered a state of malfunction, showing no response. Perhaps the timing was not yet right? Not wanting to dwell on this matter any further, Yichuan sent a private message to Zhao Feiyu, Blueberry Jam, and Lu Yi. Recently, there have been highly aggressive fish species in the sea. It's best not to go into the water, or you might risk your life. Blueberry Jam promptly replied, Okay, thanks for the reminder. I saw the messages in the chat room. There was a supply box not far away, but I didn't dare to dive in to retrieve it. Just stay safe. Yichuan responded again, You too, be careful. After about half an hour, Zhao Feiyu finally replied, I've already gone into the water and killed an electric eel. Tonight, we can have boiled electric eel. Impressive. Yichuan was taken aback and immediately replied, By the way, I've unlocked another manufacturing blueprint. See if it's useful. Zhao Feiyu then placed a manufacturing blueprint in the trading section. Chapter 36. Li Bo takes action. Yichuan's crisis. Gas stove manufacturing blueprint? Yichuan was startled. Currently, he was cooking outside using a barbecue grill and a large pot. This gas stove would be perfect for the kitchen. After all, when the studio apartment was created, it came with a cabinet, so he could simply install the gas stove on the cabinet. Without hesitation, Yichuan accepted the gas stove manufacturing blueprint and gave Zhao Feiyu a portion of the narwhal meat. Zhao Feiyu immediately reacted with a shocked expression. You killed this narwhal? Indeed, it was pure luck. Yichuan replied without delay. All right. After Zhao Feiyu replied with those two words, he fell silent. Yichuan paid little attention. Yet at that moment, Zhao Feiyu was engulfed in turmoil, unable to fathom how anyone could kill a whale with their bare hands. Moreover, he had previously slain a killer whale, making it 2 whales he had hunted overall. As a special forces soldier, Zhao Feiyu was acutely aware of the challenges involved in battling the ocean's behemoths. Even with modern weaponry, one might not secure a kill. Yet this individual had somehow succeeded. Who exactly was he? A world-class warrior, perhaps? Unbeknownst to Zhao Feiyu, Yichuan had just constructed a gas stove, which, with the system's assistance, was promptly installed in an appropriate location within the kitchen. However, one issue left Yichuan feeling perplexed. There was no natural gas. Without gas or electricity, what use were these modern tools if they could only be admired from a distance? It seemed his efforts were in vain, and he would have to wait until he acquired electricity and gas to utilize them. Ultimately, Yichuan shook his head with a wry smile, deciding not to dwell on the matter. As evening approached, Yichuan cooked 3 grouper fish, trading one each with Blueberry Jam and Lu Yi. Lu Yi had initially been reluctant to accept, but given her recent recovery, she did not refuse. Meanwhile, Blueberry Jam was exuberantly enthusiastic. Brother, your life is truly splendid. You get to enjoy various types of fish, and they are all quite expensive. I'm somewhat tired of seafood. I find myself longing for braised pork. Yichuan replied, Seafood is best enjoyed in moderation. Yes, you're so incredible. Braised pork will surely be in our future. Blueberry Jam eagerly responded. Once the 6-month novice period is over, I promise to buy you the most delicious braised pork in the world. I look forward to it. After Yichuan replied with those 4 words, he went to have dinner. Not long after finishing his meal, as dusk descended, the dolphin suddenly emitted a faint alarm, prompting even the little creature to trill cautiously. Yichuan narrowed his eyes and stealthily exited the house, following the dolphin's gaze to a small boat in the distance. The boat was anchored on the sea, seemingly focused on his island. This reminded Yichuan of the small boat that had attempted to ambush Lu Yi's island a week prior. Had Lu Yi not been vigilant, they might have met a tragic fate. Was this boat owned by the same person as the one that attacked Lu Yi? It remained motionless on the water, perhaps waiting for the cover of night to approach him. Yichuan scoffed. Good, let me see just how strong you truly are. On the boat, Li Bo was secretly observing the island through a monocular, feeling somewhat astonished. This person actually has reinforced concrete houses, and he's amassed numerous supply crates, along with some items I don't even recognize. He must be quite wealthy. He remarked, Do you think the fish and other items displayed on the trade panel were caught by him? The woman asked softly. Perhaps, Li Bo replied. Li Bo spoke lightly, however. These treasures shall soon be ours, in just 3 hours. He was certain that there were weapons involved. Did you truly intend to approach the island? The woman asked cautiously. In the past few days, we have plundered 2 islands already. Do you think this island can escape the same fate? Li Bo shot her a fierce glare. Let us rest for now, and when night falls, we shall feast upon the island's riches. As time passed, the full moon ascended high into the sky, draping the sea in a delicate veil of light. The woman rowed the small boat while Li Bo held a dagger, silently steering towards the island. However, despite the short distance of merely 1 nautical mile, it took the woman an entire hour to make little progress, as if the island remained stubbornly distant. Li Bo furrowed his brow and glared at her. Do you possess any strength at all? I'm nearly exhausted. The woman replied, her tone filled with grievance. I feel as though we are encountering an insurmountable barrier. It shouldn't take this long to approach. Let me. Li Bo snatched the oar from her, vigorously rowing towards the island. Yet despite his efforts, they found themselves no closer after another hour. With despair creeping in, he pondered the absurdity of the situation. As an atheist, he did not believe in supernatural phenomena, yet the current circumstances filled him with dread. Had they truly expended half their strength before even engaging in battle? Brother, I feel as though the island is closer to us now, the woman suddenly whispered. Li Bo paused and looked towards the island. Indeed, the distance had diminished by at least half. What was happening? Was the island moving? The woman speculated aloud. Nonsense, Li Bo retorted, slapping her in frustration. How could an island possibly move? Just as he uttered those words, the island loomed before their small boat. Yi Chuan stood at the shore, a mocking expression on his face as he regarded the pair. You two have been watching me all day. Are you planning to invade my island under the cover of night? What are your intentions? Li Bo's heart raced as he stared at Yi Chuan in disbelief. Is it true that your island can move? If it couldn't, do you really think you could have pursued me for 2 hours without catching up? Yi Chuan countered. Infuriated, Li Bo narrowed his eyes, calculating the distance between himself and Yi Chuan. They were merely 3 meters apart. If he launched a sudden attack, he had a 70% chance of delivering a fatal blow, thus claiming the island for himself. However, the fact that Yi Chuan's island could move made Li Bo suspect that there were additional tricks up his sleeve, leaving him hesitant to make any sudden moves. Meanwhile, the woman, with a glimmer of cunning in her eyes, looked at Yi Chuan with a pitiful expression. Brother, this man has kidnapped me and shattered my tablet. Could you possibly save me? You're the one who previously intended to trade the tablet with me, aren't you? Yi Chuan remarked, recognizing Li Bo. Yi Chuan lightly tapped his forehead and couldn't help but mockingly inquire. Chapter 37. You can actually choose your own clothes? Is it you? Upon hearing this, Li Bo's eyes widened in astonishment. He had never anticipated that his initial attempt to seek a transaction would be met with refusal. He had contemplated teaching the other party a lesson upon their eventual encounter. Yet fate had presented him with this unexpected moment so swiftly. How fortuitous. With a chuckle, Yi Chuan remarked, Brother. The woman gazed at Yi Chuan with a look of deep sorrow, evoking a sense of pity. Suddenly, as Yi Chuan's gaze shifted towards the woman, Li Bo sprang into action, moving with astonishing speed that even Yi Chuan could barely perceive. Instinctively, he retaliated with a punch. Boom. The strike was as heavy as 1,000 pounds, sending Li Bo flying several meters away. He lay on the ground, momentarily stunned, yet bursting into laughter as he proclaimed, Kid, you're finished. Oh. Yi Chuan was taken aback, slowly lowering his head to discover a grievous wound on his chest, deep enough to expose bone, from which blood flowed rapidly. However, Yi Chuan paid little heed to the injury and instead advanced towards Li Bo with deliberate steps. Li Bo struggled to rise, his smile unwavering. The wound measured at least 1 centimeter deep, nearly reaching the bone. Even the loss of blood could render him unconscious. All he needed to do was buy time. Yet, in the next moment, the grin on Li Bo's face faltered. He could hardly believe that the man's wound was gradually healing, the bleeding ceasing within mere seconds. How could this be possible? You are. Li Bo swallowed hard, instinctively retreating a few steps. First, the island moved, and now this man could heal from severe injuries, coupled with the night's darkness. Could it truly be, as that woman claimed, that this man was a ghost? With this thought, Li Bo's resolve wavered, and he hastily dashed towards the small boat, frantically paddling. But with a thunderous crash, a dolphin collided violently with the vessel, and the boat was tragically split in two, leaving Li Bo's expression shifting from shock to despair as he scrambled back to shore. Having set foot on my island, do you believe you can escape? Yi Chuan taunted. Brother, I still possess numerous stones, planks, and other resources. I have 5 bottles of mineral water. Please don't kill me. I can be your subordinate island. Li Bo shouted desperately. And what of your island? Yi Chuan inquired playfully. I deemed the island useless and moved everything onto the boat. Li Bo quickly replied. asserting that gathering resources at sea was far more efficient than on the island. Give me a chance, and I promise I won't disappoint you. Yi Chuan shook his head, drawing a longbow and pulling it taut, aiming it at Li Bo. Li Bo's pupils constricted, and he shouted urgently, "Brother, as long as you spare my life, I will do whatever you ask." At that moment, Yi Chuan released the arrow, which struck Li Bo's body, causing the woman to scream in terror as a stream of liquid trickled down Li Bo's thigh. He cried out pitifully, "Please don't kill me. I am but a captive. I shall not take your life. You may leave," Yi Chuan said nonchalantly. "Allow me to remain and serve you. I am capable of anything." The woman implored pitifully, "If you cast me into the sea, I shall perish. You are presented with two choices, either face death or depart. On my island, I desire no second presence aside from my own." Yi Chuan replied coldly, "But begone." The woman bit her lip, about to speak, but was startled into silence by Yi Chuan's furious roar. In fear, she turned and leaped into the sea. Yi Chuan approached and unceremoniously tossed Li Bo's lifeless body into the water, subsequently directing the turtle towards a specific destination. He felt no obligation to care for the corpse. The creatures of the ocean would naturally assist in its disposal. As for the woman, he chose to disregard her. Those who elicit pity often harbor contemptible traits. Besides, he had no need for an additional mouth to feed on his island. After signaling for Brother Dolphin to remain vigilant, Yi Chuan turned and returned to his slumber. Awakening at the break of dawn, he stretched languidly and declared, "Sign in. Sign in successful. Congratulations, host, you have obtained 500 evolution points, a clothing selection pack, and a feather fragment. Note: 3 feather fragments can be exchanged for an angel feather, which may lead to unexpected events." Note: the clothing selection pack allows you to choose one outfit from the current season, with 12 options available. What? Yi Chuan's expression shifted. His clothes had been torn the previous night, and the system had already bestowed a reward upon him. Truly, the system understands me. Without delay, Yi Chuan opened the clothing selection pack, revealing a panel before him, showcasing 12 exquisite outfits, all renowned brands that seamlessly blended comfort and aesthetics. He chose a white shirt paired with black trousers, complemented by a purple leather jacket for colder weather. Simply put, it was undeniably cool. However, prior to donning the new attire, Yi Chuan indulged in a hot shower, ensuring the fit was both snug and comfortable. Gazing into the bathroom mirror, he admired his handsome reflection. Regrettably, he lacked options for hairstyling, and his beard had grown a tad long. If only he could acquire a razor and clippers. That would be splendid. After enjoying breakfast, Yi Chuan opened his tablet. The public chat room buzzed with discussions regarding the rental interface. "This system is truly convenient. I just used 10 wooden planks to rent a fishing net for an hour and managed to haul in a supply crate not far from me. To my surprise, I found a bottle of water and 2 sausages. What luck! I rented a fishing gun and caught a massive 2-meter-long ribbon fish. I needn't worry about food for at least 3 days." While this rental system is indeed advantageous, the current income and expenses do not seem to be in a proportional relationship. I propose that before the novice period concludes, we form an alliance to share resources and support one another, ensuring everyone survives until after the beginner phase. What does everyone think? I find it rather unsatisfactory. While it may benefit the foolish, it poses a significant disadvantage to seasoned individuals with abundant resources. Why should they expend their resources to support you? Upon witnessing that individual's proposal, Yi Chuan was momentarily taken aback. What he suggested indeed constituted a viable approach, should it be implemented. Those who band together could potentially survive until the end. However, the feasibility of such a plan is quite low, as humanity is inherently selfish. Next, Yi Chuan tentatively listed the igniter on the rental interface. The igniter could be used once for 10 units of plastic. Although somewhat pricey, it is likely that those possessing igniting devices are exceedingly rare, perhaps 1 in 10 million. Even at 10 units of plastic, there would undoubtedly be buyers. Chapter 38, A Warning from the System. However, scarcely had Yi Chuan listed it for 10 seconds when the public chatroom erupted. My heavens! Someone is renting out the usage rights of an igniter for 10 units of plastic. I saw it too. Though 10 units of plastic is a bit steep, once used, we could finally have cooked food. Alas, I do not possess 10 units of plastic. Does anyone have plastic to lend me? I'll ignite a piece of wood for you, and then ignite another for myself. Let us collaborate in this endeavor. Who would trust you? What if you obtain the flame and refuse to share? We would be left in the lurch. I have always believed in honesty and diligence. I am not the sort to act otherwise. While the chatroom buzzed with conversation, Yi Chuan's igniter had already been rented out. A mere few seconds later, it returned to his inventory. Truly convenient. Yi Chuan nodded in approval and then continued browsing the rental interface, which offered a plethora of items. He even spotted a manual razor he had been contemplating. Rinsing it for half an hour required 200 milliliters of fresh water. Although it had been available for several hours, it had yet to be rinsed out. This suited Yi Chuan's preferences, as fewer users indicated greater cleanliness. Without hesitation, he rinsed the razor, boiled it in water for nearly 10 minutes, and then, once it had cooled, began shaving before the mirror. Observing his clean reflection, Yi Chuan exhaled a long, contented sigh, a refreshing feeling indeed. Afterward, he placed the razor beside the wash basin and turned to leave. There was no rush to return it, as the rental system's rules would naturally ensure it returned to its original owner after the designated time. At that moment, the dolphin and the turtle had managed to retrieve 2 supply boxes. After stacking them together, Yi Chuan began to stroll around the island with his hands clasped behind his back, while the little albatross waddled closely behind him, exuding an air of leadership. Alert, alert. In 48 hours, a magnitude 6.5 earthquake will occur underwater, likely triggering a tsunami. Please take precautions, host. Just then, the system abruptly delivered a message that caused Yi Chuan to shudder. An earthquake and tsunami. In this moment, Yi Chuan suddenly comprehended why fish, typically dwelling in the depths of the ocean, would ascend to the surface. They had evidently anticipated such a turn of events. Within the vast ocean, a magnitude 65 earthquake is relatively inconsequential, yet the ensuing tsunami poses a grave threat, particularly when individuals find themselves on desolate islands. Should colossal waves strike, the likelihood of survival diminishes significantly. How infuriating. This is a novice protection period. Logically, it should be impossible for such intense earthquakes and tsunamis to occur. What on earth is happening? Yi Chuan inquired solemnly. There was no response, leaving him uncertain whether the system itself was oblivious to the question or if other factors were at play. Yi Chuan then posed another question. What should I do? The system replied that Turtle Island, being formed from sea turtles, could naturally drift like a small vessel and withstand the tsunami's assault. This answer provided Yi Chuan with a modicum of solace. At the very least, he would not be severely affected by the impending tsunami. But what about the island owners? He subsequently directed another question at the system. However, once again, the system malfunctioned. After a moment's contemplation, Yi Chuan swiftly contacted Lu Shuai, Zhao Feiyu, and Lu Yi, sending each a private message. Open all the unopened supply boxes immediately, leave none behind. Following this, he also posted a message in the public chat room. 500 milliliters of fresh water. Purchasing rope crafting blueprints. The more the merrier. Within mere seconds, 5 or 6 individuals sent him private messages. Hello, boss. I have a blueprint for crafting climbing ropes. Yi Chuan wasted no time. He completed transactions for all rope-related blueprints, ultimately acquiring 8 blueprints and crafting 8 ropes, which he promptly sent to Lu Yi, Lu Shuai, Zhao Feiyu, and Blueberry Jam. Brother, what do you need the ropes for? Blueberry Jam replied immediately. Do you have any sizable protruding rocks or sturdy trees nearby? Yi Chuan asked directly. I have both. Blueberry Jam responded. What is up? Secure one rope to the tree and the other to the protruding rock. Hold them steady for now, and I will instruct you on the next steps later. Yi Chuan replied. Remember, tie them securely. Understood. Blueberry Jam replied without questioning further and promptly set about the task. Lu Yi and the others might have gone to gather supply boxes, as they had yet to respond or accept the items. During this interval, Yi Chuan opened all his supply boxes. 3 wooden planks, 1 stone, 1 instant noodle, 2 wooden planks, 1 cloth, and 3 metal sheets. Once he had finished opening them all, he let out a faint sigh. Regarding this matter, I have done all that I could. As for what the future holds, we can only leave it to fate. Beyond the islands, a coalition of nations has detected the impending earthquake, and the expressions of the oceanic authorities from various countries are grim. In Jiuzhou, a middle-aged man with a square face and prominent brows solemnly inquired, have we ascertained the cause of the earthquake? It seems to be connected to that octopus off the coast. A tall woman beside him replied in a hushed tone. The coalition fleet, comprised of leaders from multiple nations, is currently launching an assault on it, as its tentacles have reached the seabed of the novice zone. Infuriating. The man's countenance darkened, and he ground his teeth, saying, I had warned them not to provoke that creature, yet they refused to heed my advice. And now, look at the situation. Is there any way to inform our nation's novice zone's millions of islanders? Once 30 million islanders entered, the novice zone was effectively sealed. Until the 6-month novice period elapses, no one can gain access. The woman shook her head in resignation. For them, it is an absolute calamity. Whether they survive this disaster is left to fate and their own efforts. I hope this serves as a lesson to those individuals to refrain from escalating matters unnecessarily. Otherwise, the only ones they will regret are themselves. The middle-aged man snorted coldly before slightly waving his hand. Fei Yu, you must hold on. Chapter 39. The earthquake beneath the sea. The tsunami approaches. Before long, Zhao Fei Yu and Lu Yi responded to the messages. Yichuan reiterated the instructions he had conveyed to Blueberry Jam to the three of them once more. Aside from Zhao Fei Yu's island, which lacked large trees and protruding rocks, the other two had followed Yichuan's directives to secure the ropes. As for Zhao Fei Yu, Yichuan handed him a power drill from the multifunctional toolbox, allowing him to bore a hole into a massive rock and secure both ropes there. Anticipating the likelihood of a tsunami, Yichuan refrained from further embellishing the island. Whenever the dolphin duo retrieved a supply crate, Yichuan would promptly open it, and to his delight, he discovered 2 pieces of raw sweet potato. Initially intending to consume them immediately, he reconsidered and thought, why not plant them? In time, he could harvest far more than just 2 sweet potatoes. Nevertheless, Yichuan decided to delay any actions until after the tsunami had passed. Meanwhile, in the public chat room, many skilled individuals engaged in discussions and were nearing the conclusion. I wonder what is happening these past few days. Why are so many fish from the seabed surfacing? I even spotted a water droplet fish just now. I'm not quite sure either. All the fish from the seabed seem to be swimming to the surface these days. It's perplexing. It feels akin to how some terrestrial animals exhibit early warning signs before earthquakes or flash floods. Perhaps an earthquake is imminent beneath the sea, but we must prepare not for the earthquake itself, but for the tsunami. A tsunami? Should a tsunami truly occur, would we not be doomed without a doubt? By the way, today someone has been acquiring blueprints for rope manufacturing. Could it be that he has anticipated this event and is preparing for the impending tsunami? Everyone should exercise caution. If a tsunami does materialize, it seems that nearly all island owners would have engaged in discussions, contemplating strategies for survival amidst the colossal waves, ultimately concluding that survival would be a mere 1 in 10. In an instant, the public chat room, usually bustling with activity around the clock, fell eerily silent. My friend, did you foresee the impending tsunami, prompting all island owners to procure what might be the only existing blueprint for rope manufacturing in the oceanic realm? At that moment, Zhao Feiyu sent a private message, inquiring how I knew a tsunami might occur. As conjectured by others, I simply arrived at my conclusions much earlier than they did. I replied, if my calculations are correct, in approximately 40 hours, an earthquake will erupt beneath the sea, triggering a tsunami. Be vigilant when the time comes. Tether yourself to a boulder with a rope, for if you are swept into the ocean, your chances of survival will be nearly non-existent. Thank you. The other party took several minutes to respond. Soon, Lu Yi and Lu Shuai also sent private messages. After I briefed them, I finally felt a sense of relief. I am no saint, nor do I concern myself with the lives of others, but for my friends, I will do everything in my power to protect them. As time ticked away, 40 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. I sent messages to the 4 of them, reminding them to safeguard themselves. Just as dawn broke, the surface of the sea began to tremble slightly. The earthquake had commenced. Initially, aside from the violent quaking of the ocean, there was little else to discern. However, mere minutes later, towering waves, over 10 meters high, surged forth, transforming the entire ocean into a realm of tumultuous waters. Though sea turtles may appear cumbersome in their daily demeanor, it is only in such moments of immense waves that their steadiness is truly felt. Even when confronted by the oncoming tide, they glide gracefully atop the waves, and the solitary apartment at the center of the island remained largely unscathed by the splashing water. Indeed, as the system had predicted, Turtle Island resembled a small boat, adrift with the currents. It appeared that the earthquake was merely of level 65, and the tsunami had not escalated significantly, remaining at the cusp of formation. Witnessing this scene, I finally felt a sense of ease. After all, if the waves had been truly monstrous and relentless, even a level 4 turtle might have found it challenging to endure. Although reinforced concrete structures would remain unharmed, the flora would surely be ravaged. Now, even as the waves continue to surge, I can confidently affirm, we are safe. At this moment, Lu Yi firmly secured herself with ropes, one end tied to a massive boulder and the other to a sturdy tree. As she gazed at the rapidly approaching waves in the distance, she took a deep breath and closed her eyes, bracing herself as the colossal wave engulfed her. It seemed as though the entire island was being devoured by the sea, and the recently opened supply crates were swiftly swept away into the depths. Lu Yi was on the brink of being pulled into the ocean, yet thanks to the dual protection of the ropes, she endured the torment of the waves for several seconds. Fortunately, the ropes were robust enough to withstand the force, preventing her from being swept away. This brought her a modicum of solace. At that moment, Her only thought was to survive the deluge. Everything else was inconsequential. The relentless waves surged for nearly 10 minutes before the sea finally calmed. After a further 10 minutes, when she was certain the tumult had subsided, Lu Yi collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath, and couldn't help but chuckle bitterly, shaking her head. You saved my life once more. It seems I truly cannot escape your grasp. Among those astonished, Lu Shuai was perhaps the most taken aback. Initially, he was discontented with Yi Chuan for seizing the island, requiring him to relinquish 30% of all resources. Yet, it was precisely because of Yi Chuan's 2 ropes that he found himself spared from disaster. He now pondered the nature of this individual, questioning how he could so astutely predict the tsunami's approach and prepare accordingly. Was it merely common sense? Estimating the tsunami had genuinely passed, Lu Shuai let out a slight sigh of relief and approached the super tablet, addressing the public chat room. Damn it. I feel as though I've been granted a second chance at life. I could almost cry. You have no idea that in the face of the impending monstrous waves, I ingeniously tied myself to a tree using the only fishing net I had, which saved me from calamity. I wonder how many island masters perished in this catastrophe. Those without any preparedness must have been swept into the sea. Even if they did not succumb immediately, they would likely perish from exhaustion. Chapter 40. Another island? Although everyone was fervently engaged in conversation, Yi Chuan could clearly discern that at least 1/3 of the participants were absent. Coupled with the recent torrential rain, it was likely that out of the 30 million island masters, barely over 15 million remained alive, if not fewer. Suddenly, a private message popped up from Lu Shuai. Brother, if it weren't for your foresight, I might have perished in this tsunami. I am now wholeheartedly committed to following you. Not feeling emotional anymore. Yi Chuan replied with a roll of his eyes, then inquired further. What is there to be emotional about? Without you, I would have been a goner. Lu Shuai immediately responded with a laughing emoji. I have always said that following me will bring you surprises. Yi Chuan replied, do you still have food? Shall I send you some flounder? Absolutely, absolutely. The supply crates have been opened, and I've stored everything necessary. Lu Shuai promptly replied. Shortly thereafter, Zhao Feiyu privately messaged, Brother, I owe you a favor. No need for formality. We help each other. Yi Chuan promptly replied. Even without Yi Chuan's prior warning, Zhao Feiyu, drawing upon his years of extreme survival experience, would have managed to survive such a minor tsunami, albeit at a considerable cost. With Yi Chuan's assistance, Zhao Feiyu effortlessly evaded this calamity. As a person who values gratitude and reciprocity, he vowed to repay this favor handsomely in the future. Congratulations. The host has survived the tsunami. You are awarded a survival gift pack. Would you like to open it? Just after finishing his conversation with Zhao Feiyu, Yi Chuan was about to step outside when the system's voice suddenly echoed in his mind. A survival gift pack? Yi Chuan's expression shifted, considering it an unexpected delight. Open it, he declared without hesitation. Opening, please wait. Congratulations, the host has received Island Maintenance 1, Haircut Package 1, KFC Meal 1, Nutritional Liquid X5. Double boost for 24 hours. Yi Chuan was genuinely astonished. He anticipated that the system's gift pack would be commendable, but he never expected it to be this extraordinary. The inclusion of a haircut package piqued his interest, prompting him to exclaim, use the haircut package. Haircut package in use, please wait. The system promptly responded. Soon, Yi Chuan felt a clattering sensation on his head, as if a hair clipper was trimming his hair. He dashed to the bathroom, only to discover that his hair had already been neatly styled into a trendy short cut, leaving him looking quite spirited. Goodness, this situation seems to defy all logic. Yi Chuan scratched his head but quickly came to terms with it. After all, the very existence of the system was inherently illogical. So why should he concern himself with such trivialities? Utilize island maintenance. Yi Chuan touched his head and then spoke, simultaneously activating the double boost. Island maintenance in progress. The sea turtles will remain inactive for the next 24 hours. The system's voice announced immediately. Yi Chuan hurried out of the room, yet found nothing unusual, which left him somewhat perplexed regarding the mechanics of the island maintenance. Choosing to let go of his confusion, he took out the KFC meal and began to eat, only to be pleasantly surprised to find a 1-liter bottle of sweet soda included. Without delay, Yi Chuan retrieved several empty water bottles, filled them with 100 milliliters each, and traded them with Lu Yi, Zhao Feiyu, and 2 others, while he gulped down the remaining 600 milliliters in one go, savoring the sheer delight. It's soda. I haven't had soda in over half a month. I was beginning to forget its taste. Blueberry Jam sent a flurry of crying emojis, but Yi Chuan didn't respond. He had already heard the warnings from the dolphin and the albatross and swiftly headed in the direction of the dolphin. Just 100 meters away, he was astonished to spot a small island. It is likely that the sea turtle was swept away by the tsunami and found itself in this place. However, as I gaze across the vast ocean surface, there stands but a solitary island. Preliminary observations suggest this island spans approximately 2 square kilometers and features a wooden house strikingly similar to my own, seemingly adorned with some form of vegetation. Astonishing. Leaf Chuan couldn't help but exclaim in wonder. After all, I have reached this point solely through the aid of a system. While this individual has achieved such a feat through sheer determination, residing in a wooden house and cultivating crops, this person is not only extraordinarily fortunate, but also possesses remarkably adept survival skills. Otherwise, reaching such a stage would be inconceivable. However, the sea turtle is currently in a state akin to hibernation, unable to move for 24 hours, and must wait until the morning to explore further. Naturally, Leaf Chuan harbors no concerns about the individual encroaching upon his island, for he is protected by dolphins who keep vigilant watch. Even if he were to sleep soundly, the dolphins alone would suffice to handle any intruder, regardless of the adversary's formidable wilderness survival skills. To Leaf Chuan, it is merely a matter of 4 words, not a cause for concern. After circling the island and finding no other anomalies, Leaf Chuan inspected the plants he had cultivated. He found a spot to plant the 2 sweet potatoes and, after distributing 5 bottles of nutrient solution across the various plants, returned to his room to check the public chat room. Dear friends, do you have any food? I've been restless these past few days due to the tsunami. I haven't eaten for 2 days. Can anyone spare me a bit of sustenance? Don't mention it. When the first massive wave struck, all my food and water were swept away. After 15 arduous days, it felt like I was back to square one. I'm suffering. A few supply boxes had gone unopened, and this tide had returned everything to the sea. I felt as if I were on the brink of death. I previously suggested that we temporarily form an alliance, sharing resources within our small organizations to ensure our survival, yet you chose not to believe me. And now look where we are. What can be done? It has already come to this. You could become my subordinate island. I have not only an abundance of food, but also water, sufficient to sustain you until you can find your own resources. Really? How can I become your subordinate island? I'm willing. Now, anyone wishing to become my subordinate island lord, please temporarily trade me your super tablet. I will bind it and return it to you immediately. Leaf Chuan furrowed his brow, glancing at the individual SID, Wang Sanrui. Is this person genuinely in possession of food and water, or merely attempting to deceive others into becoming his subordinate island lords? After all, these island lords likely lack knowledge of the rules that govern being a subordinate island lord. Such information was not covered in the marine survival courses previously studied. Lost in thought, another private message popped up. Hey, do you have weapon crafting blueprints or weapons? I possess something that will certainly pique your interest for a trade. Chapter 41, Trading a Pet Egg, Acquiring an Ancient Tea Tree. Coldblade. Upon seeing the ID of the other party, Yichuan was momentarily taken aback. It seemed that just a few days prior, this individual had embarked on an extravagant acquisition spree for planks, nails, and even went so far as to trade fruits. Now, he wished to engage in a weapon transaction with Yichuan? Amused, Yichuan replied, I must admit, I am rather curious. What could you possibly offer that would pique my interest? In response to his inquiry, Cold Edge promptly placed a pet egg in the trading window, declaring, I possess a pet egg, of which there are only 3 in the novice area of the ocean world. Astonished, Yichuan could hardly believe it. This person had managed to acquire a pet egg as well? Did he also possess a system? However, Yichuan quickly dismissed the notion. If this individual had a system, there would be no need to trade weapons. The pet egg would surely have already hatched, suggesting mere luck was at play. Contemplating this, Yichuan surveyed his inventory and ultimately decided to place the short dagger previously owned by Li Bo into the trading window. I apologize, but this is the only dagger I currently have. If you agree, we can proceed with the trade. Otherwise, we may as well forget it. After sending the offer, there was a prolonged silence on the other end. After 2 or 3 minutes, Cold Edge finally responded. I recall you once sought to acquire ropes. I am certain you have some. In exchange for this dagger, I would like an additional rope. Very well, Yichuan replied, promptly placing a rope into the trading window. The transaction was completed, and under the auspices of a double enhancement, the pet egg transformed into 2. What remarkable fortune! Out of 3 pet eggs, 2 had fortuitously found their way into my possession. With a hearty laugh, Yichuan hurried to place the pet eggs on the barbecue grill. Just like the first, these eggs would either hatch into pets or be transformed into barbecue fare, a choice to be made. The little creature seemed to have caught a whiff of something enticing, scampering over with wide eyes, chirping intermittently, lost in its own thoughts. Approximately an hour later, much like the initial hatching, the pet egg began to crack. fissures appearing in rapid succession. Almost simultaneously, two small beings leapt from the egg, darting away with a swift whoosh, followed closely by the little creature. Covering nearly 100 meters in the blink of an eye. How peculiar. They resemble the little one so closely. Could it be another albatross? Yichuan mused to himself, immediately giving chase. As he suspected, it was indeed an albatross, albeit one slightly smaller than the first. At this moment, the three little birds appeared to have become acquainted, engaging in a series of chirps in a language incomprehensible to Yichuan. At that moment, an information panel materialized before Yichuan. Name, albatross level, 0, juvenile, evolution value, 0, 500 skills, none talents, none note. S-class pet, automatically recognizes its owner, and upon entering the growth phase, can exhibit formidable abilities. Much like the little one, these two were also classified as S-class pets. Yichuan could not help but feel a surge of excitement, breaking into a grin. With merely a knife and a length of rope, he had acquired such a promising pet. It was indeed a delightful surprise. Nevertheless, Yichuan remained steadfast in his initial plan, intending first to elevate the little creature to level 4 before contemplating further actions. With the little one leading two small companions and 3 albatrosses, they began to roam the island. Yichuan decided to disregard them for the moment, activating the semi-automatic fishing machine and casting a vast net upon the sea before him. After a span of 20 seconds, Yichuan began to pull the net with considerable force. It seemed lighter than before, likely due to the recent seismic activity beneath the ocean, which had caused the marine life to return to the depths. Approximately 3 minutes later, the net was finally drawn up. To his dismay, there were no flatfish to be seen, but the system promptly reported the catch: 53 cod, 46 salmon, 3 ribbon fish, and 1 king crab. The unexpected capture of salmon astonished Yichuan. Salmon. It was the finest ingredient for sashimi, and he never anticipated that so much would remain in these waters following a tsunami. After reserving a few salmon and cod, he swiftly put the remaining fish on the market. Given that all island owners were likely facing food shortages, he anticipated a lucrative opportunity in the coming days. However, with the emergence of 2 additional albatrosses, the single nest was now insufficient. Consequently, Yichuan promptly sent a message in the public chat room. Is there anyone possessing a bird nest blueprint? I am willing to pay a high price. Simultaneously, Blueberry Jam responded. Brother, I have the bird nest blueprint. You do? Yichuan inquired, astonished. Just then, 3 supply boxes floated my way, and I hardly exerted any effort to retrieve them. Blueberry Jam replied with a grinning emoji. Would you believe it? One of them contained the bird nest blueprint. By the way, please give me everything you obtained. Yichuan immediately replied. Blueberry Jam did not question further and promptly traded the items to Yichuan. Upon confirming the trade, all items were divided into 2 sets, leaving only the bird nest blueprint. Yichuan then returned the other items to Blueberry Jam. Brother, why did you return everything to me in double? Blueberry Jam queried in surprise. That is not for you to worry about. Just keep it. Yichuan said without elaboration and turned his attention back to crafting 2 bird nests, placing all 3 adjacent to the chicken coop. Initially, he had placed the nest at the entrance out of concern for the little creature feeling lonely, but with 3 now in existence, such considerations were no longer necessary. Having completed these tasks, Yichuan returned to his bed to rest. However, he was soon interrupted by a private message. Big shot. I have an ancient tea tree over a century old. Could I trade it for some fresh water? An ancient tea tree? Yichuan inquired. Indeed. This ancient tea tree has long stood on the island, a matter I had previously overlooked. After several days of thirst, I finally contemplated trading this remarkable tree. The other party responded, expressing their readiness to extract the tea tree if I consented. The exchange, however, would yield a mere 500 milliliters of fresh water. Lichuan replied, acknowledging that survival in this oceanic realm was paramount, and whether or not tea was consumed held little significance. If I agreed, they could proceed with the extraction. The response came swiftly, no issue. Please wait a moment, as this tree is quite sizable, and it will take some time. Minutes later, the other party initiated the trade, and Lichuan received the promised 500 milliliters of fresh water, completing the transaction. The ancient tea tree, with its expansive canopy, was indeed impressive. Suddenly, a prompt from the system ignited a flicker of excitement within Lichuan. Chapter 42, Cold Front. Barely had he accepted the transaction when the system relayed the following information. Ancient tea tree, Longjing, 170 years old. When brewed, it can neutralize various toxins. While the other party merely recognized it as an ancient tea tree, they were unaware of its remarkable detoxifying properties. Ordinary green tea is known for its purifying and antibacterial qualities, yet this 170-year-old tree, thriving in the harsh conditions of survival at sea, had likely undergone some mutations. And now it belonged to me. What a delightful turn of events. Nonetheless, this ancient tea tree stood over a meter tall, with a canopy diameter nearing 2 meters. Cultivating it in poor soil would prove challenging. Most importantly, under the double amplification effect, I possessed not one, but 2 ancient tea trees. Leaf Chuan had no choice but to place them in the system's inventory, intending to arrange for their planting once the soil was prepared the following day. After the trade was finalized, Leaf Chuan resumed his idle state, keeping an eye on the super tablet, hopeful for unexpected gains. However, good fortune does not come daily. As night fell, aside from trading nearly half of the fish, private messages were limited to requests for food and water. Leaf Chuan grilled 2 codfish and sent a portion to blueberry jam before indulging in a hearty meal. The night slipped away in the blink of an eye. At dawn the next day, the system's voice accompanied Leaf Chuan's awakening, prompting him to check in immediately. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host, you have received 500 evolution points. 100 kilograms of fertile black soil and a feather fragment. Note: 3 feather fragments can be exchanged for an angel feather, which may lead to unexpected events. With the double amplification effect, the rewards from the check-in doubled. Meanwhile, the island maintenance system had finally concluded, allowing the sea turtles to roam freely once more. Observing the distant small island, Leaf Chuan commenced his venture. Minutes later, the sea turtle's island was merely meters away from the opposite landmass, its immense claws capable of reaching across. Yet, the entire island lay in eerie silence. Almost incredulous, it seemed devoid of any inhabitants. Could it be that the tsunami from the previous day had claimed them? Yi Chuan contemplated the situation, yet he remained vigilant, gripping his bow and arrow as he silently ascended the small island. After a thorough search, he found no one, ultimately pausing before a wooden cabin and gradually opening the door. This modest wooden structure, merely 20 square meters in size, revealed its interior almost entirely upon entry. Yet, it too was devoid of any presence. This left Yi Chuan somewhat perplexed. After a moment's reflection, he intended to investigate further, but suddenly, a dagger appeared at his throat, causing the hairs on the back of his neck to stand on end. Well, you certainly have the audacity to trespass on my island, the assailant remarked coldly, devoid of any emotion. Who are you, and how did your island come to be connected to mine? I have no idea, Yi Chuan quickly replied. After the tsunami, everything changed. Just yesterday, we were separated by over 100 meters, yet this morning, they've emerged. I thought you were the one orchestrating this. Still pretending? The stranger scoffed. Come, let us head to your island first and bind you as my subordinate. My intentions were never to offend. Yi Chuan murmured. Now that I'm close, it's only natural to take a look, wouldn't you agree? If the roles were reversed, could you truly suppress your curiosity? Curiosity killed the cat, you know? The other sneered. But since you've crossed paths with me, it can only mean your luck has run out. Come. Yi Chuan gritted his teeth, choosing silence as he seized the stranger's hand and forcefully pushed backward. The assailant's expression shifted in surprise. He had not anticipated such resolve from Yi Chuan. Blood immediately trickled down Yi Chuan's neck, but it was precisely this pain that allowed him to break free from the grip. Simultaneously, a sea turtle launched a water projectile, striking the assailant's back with ferocity just as Yi Chuan escaped, leaving the man staggering forward, bewildered as he cast a glance at Yi Chuan. That was perilous. Yi Chuan exhaled in relief, gingerly touching the wound on his neck, which had already begun to heal, before turning his attention back to the other. Noticing the dagger in the stranger's hand, he suddenly slapped his forehead. Cold Edge. You know me? Cold Edge scrutinized Yi Chuan, rapidly sifting through his memory. Yet after considerable thought, he could not recall ever having met this individual. That dagger is from our trade, Yi Chuan retorted, exasperated. I can hardly believe it. I provided you with a weapon only for you to use it against me. This statement left Cold Edge utterly speechless. The irony was almost ludicrous. Since we have exchanged before, that makes us somewhat allies. It seems unnecessary to remain adversaries, does it not? Yi Chuan said with a smile. Besides, I have no intentions of invading your island. I was merely curious, which is why I came to take a look. Suddenly, before Yi Chuan could finish speaking, Cold Edge struck with unexpected force, yanking back suddenly. Yi Chuan was pulled down, and in an instant, he found himself being dragged away. Are you playing tricks? Yi Chuan's face paled in shock. In an instant, he realized that the two were not of the same ilk. With a swift gesture towards Cold Blade, a small water balloon was hurled forcefully at him, while the turtle, under Yi Chuan's command, launched an attack as well. Cold Blade evaded Yi Chuan's assault, but could not escape the turtle's onslaught. The previous attack had nearly caused him to spit blood, and this time, he could no longer contain himself. A coppery taste filled his throat, and he finally coughed up a mouthful of blood. Seizing the opportunity, Yi Chuan yanked the rope back, promptly stowing it away in his inventory, his gaze fixed coldly on Cold Blade, his heart ablaze with fury. He could hardly fathom that the rope and dagger he had traded away had turned against him, and if not for the turtle's assistance, he might have met his end at the hands of this individual. I intended to befriend you, yet you repay kindness with malice. Thus, your existence is rendered unnecessary, Yi Chuan declared, drawing his bow taut. Humph. Cold Blade scoffed, gripping his dagger tightly, his eyes filled with disdain. You merely have assistance, otherwise. Do you truly believe you could stand as my rival? Yi Chuan chuckled, releasing the bowstring, sending an arrow flying toward Cold Blade's head. Without missing a beat, Yi Chuan shifted, darting into the small wooden cabin, shouting at the super tablet, "Begin binding." Ding! Cold Blade's expression changed drastically, with a flick of his dagger. He deflected the arrow elsewhere, and quickly rushed into the cabin. Alas, it was all too late. Chapter 43. 3 Quality Subordinate Island Lords. Binding in progress. Please wait. Binding successful. Congratulations, host, on acquiring the second subordinate island. From now on, any items obtained by the island lord will be forcibly surrendered to the host at a rate of 30%. What have you done? Cold Blade trembled in fury at the scene before him, powerless to take any action. A stringent rule existed here. Once one became a subordinate island lord, they were strictly prohibited from attacking an independent island lord. Otherwise, any injuries inflicted upon the main island lord would also befall the subordinate. Though Cold Blade yearned to eliminate Yi Chuan, he found himself utterly helpless. I merely came to take a look, yet you sought to kill me. Now, I must be ungracious. Yi Chuan shrugged, quipping, you have only yourself to blame. Damn it. Cold Blade gritted his teeth, glaring at Yi Chuan, ultimately managing only a fierce curse. My goodness, I've suddenly acquired so many items. It seems you have developed quite well. Yi Chuan beamed at Cold Blade, giving him a thumbs up. However, I am curious, how did you come by all these? Have you grown such a plethora of vegetables? Are those some sort of beans? What does it matter to you? Cold Blade replied darkly. Now that you have obtained nearly 30% of my possessions, can you leave? I am now your main island lord. Could you refrain from such rudeness? Yi Chuan rolled his eyes. From now on, we are inextricably linked. Get lost. Cold Front glared at Yi Chuan with gritted teeth, vowing that he would make him experience severe injury, even at the cost of his own wounds. Fine, fine. I shall take my leave for now. If I require your assistance in the future, I will seek you out. Yi Chuan shrugged and turned to depart. Upon reaching the Turtle Island, the turtle, having received its orders, promptly swam towards a certain direction. This bastard, his island, is actually capable of floating. Cold Front finally noticed the island, a flicker of astonishment crossing his face. Previously, he had been questioning the situation, but now he understood. He dove into the water, gazing at the scene ahead, and involuntarily gasped, nearly choking on the seawater. How is this possible? Cold Front exclaimed in disbelief. He saw 4 enormous legs swiftly gliding and a vast, flat belly, along with a colossal head that occasionally submerged in the water. This was indeed a gigantic sea turtle. And his island was a turtle? This revelation far surpassed Cold Front's understanding. What a tremendous windfall. Meanwhile, Yi Chuan was examining the items that had appeared in his inventory. 15 bean sprouts, 5 corn seedlings, 56 wooden planks, and 40 metal sheets. How on earth did this fellow achieve such a feat? Without the aid of the system, I doubt I could have matched him, even with half of his prowess. Yi Chuan remarked solemnly, and furthermore, this guy's skills are truly remarkable. It was only with the collaboration of my turtle that we managed to subdue him. After a moment's thought, Yi Chuan sent a message to Zhao Feiyu beside the super tablet. Brother, do you know someone named Coldfront? He possesses exceptional skills. I do not know him, Zhao Feiyu replied instantly. The military system has not sent many to the oceanic realm, and this individual is not among them. He likely belongs to a significant family that has been endowed with substantial resources for cultivation. Perhaps, Yi Chuan nodded, contemplatively. The host has already bound 2 premium affiliated island masters. Binding 1 more will yield a substantial evolution value gift package. At that moment, the system suddenly interjected. Premium affiliated island masters? Yi Chuan was taken aback. System, what do you mean by premium affiliated island masters? They can form fleets. The system replied immediately. Yi Chuan was astonished to learn that both Lu Shuai and Cold Front were capable of forming fleets. It is important to note that not everyone can establish a fleet. It requires an immense amount of resources, with the necessary manpower and materials being incalculable. Moreover, a fleet requires at least 15 warships of 40,000 tons each. This left Yichuan increasingly curious about the forces backing Lu Shui and Cold Front, particularly Cold Front. System. Who else around me possesses the potential of a premium island master? Yichuan pondered before inquiring. Zhao Feiyu and Blueberry Jam. The system answered promptly. Blueberry Jam. Yichuan's expression changed dramatically, clearly taken aback by this unexpected revelation. Zhao Feiyu was not surprising, as he belonged to the military system. But how could this internet celebrity, Blueberry Jam, possess the capability to form a fleet? Yichuan found himself increasingly perplexed by the identity of Blueberry Jam. The last time he inquired, her hesitant response had gone unnoticed, but now it seemed that this girl was far from ordinary. After deliberating for a moment, Yichuan ultimately decided to focus on Blueberry Jam. He sent her a message. I need to bind an island master as my subordinate. If I wish to bind you, would you consent? Absolutely no problem. Blueberry Jam replied a few minutes later. Hold on, don't rush to answer. Yichuan swiftly responded. If you become my subordinate island master, 30% of all your resources will automatically be transferred to me, irrespective of your willingness. This is the rule of the world. Are you joking with me, brother? Blueberry Jam replied. You saved my life, and you are also obliged to provide me with fresh water and food indefinitely. What is wrong with binding as your subordinate island? You can bind me anytime. All right, first hand over your super tablet. Yichuan replied promptly. At that moment, Blueberry Jam traded the super tablet to Yichuan, who immediately initiated the binding process. Consequently, Blueberry Jam became Yichuan's third subordinate island master. Congratulations to the host for binding the third quality island master, earning a gift pack of evolution points. Would you like to open it? The system's voice echoed as Blueberry Jam was bound. Open it. Yichuan chuckled, responding instantly. Opening gift pack. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10,000 evolution points. 10,000 points. Yichuan was taken aback, finding it hard to believe. Not only could the little creature advance to level 4, but the sea turtle could also upgrade once more. Without delay, Yichuan summoned the little creature and directly elevated it 2 levels, instantly promoting it to level 4. The little creature grew nearly twice its size, and the system panel finally underwent a transformation. Chapter 44. Pets. Contract Beast Dog Upgrade. Name. Albatross Level. Level 4, Growth Stage. Evolution Points. 02500 Skills. Diving Claw. Capable of grasping objects weighing up to 30 kilograms. Talents. Diving, fishing, flying after the 2-level upgrade. The little creature's skills and talents unveiled themselves. Not only could it soar through the skies, but it had also acquired the diving claw skill. Little one. What is a diving claw? Yichuan inquired. Cheep cheep. The little creature chirped twice at Yichuan, then, with a running start, ascended into the sky, soaring to an altitude of over 30 meters. It then dove towards the turtle shell, its sharp claws glinting ominously under the sun, creating a deep scratch of nearly 1 centimeter on the ground. It is worth noting that this was the back of a sea turtle, whose shell is notoriously hard. The fact that the little creature's claws could leave such a deep mark speaks volumes of its power. What a remarkable skill indeed. If it weighs 30 kilograms, could it not assist in retrieving distant supply crates in the future? What a boon this is. At that moment, the system's voice resounded. Albatross upgrade completed. Congratulations, host. Your pet has advanced to level 3 and has received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? Albatross upgrade completed. Congratulations, host. Your pet has advanced to level 4 and has received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? Open all. Yichuan promptly replied. Opening upgrade packages. Please wait. Congratulations, host. You have obtained 500 growth points, 2 wooden boards, 2 plastics, and 1 glass. Congratulations, host. You have obtained 500 growth points, 3 metal sheets, and 500 milliliters of yogurt. The exhilaration of consecutively opening supply crates was truly delightful. And to receive a package of 500 milliliters yogurt this time was simply exhilarating. With an additional 7,500 evolution points, Yichuan immediately allocated the remaining points to the sea turtle, which began to grow slowly once more. Upon examining the sea turtle's panel, some changes became evident. Island Master. Yichuan type. Sea turtle level. 5,06000. Skill. Water bomb. Intermediate. Talent. Longevity. Rapid healing note. After injury, healing speed is 1,000 times that of normal healing. Upon evolving to level 5, the sea turtle's water bomb remarkably upgraded to intermediate level, a most gratifying development. Yichuan promptly tested the power of the intermediate water bomb. This time, the diameter of the water bomb increased by nearly 5 centimeters. Capable of reaching a distance of 50 meters, and the splash produced was nearly half again larger than before. If it were to confront the cold front now, it would likely defeat it in a single blow. Truly, a significant upgrade. With 2,500 evolution points remaining, Yichuan did not hesitate to allocate them to the dolphin, resulting in an immediate change in the dolphin's information panel. Name, Dolphin Friendliness, 80-100 level, 5 evolution points, 0 3,000 skill, Sonic Disruption, Beginner. Absolute Impact, Beginner, Talent, Deep Dive, 500 meters. Note, Absolute Impact allows the dolphin to attack with its head, with the Beginner Impact equating to a collision force of 600 pounds. Deep Dive has increased by 200 meters, and Absolute Impact has augmented by 300 pounds of force. However, no other changes were noted. Dolphin upgrade completed. Congratulations, host. Your contracted beast has advanced to level 5 and has received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? At this moment, the system's voice emerged. Open. Yichuan steadied himself and promptly responded. Opening upgrade package, please wait. Congratulations, host. You have obtained 500 growth points, 3 plastics, 1 mineral water, and 1 manual stone mill manufacturing blueprint. A manual stone mill manufacturing blueprint? Yichuan was momentarily taken aback, but soon his expression shifted with realization. He had beans now, and once they matured, he could easily grind them into soybean milk or even make tofu and dohua. Corn could be processed into cornmeal for pancakes. Indeed, the manual stone mill offered a plethora of functions, and its arrival was rather timely. However, for the moment, this contraption was of no use to him, so he tossed it into his inventory. As noon approached, Yichuan retrieved a squid and prepared a grilled squid dish. While savoring his meal, he began to scroll through the super forum. All the fish he had listed for trade had successfully sold. In the public chat room, numerous individuals were vehemently disparaging Wang Sanrui. That Wang Sanrui is truly despicable. He deceived us into becoming his subordinate island masters. And according to the rules of this oceanic world, anything I acquire as a subordinate island master must be unconditionally surrendered to him at a rate of 30%. Indeed, I too have been bound by him, and there is no way to untangle myself unless the number of my subordinate islands surpasses his. What a pitiful situation. It infuriates me. This revelation sparked a realization in Yichuan. If Wang Sanrui had managed to ensnare a dozen or even dozens of others in this scheme, then he had certainly profited immensely at the expense of those island masters who had hoped to thrive after the 6-month novice period. Now, they were all subject to this rogue's constraints. One cannot blame others for their misfortunes. They must only take responsibility for their own folly. Wang Sanrui seemed well aware of this rule, having deceived so many in one fell swoop. Yichuan mused at this point. He must have become the most powerful island master in the novice zone. Yichuan approached this situation with a sense of detached amusement. After all, each was developing their own endeavors, and Wang Sanrui posed no threat to him. He had no intention of provoking him. Feeling somewhat fatigued after dealing with the cold front and managing so many tasks, Yichuan decided to take a brief afternoon nap. Suddenly, a message from Lu Shui appeared. Brother, I've obtained something remarkable. I'm unsure if it would be of use to you. What is it? Yichuan's interest was piqued. A flowerbed manufacturing blueprint. Lu Shui replied with a chuckle. Yichuan raised an eyebrow, but responded, go ahead and trade it over. At present, Yichuan possessed 3 flower beds, each designated for specific plants, and with the new bean sprouts and corn seedlings, it was the perfect opportunity to establish another flower bed. Reflecting on his progress, Yichuan couldn't help but feel a tinge of nostalgia. His island would soon expand to 5,000 square meters. Yet apart from the central area, nearly 4,500 square meters remained barren. If this trend continued, the growing expanse of the island might lead to a less enjoyable experience. Setting aside such thoughts for the moment, Yichuan turned and constructed another flower bed. After placing the fertile black soil he had received today into it, he planted the bean sprouts and corn seedlings. As I was watering them, I suddenly heard a series of chirps. Chapter 45, Discovery of Combustible Ice. Yichuan couldn't help but gaze into the distance, where he saw a little creature soaring over 30 meters high, circling the island a few times before diving down, crashing into the water like a cannonball within seconds. Upon taking flight again, it astonishingly clutched a fish over a meter long in its claws, ascending once more into the sky. Chirp, chirp, chirp. In an instant, the 2 little creatures began to dance and call out to the little one, seemingly like 2 ardent fans admiring their idol. The little creature dropped the large fish before Yichuan, then landed in front of him, chirping incessantly. Impressive. Yichuan gave the little creature a thumbs up, then turned his attention to the fish. To his surprise, it was a massive anglerfish, approximately 90 centimeters long, the largest he had ever seen. Slimy and somewhat off-putting, This type of fish was not commonly consumed. However, Yichuan possessed culinary skills. Yet, as he began to gut the fish, he discovered a white, clumpy substance within its belly. Yichuan's expression shifted. Combustible ice? Combustible ice, a natural gas hydrate, has been widely utilized in modern society. Unfortunately, known deposits have been nearly exhausted, and even the combustible ice resources found in the ocean are limited. If he could locate a deposit, it would undoubtedly become a coveted treasure, allowing Yichuan to amass a fortune. Suppressing his excitement, Yichuan immediately sought out the dolphin, presenting the combustible ice to it. Do you see this? Dive down to your maximum depth and search for this substance. The dolphin understood Yichuan's command and plunged into the deep sea. Approximately 10 minutes later, the dolphin resurfaced, nodding at Yichuan, conveying that there was indeed a trench nearby, with a seabed depth of over 400 meters. However, it was uncertain how much deeper it went, but it could confirm that the seabed was densely populated with such substances. Incredible, I've struck gold. Yichuan's expression brightened, and he burst into laughter. The reason numerous island lords enter the oceanic world every 3 years is to seek various mineral resources. The chances of novice island lords discovering resources are exceedingly slim. Most only find support from their families or consortiums after the initial 6-month novice period, enabling them to locate resources swiftly. After all, for novice island lords, merely surviving the beginning is a significant challenge. Yet, to have discovered a combustible ice deposit within a month, surely this indicates a monumental profit. An unfathomable combustible ice deposit could yield an 8-figure profit. System, can we mark this location and return to mine it in 6 months? Yichuan inquired. Certainly, the system replied. All right, let us mark it. Yichuan said with a smile. System marking in progress. Please wait. The system responded once more. This location, devoid of any islands within 100 nautical miles, was typically undiscovered, as island owners generally explored nearby islands first when conditions allowed. Thus, he would only need to return here for harvesting. What a delightful thought. Marking successful. Came the system's voice a few moments later. Splendid. Yichuan snapped his fingers and then proceeded to process the anglerfish. With such a large anglerfish, he ultimately transformed all the fish meat into barbecue, distributing 1 kilogram each to Lu Shuai, Blueberry Jam, Zhao Feiyu, and Lu Yi, while keeping 4 kilograms for himself. After consuming part of it, he stored the remainder in the system's inventory for later enjoyment. Upon receiving the fish, Lu Yi immediately placed a card in the trading slot. I've run out of water and opened 2 of the supply boxes, one of which yielded an island expansion card. I thought you might find it useful. How large is your island? Yichuan glanced at the card and inquired directly. Approximately 1,000 square meters, Lu Yi replied. Then you should use this expansion card yourself. Yichuan responded, my island is a substantial 5,000 square meters. Far larger than yours. How did your island become so vast? Lu Yi sent an astonished emoji. A secret. Yichuan replied with a boastful emoji, adding, so, you should use it. As for the supply boxes, you might as well open them all. All right, Lu Yi replied, and then fell silent. Yichuan brought some dried fish for the 3 little ones before retreating to bed, glancing at the public chat room, where island owners were fervently discussing. Today, I actually opened an island expansion card. Does anyone know what this is? Have you returned all the knowledge you learned to the teacher? I have learned about this. 1 card can enlarge an island by 500 square meters. Really? I don't recall this knowledge point. You must be making it up. Please, who do you think you are? Do you think I have the audacity to fabricate something to deceive you? Is your face that large? However, the teacher mentioned that this item has both advantages and disadvantages. The specific drawbacks remain unclear, and we must explore that ourselves. Purchasing island expansion cards at a high price. 1 can be exchanged for 500 milliliters of fresh water. Act quickly. It was that Wang Tsanrui again, after having deceived them so severely last time. He had the audacity to make a purchase today. If I had one, I certainly wouldn't sell it to him. Yichuan did not dwell on this issue. He remembered learning that even the teacher was uncertain about the pros and cons, and each island owner's situation varied. As night fell, Yichuan stretched and prepared for rest. Suddenly, the system conveyed a message. The host's island is about to successfully upgrade to level 5. Following this upgrade, various resources will be randomly generated. Without any interference, a qualitative transformation will occur. Please be informed, host. Various resources? Yichuan was taken aback. System, what does this mean? For instance, if a certain area generates stones, and the host does not intervene, over time, that area may transform into a stone forest or a small mountain. The system patiently explained. Ah, I see. Yichuan exclaimed, realizing the implications. With this in mind, his island would no longer remain barren. Flowers, plants, trees, and stones could all potentially emerge. The thought filled him with anticipation, even leading to a touch of insomnia. Chapter 46. Strawberries, Lettuce, and the Evolution of the Island. However, in his drowsiness, Yichuan eventually drifted into slumber. In his dreams, Blueberry Jam performed a seductive dance, shedding its garments piece by piece. Regrettably, it was as if obscured by a mosaic, rendering everything but a vague white blur indistinct. Moreover, Lu Yi unexpectedly appeared in his dream, smiling at him, which made him chuckle foolishly in return. Detected that the host has not yet checked in. Would you like to check in? While laughing, the system's voice suddenly interrupted, pulling Yichuan back to reality. He realized, to his embarrassment, that he had drooled. Check in, he exclaimed, wiping the drool from the corner of his mouth. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 evolution points, 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, and a can of herring. A can of herring. Yichuan was utterly astonished. This was reputedly one of the most odorous foods in the world. Was the system playing a prank by offering such a bizarre check-in reward? However, he quickly noticed the evolution points. Previously, he had received 500 points each morning, but now it had doubled to 1,000. Could this be attributed to the turtle's upgrade to level 5? Moreover, the fertile black soil had increased to 200 kilograms. Suddenly, an idea struck him, and he dashed out of his room. Outside, towering trees had sprouted, reaching heights of 3 to 4 meters. The ground now boasted soil, stones, and patches of grass. Though sparse, the overall improvement was exponentially greater than before. Upon inspection, he found the soil thickness to be approximately 30 centimeters, while the areas with trees boasted a thickness of 50 centimeters. System, now that we have soil, why is there still fertile black soil? Yichuan inquired. The newly generated island resources consist of ordinary soil, while fertile black soil is classified as special soil, the system promptly clarified. Ordinary soil provides only 1/3 of the growth speed and nutrient supply for plants compared to fertile black soil. I understand now. Yichuan realized. So, will the next transformation occur after the island upgrades to level 6? Indeed. The system responded, indicating that along with qualitative changes, unknown life forms may emerge. Could there truly be more organisms? Yichuan was momentarily taken aback, yet quickly regained his composure. After all, this was an island, and given its substantial size, various insects, reptiles, and birds would undoubtedly appear. However, the fact that humanity could intervene in this process was indeed a comforting thought. Island upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. Your island has ascended to level 5, and you have received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? At this moment, the system's voice echoed once more. Open it. Yichuan exclaimed with delight. Opening upgrade package, please wait. Congratulations, host. You have acquired 2,000 growth points for A-grade citrus fruits, 5 small nutrient solutions, and 1 blueprint for an automatic water extraction device. Incredible. He had received the blueprint for an automatic water extraction device. This meant that he would no longer need to toil to draw water from the large barrel. Yichuan promptly manufactured the automatic water extractor. It comprised a water intake apparatus, a plastic pipe with a diameter of 5 centimeters and a length of 100 meters, and a small generator. This generator featured a 3-blade propeller, which, when submerged, harnessed the force of water movement to generate electricity, thus powering the water extraction device to continuously draw seawater. Although the plastic pipe was not particularly large, it was more than sufficient to meet daily water needs. Yichuan immediately positioned the water extraction device on the side of Turtle Island. The plastic pipe was adequate, perfectly connecting to the water tank of the seawater conversion system. Currently, the water tank had utilized 1/3 of its capacity, and the automatic water extractor efficiently drew seawater into the tank, proving to be quite convenient. This morning's achievements were indeed commendable. Yichuan nodded in satisfaction and turned his gaze towards the flower bed. The lettuce had matured, with 3 large heads resembling enormous spheres. This fast-growing lettuce was, without a doubt, different from ordinary varieties, sprouting rapidly and abundantly. Yichuan swiftly harvested all 3 heads, extracted the seeds, and after cleaning them, prepared several pieces of cod, grilling them into succulent cod fillets, which he then layered with the lettuce, both delicious and nutritious. Since the last delightful cabbage and pork soup, this was only the second time Yichuan had consumed vegetables, with over a week having passed in between. After finishing his meal, Yichuan continued to grill several more cod fillets, layering them with lettuce and sending them to Lu Yi and Blueberry Jam. Freshly made cod fillets with lettuce. Give it a try? Wow, the lettuce matured so quickly? Blueberry Jam inquired excitedly, seemingly recalling that he had just given Yichuan the seeds yesterday. This is fast-growing lettuce. And being in such a unique oceanic environment has indeed accelerated its growth significantly, Yichuan explained. You actually have lettuce? On such a deserted island. That's practically a treasure. Lu Yi responded, sending a flurry of astonished emojis. No, I can't accept this. You've already given me too much. Good things are meant to be shared. Yichuan spoke directly. Moreover, I cannot consume what I have cultivated. How about this? Why not bind me as a subordinate island lord? Lu Yi suggested otherwise. I always feel somewhat undeserving. There's no need to overthink it. Just let it be. Yichuan replied nonchalantly. All right, I must return to my tasks now. After responding, Yichuan approached the flower bed once more. He had noticed earlier that not only was the lettuce ready, but the strawberries had also ripened. Originally 2 strawberry seeds had sprouted, but as they grew, they transformed into 7 plants, yielding over 20 vividly red and luscious strawberries that emitted an enticing fragrance, almost tempting one to indulge. Naturally, Yichuan did not indulge them, promptly harvesting all the strawberries. After all, there were still many small buds, and as the strawberry plants continued to thrive, he would not have to worry about a shortage in the future. There was no need for washing. Yichuan tasted one immediately. Upon biting into it, the juice burst forth in his mouth, a delightful blend of sweetness with a hint of tartness. He could swear that this was the most exquisite strawberry he had ever savored. Without delay, Yichuan took out 16 strawberries, distributing 4 each to Blueberry Jam, Zhao Feiyu, Lu Shuai, and Lu Yi, saying, "Taste these freshly picked strawberries." Only then did Yichuan notice the message Lu Yi had just sent, causing him to pause momentarily. Chapter 47. The Terrifying Zhao Feiyu. Yesterday, after Lu Yi used the island area expansion card, the area increased by 500 square meters. However, within that span, trees, grass, and stones had sprouted overnight. She even heard rustling sounds, suggesting there might be living creatures within. This made Yichuan somewhat hesitant. After all, the most likely inhabitants on the island were venomous snakes. If there truly were snakes inside, Lu Yi could be in peril. After deliberation, Yichuan immediately provided Lu Yi with 300 milliliters of A-grade freshwater, advising, for now, avoid that 500 square meter area. There may not necessarily be anything dangerous within. Hold on to this water. If you are attacked and sustain any wounds, use this water to cleanse the injury, then drink half of it. Understood. Lu Yi promptly accepted the water, replying, rest assured. I certainly won't dare approach for the time being. What if there are venomous snakes? That would be terrifying. I am most fearful of creatures like snakes. That is good, Yichuan replied, feeling relieved. Afterward, Yichuan exited the room, observing that his growth points still amounted to 1,500, which wasn't enough to warrant upgrading the little ones, so he decided to postpone it for now. He surveyed the various plants he had cultivated. The pear trees, apple trees, and peach trees had all reached over 30 centimeters in height, while the special tree species had grown over a meter tall, sprouting 2 tender green leaves that emitted a subtle, fragrant aroma. However, this fragrance was quite faint and could easily go unnoticed without careful inspection. The vetiver grass had grown over a finger's length, lush and green, resembling freshly sprouted wheat seedlings, utterly adorable. Yichuan diligently widened the fertile black soil he had accumulated over the past 2 days along the existing soil path by several meters, subsequently scattering the seeds of vetiver grass. Although the island had begun to be enveloped in greenery with the recent upgrades, Yichuan still intended to encircle his house with a ring of fertile soil, akin to a fence that separated the world within his yard from that outside. After several hours of labor, he finally completed his work by noon, took out some freshly grilled oncong fish to eat, and then returned to his bed to rest. Meanwhile, Zhao Feiyu was intently watching a supply crate situated more than 20 meters away. Over 2 hours had elapsed, and Zhao Feiyu initially believed that the crate would gradually drift closer to the island. However, it seemed to be moving further away instead, which stirred a sense of urgency within him. After some contemplation, he decided to leap into the water once more, swiftly swimming towards the supply crate. Yet, when he was only 5 or 6 meters away from it, he discovered that a shark was circling the crate. Upon noticing Zhao Feiyu, the shark immediately surged toward him. Zhao Feiyu surfaced for a deep breath before plunging back into the depths, his dagger poised to strike at the shark. Simultaneously, he evaded to the side. Since the flounder had vanished, the shark had regained its former ferocity and prowess. Fortunately, it missed Zhao Feiyu while he managed to slice the shark's belly, inflicting a gash over 30 centimeters long, with blood gushing forth. This provoked the shark, which whipped its tail and charged at Zhao Feiyu again, its gaping maw filled with menacingly white teeth, a testament to its terror. Zhao Feiyu dove deep into the water, narrowly avoiding the shark's assault, but unexpectedly, The shark twisted and attacked once more, sinking its teeth into Zhao Feiyu's thigh. Frowning, Zhao Feiyu plunged his dagger deep into one of the shark's eyes, causing a splatter of viscous fluid as the shark recoiled and turned to flee. Without a moment to lose, Zhao Feiyu grasped the supply crate and swam swiftly towards the island. Just as he was about to reach the shore, a shark collided violently with the crate, inadvertently providing Zhao Feiyu the momentum to surge onto the land. Looking back, he was alarmed to see numerous fins breaking the surface of the water. At least a dozen sharks were attracted by the blood of the wounded one, indicating that its life was likely forfeit. Exhaling a long sigh of relief, Zhao Feiyu lay on the ground for several minutes before examining his thigh, which bore 2 rows of bite marks. Fortunately, due to the sharks having just regained their strength, their grip was not particularly fierce, though it still caused him to bleed. Regrettably, his strength was insufficient. Otherwise, he could have dealt with the beast in one swift motion. With a cold snort, he bared his teeth, glanced around, and then sent a private message to Yichuan. "Could I borrow your igniter?" Yichuan was enjoying a moment of respite when, without a moment's hesitation, he placed the igniter in the trading slot and inquired, "What happened?" Zhao Feiyu replied, "I just went into the water to salvage a supply box and encountered a shark. I was injured and am bleeding." "You are truly impressive to engage a shark in combat." Yichuan couldn't help but send a flurry of thumbs-up emojis to Zhao Feiyu. The reason Yichuan could confront a shark was due to the strength of a sea turtle, easily weighing over 1,000 pounds, coupled with his exceptional agility in the water. Otherwise, he would never dare to face a shark or even a killer whale. Yet Zhao Feiyu, merely a mortal, had the audacity to challenge a shark. Indeed, he was formidable, a testament to his military background. Subsequently, Yichuan handed him 200 milliliters of A-grade freshwater, explaining, "While ash can staunch bleeding, it may also contaminate the wound and pose a risk of infection. You should use A-grade freshwater instead, half to cleanse the wound and half to drink." "All right, thanks." Zhao Feiyu seemed to hesitate for a moment before responding and then accepted the water. "Now, that is a true warrior," Yichuan thought, shaking his head. Having battled a shark himself, he understood its tremendous strength. Even 3 or 4 ordinary individuals would only be able to flee. Could Zhao Feiyu be a king of soldiers? Following Yichuan's guidance, Zhao Feiyu had treated his wound and then opened the supply box. He was momentarily taken aback before placing a crafting blueprint in the trading slot. "I have no use for this, but I believe you would find it valuable." Upon hearing this, Yichuan immediately glanced over, his expression shifting. A crafting blueprint for a beach set? He promptly accepted it and examined the details. The set consisted of a sunshade and a beach chair, the latter crafted from wood and exuding a sense of luxury, with the sunshade boasting a diameter of 3 meters. This was a true treasure, perfectly suited to his desires. Yichuan chuckled with delight and immediately selected the option to craft. Chapter 48. 2 goats, selling sharks. The sunshade and beach chair were swiftly created, and Yichuan positioned them a little over 2 meters from his door. The 3-meter sunshade would only cast shade after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, promising a delightful respite. After a period of industrious activity, as the sun began to descend into the ocean, Yichuan stretched lazily and turned back to his room, munching on some sea fish while glancing at the public chat room. "Everyone, please be cautious. Today, I spotted numerous sharks circling the island, and they seem unwilling to leave. Around 10 in total. Are we observing the same group of sharks? I have about a dozen sharks lingering here, making it quite challenging for me to salvage supply boxes. It appears that the last incident with the flounder school has left these sharks famished. They are now looking to us as potential food. Please do not venture too close to the shore to avoid a shark attack. Those in need of food and water, feel free to come to me. I am currently well stocked." Once again, it is Wang Sanrui, a fellow who has managed to deceive at least 30 individuals into becoming his subordinate island lords, effectively ensuring a steady supply of food and water for himself. Initially, the conversation revolved around issues concerning sharks. However, once Wang Sanrui interjected, most participants commenced personal attacks against him. Unfazed, Wang Sanrui remarked, "Though they have become my subordinate island lords, at the very least, they are alive thanks to my assistance. My subordinates have yet to voice any complaints. What right do you have to judge?" Wang Sanrui is indeed a despicable character, cunning and sly. I would never willingly become anyone's subordinate island lord. I have come here with a mission. This is akin to slavery, devoid of any freedom. Observing these chat records, Yichuan couldn't help but chuckle and shake his head. Wang Sanrui has truly mastered the art of exploiting information asymmetry. The island lords, unaware of the constraints that accompany their new titles, have unwittingly become over 30 subordinate island lords, and once the development phase advances, he is bound to reap substantial rewards. That evening, Yichuan consumed a citrus fruit, drying its seeds, and subsequently entered a profound state of slumber. It was not until the following morning that he awoke and completed his check-in. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host. You have acquired 1,000 evolution points, 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, and one lucky blind box. Note, may contain manufacturing blueprints, seeds, or fruits. To his astonishment, another lucky blind box had been acquired. Suddenly, Yichuan recalled that he had amassed 3 damaged feathers, which could be exchanged for an angel feather. Perhaps this could trigger a double fortune once again? With this thought, Yichuan promptly exchanged for an angel feather and clicked to use it. Nothing immediately happened, nor did it trigger the double fortune. Perhaps other good luck was forthcoming? With this in mind, he opened the blind box. Blind box opening in progress. Congratulations, host. You have received 2 6-month-old goats, 1 male and 1 female. Yichuan gasped in disbelief. He had managed to sign in for live animals, and a pair at that. A male and a female goat. What extraordinary fortune it took to receive such a pair. This meant he could not only enjoy goat milk in the future, but also potentially savor goat meat after the kids were born. Wealth was at hand. At that moment, the 2 snow-white goats appeared in Yichuan's inventory. He opted not to release them just yet. After all, doing so would necessitate grazing, and the fragrant grass had not yet fully matured. He lacked both pasture and a pen, and releasing them would only lead to them wandering the island, leaving droppings everywhere. How distressing. It would be prudent to wait until he had a pen and sufficient pasture before considering their release. Soothing his emotions, Yichuan grilled several pieces of cod and skillfully prepared sashimi from salmon, dividing a citrus fruit into quarters. He then served each of the 4, Lu Yi, Zhao Feiyu, and the others, a portion of cod, sashimi, and citrus, before indulging in his meal while glancing at the public chatroom. I can hardly believe it. I was attacked by a shark. I was still over 5 meters away from the shore, yet it bit me and nearly dragged me into the sea. Everyone, please be cautious. There have been far too many incidents of shark attacks on island owners lately. These sharks seem to have become much more aggressive. Indeed, a great white shark bit into the supply crate I was retrieving, spilling all the resources inside. I ended up pulling up an empty box. It's utterly infuriating. Upon hearing this, Yichuan suddenly noticed the sound of an albatross chirping and rushed out of the room, only to witness the little creature diving down, its sharp talons fiercely grasping a shark. The immense force surprisingly lifted the shark off the ground. Fortunately, it was a small one. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for the albatross to carry it ashore. Bang! Another loud crash echoed as a dolphin collided with the shark, sending the 200-kilogram creature crashing onto the beach. Even as the shark wriggled to return to the ocean, the dolphin struck again, sending it a full 7 or 8 meters away from the shore. The prospect of returning to the sea had become a distant hope. Both the dolphin and the little albatross held undeniable advantage in this confrontation. In the blink of an eye, 3 sharks had already washed ashore, while the remaining sharks, realizing this island was not to be trifled with, swiftly scattered away. Shark meat seems particularly unpalatable, Yichuan mused, stroking his chin. However, those island owners surrounded by sharks may soon deplete their food supplies, if they cannot fish for a while. My reluctance to eat it does not mean they share the same sentiment. With this thought, Yichuan removed the shark's fins and divided the flesh, packaging it into portions of approximately 500 grams each, totaling over 1,500 portions, which he promptly listed: shark 500g, wooden plank x10, shark 500g, metal sheet x1, shark 500g, cloth piece x10. Instantly, the public chatroom erupted in astonishment. Wow, a major player has actually listed shark meat. This is terrifying. How did he manage to catch a shark? Unbelievable. Even 5 or 6 people working together would struggle against a single shark. Yet this major player has listed so many portions at once. Over 1,000 portions. It's unclear whether this was the work of one formidable individual or several. Without a doubt, just moments ago there was not a single portion available, and now there are suddenly so many. It must be the doing of a single major player. Do you think just anyone can battle a shark? Major player, I seek your patronage. Chapter 49. The hidden task already completed? As predicted by Yichuan, over 1,000 portions of shark meat were listed for sale, and within 10 minutes, more than 300 had already been sold. Although the pace of sales slowed thereafter, Yichuan was confident that by this time tomorrow, the shark meat would likely be sold out. Just as he was about to step outside, a private message popped up. Boss, may I exchange your shark meat for a crafting blueprint? Yichuan replied. That depends on what kind of crafting blueprint you have in mind. Feeling a bit embarrassed, the other party responded. It's a sheep pen crafting blueprint. I know this blueprint is practically useless, but I am simply too hungry. I would be content with 200g of shark meat. Yi Chuan's expression shifted. Thoughts often manifest as reality. Just as he contemplated acquiring the sheep pen blueprint, it appeared before him. A perfect match. However, Yi Chuan waited a few minutes before replying. All right. I'll give you 500 G instead. It's tough for everyone, and I still have plenty of shark meat. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. The other party, probably not expecting Yi Chuan to part with 500 G of shark meat, offered a manual juicer crafting blueprint in return. I'll give you this manual juicer blueprint as well. Although it may not be of much use now, should you ever acquire fruits, you can enjoy freshly squeezed juice. Yi Chuan found himself at a loss for words. Strictly speaking, the manual juicer was something he could use, given that he frequently obtained fruits. With a juicer, he could easily make juice whenever he desired. After a brief pause of several seconds, Yi Chuan finally agreed to the trade, excitedly snapping his fingers. Yes, delightful. Meanwhile, on a small island thousands of miles away, a scruffy and emaciated man gazed at a piece of shark meat in his hand, tears streaming down his face. There are still good people in this world. Two seemingly useless crafting blueprints exchanged for such a large piece of shark meat will keep me from feeling hungry for at least 2 days. Truly a good person. Without hesitation, Yi Chuan immediately placed the sheep pen next to the chicken coop, a mere 2 meters apart, and selected to craft. In an instant, a sheep pen of considerable size appeared before him. Accompanying it was a system introduction, sheep pen, capable of accommodating 4 sheep of 2 years of age. Equipped with an automatic system for collecting sheep droppings and remaining grass, improving cleaning efficiency by 70%. Ecstatic, Yi Chuan clapped his hands, practically dancing with joy. If he had to diligently collect sheep droppings and clean the pen himself, it would surely drive him mad. Now, automation was essentially achieved. However, while the sheep pen was ready, the issue of pasture remained. Although fragrant grass could serve as pasture, its maturation period was excessively lengthy. This batch would take at least 7 to 8 days to grow. Yi Chuan couldn't help but inquire of the system. Is there a type of pasture that grows more quickly? You've given me the sheep. Surely I can't just watch them, can I? The host may accept a hidden quest. Completing the hidden quest offers a chance to obtain magical pasture seeds. The system replied. Hidden quest? Yi Chuan was momentarily taken aback, but quickly pressed on. What hidden quests are available at the moment? Hidden task. The host must locate a mineral resource within a week to receive a substantial reward. Will you accept? Without hesitation, Yi Chuan chose to accept. Detected that the host has already found a mineral resource. The hidden task is complete. A surprise gift package awaits. Will you open it? In the next moment, the system promptly inquired. Damn. Yi Chuan's lips twitched. This could also be considered a hidden task, and I have already completed it. Fortunately, I asked. Otherwise, I would have missed out on this reward. Open it. Yi Chuan smiled and said, opening surprise gift package. Congratulations. Host, you have received Evolution Value Package 1, 500 Magical Grass Seeds, for oranges, and Resource Package 1. Note, the magical grass seeds can grow a season of grass within 24 hours. As long as the root system remains intact, it can be harvested indefinitely and can reproduce slowly. Wow, a package within a package. This is incredible. Yi Chuan's expression shifted, but he couldn't help but complain. System, could you please refrain from being so casual with these tasks in the future? Just create a panel listing the available tasks. I could complete them while simultaneously triggering hidden tasks. That would be much more precise. As a system, you must be equipped with advanced technology. Do you really need me to remind you how to operate? Yi Chuan expressed his heartfelt thoughts to the system, but it seemed to have crashed again, remaining utterly silent. Yi Chuan, uninterested in further engagement, took the 200 kilograms of fertile black soil he had obtained today and meticulously laid it out in a rectangular plot. He then scattered the magical grass seeds on top and poured at least 10 kilograms of fresh water over them. This action consumed a third of his accumulated fresh water, which pained Yi Chuan's heart. However, the thought of soon having lambs and enjoying fresh sheep's milk alleviated his distress. Nevertheless, he decided against placing the sheep in the pen, opting to wait until the grass grew tomorrow. Subsequently, Yi Chuan opened the resource package, acquiring 50 pieces each of wooden planks, cloth scraps, metal sheets, stones, plastic, and glass, a delightful haul. Finally, he opened the evolution value package, receiving 10,000 points of evolution value, which thrilled Yi Chuan immensely. He promptly upgraded the 2 small creatures to level 4, matching the level of the young albatross. In an instant, 3 albatrosses soared into the sky, diving and frolicking together, showcasing harmony and beauty. Meanwhile, Yi Chuan received 8 upgrade packages, which he opened in their entirety, yielding an impressive collection of resources, food, and bottled water. However, the evolution value rewards from the upgrade packages had also increased from 500 points to 1,000 6,000 points, bringing his total to 10,500 points of evolution value, in addition to the previous 2,500 points. At the present moment, Yichuan promptly allocated points to the dolphin and the sea turtle, causing their bodies to begin a gradual transformation. Yichuan then directed his gaze towards the dolphin's information panel. Name, Dolphin Friendliness, 90-100 level, 6 evolution value, 3,500 skills, Sonic Interference, Novice. Absolute Impact, Novice, Talent, Deep Dive, 700 meters. Note, Absolute Impact allows the dolphin to attack with its head, with a force equivalent to a collision strength of 600 pounds. The sea turtle's panel also underwent a transformation. Island Master, Yichuan Type, Sea Turtle Level, 6,007,000, Skills, Water Bomb, Intermediate, Talent, Longevity. Rapid Healing. Yichuan was astonished to find that upon the dolphin reaching level 6, both Deep Dive and Absolute Impact had seen enhancements, while the sea turtle had only experienced a change in level, with no other alterations apparent. The specifics of this were unclear to him. Nevertheless, Yichuan did not dwell on it for long, as the system notification sounded once more, announcing, Chapter 50, Cold Front. Is there an intention to depart from the organization? Dolphin S upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. Your contracted beast has upgraded to level 6 and received an upgrade gift pack. Would you like to open it? Open. Yichuan steadied himself and promptly responded. Upgrade gift pack opening, please wait. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 growth points, 10 corn pancakes, 2 A-grade oranges, and 1 blueprint for plastic pipeline manufacturing. To his surprise, pancakes were included as a reward. Yichuan's expression shifted, and he immediately retrieved one for inspection. It was a machine-made pancake, exuding a rich aroma, square in shape, and exceedingly soft. As a northerner, Yichuan had consumed numerous pancakes during his childhood in the orphanage. He never expected to savor the flavors of his past once more amidst the ocean. The system truly understands me. The sun was just right. With not a cloud in sight, Yichuan took out 4 oranges, 2 of which were A-grade, and using a manual juicer, extracted approximately 1,000 milliliters of orange juice. He distributed 100 milliliters of juice to Lu Yi and Zhao Feiyu, keeping the remaining 600 milliliters for himself as he settled onto a beach chair, gazing at the distant scenery while savoring his orange juice, feeling utterly content. Hundreds of nautical miles away, Cold Front navigated a small boat swiftly to an island, directly shouting towards a shelter made of branches and weeds. A towering man, nearly 2 meters tall, emerged in surprise, staring at Cold Front. You actually have a boat and have come here? I harbor no ill intent. I only require you to become my subordinate island master. Cold Front declared in a solemn tone. Do you perhaps suffer from a severe delusion? The man scoffed. I was hoping you would become my subordinate island master, so I could have someone to provide for me. In that case, I must thank you for delivering your head to me from afar. Ha ha ha. It seems you are choosing to reject hospitality in favor of punishment. Cold Front shook his head slightly, then his body swayed, propelling him like a cannonball as he collided forcefully with the burly man. The man, seemingly endowed with immense strength, staggered backward for a few steps before seizing Cold Front's belt and violently tossing him aside. In a swift motion, Cold Front twisted in midair, delivering a kick to the man's face. Alas, the burly man, who had anticipated relishing in the fruits of victory, nearly lost consciousness from the blow, and in a fit of rage, charged at Cold Front. However, Cold Front's speed was astonishing. He effortlessly evaded every attack, while the man's wounds multiplied. Particularly, the final punch struck the burly man's chest, causing him to collapse onto the ground, gasping for breath, unable to rise for quite some time. Ignoring the man, Cold Front approached the super tablet and began the binding process. You scoundrel, I wish I could end you. The burly man glared at Cold Front, filled with resentment, longing to inflict 1,000 tortures upon him. Yet, at that moment, he was powerless, watching helplessly as he transformed from an independent island master into a subordinate one, with his prospects seemingly vanished. After completing the operation, Cold Front smiled as he approached the burly man. There's no harm in following me. My luck is exceptional, and we can assist each other. At least during this 6-month novice period, we can certainly thrive. I can manage just fine on my own. The burly man gritted his teeth in response. Cooperating will accelerate our development, Cold Front countered, shaking his head. Besides, you are merely my first subordinate island master. Others will soon join our ranks. In the near future, we will undoubtedly emerge as a formidable force among novice island masters. Well, it is what it is. Say what you will. The burly man seemed to resign himself to his fate, remaining seated on the ground. Do your best, and feel free to reach out if you need anything. Cold Front gently patted the man's shoulder before swiftly returning to the ship, swimming rapidly in another direction. Detected that a subordinate island master has bound with a new island master. Keep up the good work. Your influence will continue to expand. Having finished his orange juice, Yichuan had already fallen asleep when the system's voice startled him awake. What? The sun is nearly setting? Yichuan realized that the sun had almost dipped below the horizon. The afternoon sun had lost some of its intensity, and he had failed to notice. Hearing the system's voice, he furrowed his brow upon realizing that there were only 3 island masters, and now another master had developed a subordinate? Pondering this, Yichuan immediately returned to the super tablet, where Zhao Feiyu and the others had sent messages, mostly expressing their astonishment at Yichuan's life. After all, having arrived in the ocean for 20 days and already experiencing a tsunami, Yichuan could even enjoy orange juice. What a comfort. Yichuan quickly messaged Lu Shuai. Have you developed a subordinate island master? No, I don't even have a ship. Even if I did, I wouldn't dare act recklessly. Lu Shuai responded almost immediately. Since it is neither Lu Shuai nor blueberry jam, it must certainly be Cold Front. That lad was originally coerced and likely realized that as long as his subordinate islands surpassed mine, he could unbind himself automatically. Thus, he intends to bind more islands and liberate himself from my control. Damn it, this fellow is quite cunning. He probably does not even realize that I have already discerned his intentions. Well, since you have chosen to develop subordinate island masters, do not blame me for undermining your efforts. Yichuan immediately approached the turtle's head and shouted, My turtle, are you aware of Cold Front's islands? Do you remember the route map? The turtle's enormous head promptly lifted, nodding towards Yichuan. Good, then let us return to Cold Front's islands. Yichuan smirked and commanded, Full speed ahead, as quickly as possible. The turtle nodded again, then adjusted its course and swam away. Yichuan let out a cold snort, turned, and returned to the super tablet, where he replied to messages from Blueberry Jam, Louis, and Zhao Feiyu before addressing the public chat room. I lack sufficient resources to exchange for shark meat, yet I am famished and particularly thirsty. Is there any benevolent soul willing to bestow upon me some food and water? I am willing to be your subordinate island master. Even if a prominent figure were to recruit subordinate island masters, they would surely only accept those with capabilities. Individuals like you, who have spent over 20 days in the ocean world without acquiring anything, are unlikely to be considered. A friendly reminder, do not approach the shore. Those sharks have gone mad, and some are even crashing against the rocky shores of my island. Have all island masters' islands been attacked by sharks? Or are there any who have not encountered such assaults? Observing the chats, Yichuan disregarded them and privately messaged the starving island master. Buddy, do you lack resources but possess a crafting blueprint? Chapter 51. You say you have contacted Yichuan. I only have a blueprint for the mountain-cleaving blade, but it is of little use. Came the prompt reply. You can exchange the mountain-cleaving blade blueprint with me for 500 G of shark meat. Yichuan replied immediately. The other party did not respond, but promptly placed the mountain-cleaving blade blueprint in the trading window. Yichuan quickly added the shark meat, and the transaction was completed without delay. Upon receiving the mountain-cleaving blade blueprint, Yichuan swiftly crafted it, and a short blade, 15 feet long with a straight back and edge reminiscent of a machete, appeared before him. It was not only incredibly sharp, but also exquisitely designed, exuding a subtle heft when held, far superior to his previous short sword. Wow, I actually managed to acquire such a magnificent blade. Yichuan exclaimed excitedly to himself as he waved it about. If I were to use this blade to duel Cold Front, I surely would stand a chance of defeating him. This blade also came with a sheath, allowing it to be worn at the waist without feeling cumbersome, enabling swift drawing in moments of need, perfectly ergonomic. Yichuan practiced drawing it a dozen times, becoming increasingly adept, before finally ceasing his attempts. As night fell, Yichuan prepared a sumptuous king crab and cooked 3 boxes of instant noodles, delicately placing the crab meat within and distributing them to Blueberry Jam and Louis. Blueberry Jam promptly sent a message of gratitude. Louis, however, expressed a hint of nostalgia, remarking, Today, all I consumed was the juice you provided, and my stomach has been growling with hunger. You can still share instant noodles and king crab meat with me. Truly, it's infuriating to see someone living so comfortably. Has your food run out? Yichuan inquired, puzzled. Indeed, I have only 5 or 6 bottles of mineral water left, Lu Yi replied with a sigh, echoing the sentiment. We ventured into the ocean for survival, while you seem to be on a vacation on an island. With that, she sent a series of laughing emojis. I'm merely fortunate. Otherwise, I wouldn't be enjoying such comfort, Yichuan responded promptly, urging her, hurry and eat, lest it cools down. By the way, I have some good news. I found Yichuan, Lu Yi suddenly announced. This revelation caught Yi Chuan off guard, prompting him to ask, "Are you certain it is Yi Chuan? Could someone be deceiving you? It seems unlikely." He described Yi Chuan's characteristics and claimed to know me, stating that we've been close for quite some time. As the top two in our school, there is indeed some connection between us, Louis explained. However, this fellow is merely a dreamer, since arriving on the deserted island. He's fared far worse than I have. The reason I lack food is that I gave him 2 pieces of bread and a sausage. Oh, Yi Chuan replied with a slight grimace, uttering only one word. One might consider Louis foolish for giving her scarce provisions to someone she barely knew. Yet she excelled in theoretical examinations. Conversely, one could argue her cleverness lay in recognizing Yi Chuan based solely on a few phrases, and her trust in him seemed premature. "You're not upset that I shared my food with him, are you?" Louis continued to inquire. "Not at all, but I believe you should thoroughly question him. Don't rely solely on a few words to ascertain whether he is indeed the person you seek," Yi Chuan advised, emphasizing the importance of caution. "After all, anyone from your school would likely know about you too. If he turns out to be an imposter, it would merely be a trivial loss of belongings. But wasting emotional investment is far more significant. Rest assured I will," Louis promptly replied. With that, Yi Chuan chose not to elaborate further. He had said all that needed to be said, and how she handled the potential imposter was her concern. Glancing at the trading panel, he noted that much of the shark meat had been traded, and the public chat room revealed no new developments. He decided to disregard it all and lay down on his bed, swiftly drifting into slumber. The following day, at the break of dawn, Yi Chuan opened his eyes, exited his room, and surveyed the outside world. He had arrived at the Cold Front's island. Yet, as the island leader in the public chat room had mentioned, his surroundings were teeming with sharks, at least a dozen of them. He found himself pondering how that young man had managed to row away under such perilous conditions, or perhaps he had returned. Regarding this matter, Yi Chuan paid it no heed. After ensuring the sea turtle was fully linked to the opposing island, he leapt directly to its shores. With a shovel in hand, he commenced the excavation of corn and bean plants. After half an hour of diligent labor, he successfully transplanted 35 bean plants and 15 corn stalks onto Turtle Island. Subsequently, Yi Chuan entered a quaint wooden cabin, which was surprisingly tidy, containing only a single bed and a makeshift table crafted from supply crates, upon which rested a generous handful of sunflower seeds. Nothing else was present. Nevertheless, the sunflower seeds proved to be quite valuable, and Yi Chuan pocketed them. After setting the cabin ablaze with a lighter, he returned to Turtle Island, commanding the sea turtle to return whence it came. From a distance, he beheld a towering inferno erupting on Cold Fang's island. Unless Cold Fang chose never to return, the sight of such devastation would likely induce a stroke of fury. Detected. Host has not yet signed in. Would you like to sign in? Island upgrade completed. Congratulations, host. Your island has ascended to level 6 and received an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? Unexpectedly, the sign-in and upgrade package arrived simultaneously. Yi Chuan promptly declared, "Sign in, open the package. Sign-in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 growth points, 5 plastic, 5 glass, and 2 citrus fruits. Opening. Congratulations, host. You have received 2,000 growth points for A-grade citrus fruits, 5 small nutrient solutions, and 1 blueprint for central air conditioning. The rewards from the upgrade packages for levels 5 and 6 were identical, save for the manufacturing blueprint, which had transformed into one for central air conditioning. Regrettably, it still required electricity, yet Yi Chuan proceeded to manufacture it. The system promptly installed it in a suitable location, rendering it not so out of place. The island now spanned an impressive 5,000 square meters. The areas along the periphery, once barren, had flourished with trees, soil, and blossoms. Doubling in size due to Yi Chuan's previous lack of intervention, it truly began to resemble a proper island. Particularly, the cluster of trees, standing around 4 to 5 meters tall, hinted at the potential for a forest should their numbers multiply. This prospect filled Yi Chuan with anticipation. Turning around, Yi Chuan was delighted to discover that the miraculous grass had grown over 30 centimeters tall, vibrant and lush, exuding a rich aroma. Indeed, it was extraordinary grass. Without delay, he placed 2 goats into the pen, using a blade to cut a generous handful of grass to fill the feeding trough. The goats immediately indulged, bleating joyfully at Yi Chuan. Chapter 52. The sudden shift in temperature, Yi Chuan could not help but smile slightly, cutting the remaining miraculous grass and placing it into the trough for the goats to feast upon. Presently, this miraculous grass constituted a full day's worth of food for the goats. Tomorrow, Yi Chuan would harvest again, ensuring sustenance for yet another day. At present, Yichuan filled a bucket with fresh water from the faucet and placed it in the sink. Observing that the two sheep were drinking without any issues, he felt a sense of relief. He then retrieved 2 eggs laid by hens from the chicken coop, preparing to make a delightful breakfast of sunny-side-up eggs. The day appeared unusually chilly. By the timeline, it should still be summer. After sipping a cup of boiled grate of fresh water, Yichuan gazed outside at the coolness, devoid of any sea breeze. Even the 3 little creatures were peculiarly subdued, lying quietly in their nest. Upon glancing at the chatroom, he noticed a flurry of messages discussing the same predicament. Goodness, I nearly froze this morning. How does it feel like we've plunged into winter overnight? It must be only 4 or 5 degrees. What on earth is happening? First a tsunami, then a school of sharks, and now this sudden cold. The sun has risen, yet it remains frigid. Is someone playing tricks on us? Since they all entered the ocean world, it had been entirely sealed off. Who could possibly be behind this? Just wild guesses. Yet, this situation felt utterly absurd. It seemed something significant was about to unfold. Let us take it one step at a time. If we've truly entered the depths of winter, half of us might freeze. Yichuan realized he wasn't the only one feeling cold. Everyone else was too. Understanding this collective discomfort indicated an issue with the ocean realm, he decided not to dwell on it and hurried outside to open the supply crates. After hoarding supplies for the past 2 days, 5 more crates had appeared near the turtle's head, all of which Yichuan opened. 2 wooden planks, 2 plastics, 5 cottons, 3 metal sheets, 2 more cottons, and 1 bottle of mineral water. To his astonishment, he had discovered a total of 17 pieces of cotton. What could cotton be used for? Perhaps bedding? Yichuan felt somewhat perplexed by the rules governing this world, as they seemed to diverge significantly from both the theoretical and practical knowledge he had learned. He had often heard the previous island masters recount their early days in the ocean world, which typically followed a straightforward development path. There had never been anything like a tsunami, a school of sharks, or such erratic weather. Could it be that his binding to the system had somehow altered the entire ocean world? Checking the description of cotton, he noted, cotton, consumable. 10 pieces can be woven into a bolt of fabric. Was this not tailor-made for him? Yichuan's expression shifted. He had previously acquired a loom, which he once deemed trivial, yet now it proved to be invaluable. Immediately, he placed the loom in a corner of the living room and retrieved 10 pieces of cotton, weaving a batch of fluffy fabric that appeared impressively thick. This single piece of fabric could at least yield 3 garments. He mused softly while caressing the material. After placing the item in the inventory, Yichuan returned to his room and glanced at the public chatroom's messages. Wow, I can't believe I opened a supply box and found cotton. Does this mean winter is approaching? Regardless of what you all think, I feel this is a test from the ocean world, akin to the challenges presented by tsunamis and shark swarms. We are truly enduring a hellish initiation period. Indeed, listening to the experiences shared by those who came before us, none have faced such adversity. This oceanic realm seems intent on putting us through trials. Everyone can dismantle the lines from the fishing nets and connect the cotton pieces to wear for warmth. But how much cotton will we need? Don't be ridiculous. Yichuan rolled his eyes, sensing the cotton would soon prove invaluable. He hurriedly boiled a large pot of water, preparing to trade 200 milliliters of hot water for 3 pieces of cotton. He promptly listed 50 portions, causing an uproar in the public chatroom. Wow, did you see? Someone is trading cotton for boiled water. This is exactly what we need right now. It's as if the heavens are smiling upon us. I just found 5 pieces of cotton, perfect for exchanging for a portion of hot water, refreshing and warm. I only have 3 pieces. I wonder if that can get me some boiled water. My personal suggestion is that everyone should be cautious about trading their cotton. Given the sudden drop in temperature and the unexpected appearance of cotton in supply boxes, doesn't that seem suspicious? Regardless, I'm cold and thirsty. I need to trade for some water immediately. As the conversation in the public chatroom continued, Yichuan's transactions progressed slowly, and he quickly returned to boiling more water. At that moment, Blueberry Jam sent him a private message. Brother, I see someone trading boiled water. I have 5 pieces of cotton. Should we trade? Silly girl, that's me trading. Yichuan thought, glancing back at the message, feeling a sense of exasperation. How could anyone believe this girl could ever lead a fleet? Goodness, you have so much boiled water. Blueberry Jam exclaimed. Then I'll give you all my cotton in exchange for some water. I'm freezing. All right, give me the cotton. I believe it will be useful, and if needed, I'll return it to you. Yichuan replied, promptly trading her 500 milliliters of boiled water. Island Master, do we need to trade for boiled water? At that moment, a subordinate Island Master contacted Wang Sanrui. He had seen the messages in the public chatroom and was keenly aware of the water being traded. The sudden appearance of cotton certainly indicated its utility, but he was uncertain of its exact purpose. After some contemplation, Wang Sanrui directly inquired, "How much cotton do we have in total?" "I have just contacted our affiliated island master. Today, everyone has harvested cotton, and if all are gathered, there are approximately over 500. "So many?" Wang Sanrui was taken aback and promptly replied, "Consolidate all the cotton and deliver it to me." "Understood." The affiliated island master immediately set to work. Half an hour later, Wang Sanrui possessed 546 units of cotton. He set aside 100, using the remainder to trade for plain water. Yichuan suddenly noticed that there were still over 20 units of plain water left, which were suddenly all traded away. Chapter 53. Hoarding water? Let us see if I can't make you choke. The sudden disappearance of more than 20 units could not have been the work of multiple individuals trading simultaneously. The only plausible explanation was that a single person had purchased all 20-plus units at once. Yichuan chuckled and promptly listed another 50 units, but as before, the buyer swiftly acquired all the plain water. Wang Sanrui, Yichuan pondered aloud. 50 units equated to 150 units of cotton. Unless someone like Wang Sanrui, a more prominent independent island master, gathered all the cotton from the affiliated island masters, it would be impossible to clear so much plain water in an instant. Let us see just how much you can consume. Yichuan smiled coldly and listed another 50 units, which were again snatched up in the blink of an eye. What the hell? I refuse to believe this. Yichuan was taken aback and listed yet another 50 units. This time, the buyer only acquired a few, and then the plain water transactions came to a halt. After a few minutes of stagnation, trading resumed slowly. It appears this fellow possesses over 400 units of cotton. Yichuan mused, truly remarkable. In just one morning, he managed to amass over 400 units of cotton, and surely, he has more than this. Indeed, the power of collective effort is formidable. Regardless of others, this fellow is bound to achieve success. In the public chat room, everyone was equally perplexed. What just happened? I was about to make a trade, and suddenly, 50 units of plain water vanished instantly. Which magnate is hoarding plain water? That's 150 units of cotton in one go. Who could be so extravagant? Is it not obvious? It must be Wang Sanrui, who deceived over 30 island masters. Who else could manage such a feat? Yet, I can't fathom why this magnate would hoard so much cotton. Could it be true, as that chap suggested, that he intends to weave cotton into clothing using fishing line for warmth? Let us not dwell on the cold. The more we talk about it, the colder it gets. I should run laps around the island. A few rounds will warm me up. Great idea. I'll join you for a run. Observing these naive island masters, Yichuan shook his head and sent 500 milliliters of plain water to Zhao Feiyu, Lu Yi, and Lu Shuai. "So, you are the one acquiring cotton. You've hoarded so much plain water." Lu Yi replied with a surprised expression. "Not too shabby. My seawater to drinking water converter can keep up. Though boiling water is somewhat troublesome," Yichuan responded promptly. "It's certainly better than drinking bottled water," Lu Yi remarked. "Take your time. After all, you're still a novice. As you progress, it should become easier," Yichuan replied with a smile. "You should drink this water yourself and refrain from sharing it with others, in these times. Even the landlords have no surplus." "Understood," Lu Yi responded promptly. As the chill in the air intensified, Yichuan pondered, "Will the things I've planted survive the frost?" He stepped outside his room and glanced around before inquiring, "System, will the current low temperatures affect the crops on the island?" The marine plants have been specially cultivated to withstand temperatures around 0 degrees. "If it drops any lower, you must devise a solution yourself," the system replied promptly. "That's hardly helpful," Yichuan muttered, slightly pouting. "I suppose I'll just have to wait and see. If it gets too cold, I'll have to burn a lot of wooden planks to warm these plants. In any case, they will surely survive." Noticing that the fish listed for trade were nearly sold out, Yichuan immediately employed the semi-automatic fishing net once more, hauling in a substantial catch. Among them, ordinary sea fish were the most plentiful, though there were also plenty of king crabs and squids. Yichuan quickly listed all the ordinary sea fish for trade before heading to plant the sunflower seeds he had acquired from Cold Front, confident that soon he would be able to enjoy a bounty of sunflower seeds. Merely drinking plain water is rather uninspiring. It lacks flavor. Observing that he had boiled another pot of plain water, Yichuan poured it into a thermos but shook his head slightly. The 2 ancient tea trees he had obtained from his previous trade still rested in his inventory, as he had not yet found a suitable location for them. Now that the island's soil had evolved, Yichuan's expression brightened as he asked, "System, can I plant the ancient tea trees in ordinary soil?" "Yes," the system responded instantly. "However, ordinary soil will not enhance the quality of the ancient tea trees. It can only maintain their current state." "That's good to hear." Yichuan smiled broadly. He had already identified a location near the fertile black soil greenbelt, currently overgrown with some weeds. The soil there was approximately 30 centimeters deep. Yichuan promptly loosened the ground, removed the weeds, and mixed in 100 kilograms of fertile black soil with the ordinary soil, increasing the depth to 50 centimeters, which was perfect for planting the root ball of an ancient tea tree. Without delay, Yichuan took one of the ancient tea trees and planted it in the prepared soil. He then fetched a small bucket of fresh water, mixing in 500 milliliters of A-grade fresh water to ensure the tree's survival. Once he completed these tasks, he wiped the sweat from his brow. Despite the cold weather, his exertions had caused him to sweat. Ah, how refreshing. Yichuan exhaled a deep breath, smiling to himself. Although the ancient tea tree appeared lush and vibrant, he decided to let it grow for a few more days before harvesting the tea leaves. As for the other tree, it awaits the moment when fertile black soil appears for planting. However, it is worth mentioning that today, the anticipated fertile black soil has not manifested. Could it be that, after the evolution of the island's soil, the fertile black earth has ceased to exist? This thought left Yichuan feeling a twinge of regret, especially since his aromatic grass had merely traced a semicircle around the house. Even if the fertile black soil were to vanish, it would be prudent to at least wait until the house was adorned with greenery before lamenting its absence. Lost in contemplation, a sudden sharp sound broke his reverie as the giant head of a sea turtle extended, executing a dramatic move that sent 2 supply boxes flying towards the shore. Unfortunately, this display of bravado backfired, as one of the boxes veered off course and plunged into the sea. With a resounding crash, a dolphin shot out of the water like an arrow, colliding with the errant box and redirecting it back on track, landing alongside the other box on the shore. Goodness, even the sea turtle has taken to showing off. Yichuan chuckled to himself as he approached, eager to see if there was cotton within. However, upon opening one of the boxes, he found himself momentarily stunned. Chapter 54, The Emergence of the Sewing Machine, Creating Cotton Clothing. Cotton 2, Wooden Planks 2, Sewing Machine Blueprint 1. To his astonishment, a sewing machine blueprint had been revealed. He had just been fretting over how to utilize the abundant cotton he had gathered, as it seemed impossible to convert it into clothing. Yet, the sewing machine blueprint arrived, as if by fate. Yichuan could not help but burst into joyous laughter. Examining the requirements to craft the sewing machine: 1 sewing machine blueprint, 50 metal sheets, 10 plastic pieces, and 5 cloth pieces. He had everything on hand, so he promptly set about creating the sewing machine. In no time, a machine, towering at 1 meter and measuring approximately 1.5 meters in length and width, materialized before him. Yichuan immediately transported it into his home, placing it alongside the loom. After studying the sewing machine, he discovered that producing a single garment required 1 piece of fabric and 5 cloth pieces, with 3 available modes. 1 piece of fabric could fabricate 3 shirts, 3 pairs of pants, or 1 complete outfit. Without hesitation, Yichuan selected the option to create 3 shirts from 1 piece of fabric, promptly consuming the materials and producing 3 perfectly sized shirts. The cotton fabric ensured that the garments were warm and cozy, a thoughtful touch indeed. He quickly proceeded to craft 3 pairs of cotton pants to match the shirts, meaning that with just 2 pieces of fabric, he could create 3 complete outfits, far more efficient than the previous method of 1 outfit per piece of fabric. My calculations are indeed sound, he mused. Currently, he possessed over 600 pieces of cotton, which would yield more than 60 pieces of fabric, translating to over 90 cotton garments. Observing the temperature dipping slightly, he estimated it would soon plummet to just 1 or 2 degrees, leaving everyone in dire need of such warm clothing to fend off the cold. Regardless of other matters, Yichuan first adorned himself with a complete outfit, then set the weaving and garment machines to work incessantly. As dusk approached, he had already produced 92 sets of cotton clothing. He promptly messaged Lu Yi privately. "Is it cold? It's freezing here. I estimate the temperature has dropped to around 0 degrees. Lu Yi quickly replied, "I just ran a lap around the island to warm up, but now my hands are nearly frozen." Observing Lu Yi's message, Yichuan's lips curled into a smile, and he placed a set of cotton clothing in the trading bar. "Hurry and put it on, don't freeze." "What the heck?" Lu Yi exclaimed upon seeing the cotton clothing. "How do you even have cotton clothes?" "I set up a garment machine and coincidentally have a weaving machine, just perfect for crafting clothing from cotton," Yichuan boasted. Lu Yi did not utter another word but immediately accepted the trade. After a few seconds, he responded, "I've noticed that anything we need, you seem to possess. I truly admire you more and more." Of course, Yichuan sent several laughing emojis and distributed 1 set each to Lan Mei Guijiang and Zhao Feiyu. "Brother, you even have cotton clothes." Lan Mei Guijiang replied instantly, "This is serious. When I see you, I must perform a striptease dance to express my gratitude. I must repay your great kindness." Is it really that serious? Yichuan responded with a smirk. It absolutely is. Lan Mei Guijiang sent a shy emoji. After all, I'm saving myself for the first time, hee. Taken aback, Yichuan sent her 500 milliliters of boiled water, and after that, he refrained from further conversation. Zhao Feiyu accepted the cotton clothing with a simple thank you. However, Lu Shu praised him profusely with a flurry of compliments, which Yichuan ignored. Instead, turning to the public chatroom. Can someone explain what is happening? Is it due to a cold front? Will it get any better tomorrow? Dude, you need to worry about whether you can make it through tonight. My bottle of mineral water has already frozen. The current temperature is probably between 0 and 1 degree. And I don't know if it will get colder tonight. Oh my god, this isn't a beginner's phase of ocean survival. It's meant to kill us. What about that guy who traded boiled water for cotton? I need to trade for boiled water. Quickly restock some. Yichuan smiled slightly. Indeed, he should procure more water and aggressively acquire cotton to produce more cotton clothing for trading valuable items. At that moment, Yichuan grabbed a bucket intending to fetch another barrel of tap water, but upon turning on the faucet, no water flowed out, leaving him momentarily stunned. He glanced at the water tank and found it empty. Could a shark have damaged the water collection device? He pondered, immediately making his way along the pipeline, smacking his forehead in realization. The island had upgraded, expanding in size, and the plastic pipes were insufficiently long. The water collection device and small generator were now positioned on the shore, nearly 10 meters away from the water's edge. Yichuan's initial thought was to extend the plastic pipe, but upon further reflection, he realized that even if he extended it this time, what would happen when the area expanded again? Would he need to continue extending it? This cycle would inevitably lead to extensions of 100 meters or even 1,000. Clearly, this was not the optimal solution. As twilight descended, Yichuan decided to postpone his deliberation until the next day. He promptly grabbed a wooden bucket and began filling the large tank with water. By the time darkness enveloped the surroundings, he had finally filled the water reservoir. He then connected the tap water and set it to boil, subsequently preparing 150 servings. However, the boiled water was now exchanged at the rate of 100 milliliters for 3 pieces of cotton. In an instant, the public chatroom erupted. Wow. The big shot has listed boiled water again, but this time it's 100 milliliters for 3 pieces of cotton. This is outrageous. What a greedy merchant. The others debated whether to trade or not, pondering how to endure the cold for the next 9 hours until dawn without hot water. This guy is truly unscrupulous. I suggest we all boycott him and refrain from trading. He will undoubtedly increase the quantity. Go ahead and boycott him yourself. I'm freezing to death and need to trade for a few sips. Friends, hold on. Watching the chat messages. Yichuan merely smiled faintly and listed 5 sets of cotton clothes, though he did not specify what he would accept in trade. The public chatroom exploded once more. Did you see that? A big shot is selling cotton clothes, and he has 5 sets. How on earth did he acquire them? The pressing question was not how he obtained the cotton clothes, but rather what he intended to exchange them for. Surely, he wouldn't settle for mere resources. Never mind. I'll just ask. I'm willing to trade my most precious possession for it. My life is at stake. Right now, my most treasured items are 2 loaves of bread and 3 sausages. I wonder if I can trade for something. What good is asking me? Go ask the big shot. Amidst the discussions among the island masters, Yichuan received numerous private messages. Chapter 55, Cotton Clothes for Resources, A Small Fortune. Big shot. I have 10 bottles of mineral water. Can I exchange them for a set of cotton clothes? Big shot. I'm willing to become your subordinate island master. Just for a set of cotton clothes. Please, I beg for a set of cotton clothes. I'm a beauty, and I'm willing to offer myself to you. As he perused these private messages, Yichuan found no worthy island masters among them, but one message piqued his interest. He couldn't help but respond. Are you sure you want to trade me the tent blueprint? I already possess a tent. This blueprint is merely surplus. Without hesitation, the other party replied, I just want a set of cotton clothes. Even in the tent, I am still quite cold. All right. Yichuan responded decisively. In an instant, the two completed the trade. Yichuan certainly did not intend to keep the tent for himself. He planned to reserve it for Lu Yi later. However, that was not the immediate concern, as Lu Yi had cotton clothes and could manage for at least one night. Just as Yichuan intended to place items into the system's inventory, an unexpected notification appeared. Warning, your inventory is full, and you cannot place any more items. This caught Yichuan off guard, prompting him to realize that the system's inventory currently consisted of only 18 slots, with basic wooden boards and similar resources occupying a third of the space. With various other odds and ends, it was indeed filled to capacity. It seems that managing storage will be a significant task moving forward. Yichuan mused, slightly pouting. After a moment of contemplation, He decided to place the crafting blueprint on the table and turned his attention to his private messages. After filtering through several irrelevant chats, one message captured his attention. And to his surprise, it was from Wang Sanrui. My friend, I have some items I would like to trade for a few sets of cotton clothing. Curious. Yichuan responded, what do you have? Wang Sanrui replied, 1 S-level coconut sapling, 1 warehouse blueprint, 1 wooden boat blueprint, and 2 liters of boiled water. Yichuan was taken aback. This fellow actually possessed an S-level coconut sapling. Up to this point, the best plant he had harvested was only at A level, while Wang had already acquired an S level. A twinge of envy stirred within him. Moreover, if he was willing to trade an S-level coconut sapling, he surely had more than just that one. Without delay, Yichuan replied, for the first 3 items, I can offer you 3 sets of cotton clothing. I have boiled water, which holds little value. Wang Sanrui pondered Yichuan's proposition, noticing that Yichuan had responded in mere seconds. He quickly replied, make it 5 sets for those 3 items. Take it or leave it. Yichuan countered, then turned his attention to other private messages, ignoring Wang Sanrui thereafter. Wang Sanrui was momentarily stunned. He had anticipated numerous responses from Yichuan, but never imagined he would reply with such confidence. However, upon reflection, it made sense. After all, cotton clothing was in high demand among all island owners, and Yichuan's assertiveness was not so surprising. This rascal must be the one trading boiled water for cotton. Wang Sanrui muttered through clenched teeth. Not only did he possess an abundance of boiled water, but he also managed to craft cotton clothing. Who exactly was this individual? Ultimately, Wang Sanrui acquiesced, exchanging the 3 items for 3 sets of cotton clothing. He immediately informed his subordinate assistant island owners. I have 2 sets of cotton clothing. Notify everyone that those with valuable items can come to trade. Understood. The subordinate assistant island owner, taken aback, could not help but admire Wang Sanrui deeply. Truly, a remarkable independent island owner. I didn't expect him to procure 2 sets of cotton clothing so swiftly. One cannot help but respect that. With those 3 items in his possession, Yichuan felt elated. Just as he contemplated establishing a warehouse blueprint was handed to him. It appeared that many individuals still had valuable items to offer. This evening seemed promising for acquiring more treasures, so he resolved to stay awake until midnight. With that thought, Yichuan promptly concealed his ID and sent a message in the public chat room. Cotton clothing will be sold until midnight at the latest. Those interested should act swiftly. Although soon overshadowed by the flood of news, it stirred quite a commotion in the public chat room. My goodness, who was that esteemed individual speaking just now? Pray tell, how did you acquire your cotton coat? Were you the one purchasing cotton this morning? Good heavens, the esteemed one only sells until midnight. And there are merely 3 hours left. I must hasten to the sea to salvage another supply box. Should I uncover something valuable, it would be a windfall. I just had a private chat with the esteemed one, but alas, my possessions did not pique their interest. Sigh, I have lost all hope. Fortunately, I managed to find a lighter that can be used 30 times. I have ignited the wooden planks, and gathering around the fire feels quite warm. The planks should last through the night. Esteemed one, might I rent your lighter for a moment to ignite my planks? My limbs are nearly frozen. It seems many have an abundance of wooden planks. Very well, I shall now hang out on the rental interface. Let us endure this time together. As he perused the chat logs, Yichuan couldn't help but press his lips together. It appeared he was not the only one to have found a lighter. Since this individual had procured a lighter, it was certain that others had also discovered similar items, perhaps matches or the like. While he currently had the system at his side, he must not succumb to arrogance. Time ticked by, and soon it was past 11. After over 2 hours of private transactions, Yichuan managed to acquire some fine goods. Someone even traded 5 sausages, 10 bottles of mineral water, and a jar of Laogan Ma for a complete set of cotton clothing. Another individual offered 100 of each of the 6 resources that had recently appeared. As the hour grew late, the variety of items Yichuan obtained became increasingly eclectic, with food items dominating his haul. For the upcoming period, even if he refrained from fishing for seafood, the food he traded for tonight would sustain him for a month. It seemed about time to retire for the night. As the clock struck midnight, and thinking no one would come to trade anymore, Yichuan stretched and prepared to sleep. Just then, a new message from a friend popped up. It was Louis. Do you still have a cotton coat? Could you lend me a set? Yichuan paused, already suspecting a possible scenario. I've been deceived, he realized. Louis knew I had a cotton coat and suggested we each wear one for an hour, allowing us both to survive the night. Louis, somewhat exasperated, lamented that after he lent her the coat, she completely ignored him. It had been 3 hours, and he was nearly frozen to death. Sister, do you still believe he is Yichuan? Yichuan asked, his lips twitching in frustration. Chapter 56. Artificial intervention in island evolution? I'm not sure. I can hardly believe that Yichuan would act in such a manner. Lu Yi remained deeply disappointed. The Yichuan she remembered was worlds apart from the one before her. Yichuan felt an urge to fly over and deliver a couple of punches. This woman, who had risen to be the second best student in the school, should possess a fair degree of intelligence. Yet, at this moment, her intellect seemed sorely lacking. The fact that someone had deceived her into relinquishing her cotton coat, and she still believed he was Yichuan, left him utterly speechless. However, Yichuan could not bear to see her exposed to the cold all night, and promptly provided her with a set of cotton clothing. I still wish to express to you that I firmly believe Yichuan could never be that kind of person. I hope this incident serves as a lesson for you. I understand, thank you. Lu Yi responded with a crying emoji. Yichuan was momentarily at a loss for words. After a deep sigh, he muted the messages and went to sleep. The following day, feeling as though the sun had already risen high in the sky, Yichuan finally awoke, glancing at his tablet to discover that it was already past 9 in the morning. To his astonishment, he had received an overwhelming number of unread private messages, over several 100,000. This truly startled Yichuan, considering that, even if heavy rains and tsunamis had carried away half the population, there were still 15 million individuals in the novice zone. Thus, several 100,000 messages were not surprising. Given the sheer volume, Yichuan quickly marked all messages as read, then stretched lazily before leaving his room, calling out, "Check-in. Check-in successful. Congratulations to the host for receiving 1,000 evolution points, 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, and 1 furnace manufacturing blueprint." More fertile black soil had arrived, along with a furnace manufacturing blueprint. Yichuan felt a surge of excitement and mused to himself. Currently, the temperature seems to hover between 0 and 1 degree, likely stabilized for the time being. This temperature was the minimum threshold that plants and crops could endure. Growth might be slow, but that was the extent of it. He took out a pancake, slathered it with lao gan ma, and added 2 sausage links. Upon taking a bite, he exclaimed in delight, "What a delectable treat. I wouldn't trade this for anything." He devoured the entire meal in one go and drank 300 milliliters of A-grade fresh water. Afterward, he prepared 4 more pancakes with sausage and lao gan ma, distributing 1 to each of the 4 members of the group, which thrilled them immensely. After all, many had a penchant for spicy food, yet after such a prolonged period of consuming the same bland fare, their palates had become dulled. Having lao gan ma felt like a warm furnace in the heart of winter. For the moment, Yichuan chose to ignore the influx of messages and made his way to the water collector. He pondered for a while, initially intending to dig a canal to divert water to this area. Even if he could not create a flowing stream immediately, he could at least use a wooden bucket to draw water. However, he quickly realized that this plan was unfeasible. After all, this was the back of a sea turtle. Despite the subtle curvature, the overall shape was low on both sides and high in the middle, making drainage impossible. After several minutes of contemplation, an idea struck him. He turned back to his room and directly inquired in the public chat room, "Who has a pawn manufacturing blueprint? I can exchange it for a set of cotton clothing." In an instant, numerous individuals began to message Yichuan privately. Ultimately, he noticed one particular message. "Big brother, I have a canal manufacturing blueprint. Would you be willing to trade?" A canal manufacturing blueprint? Yichuan was taken aback. It was unexpected that a canal could have a manufacturing blueprint. Was it possible to conjure a ditch out of thin air? All right then, let us make the trade. Yichuan ultimately acquiesced, trading his last cotton garment for the manufacturing blueprint. He promptly dashed out of the room and ventured approximately 10 meters towards the seawater desalination converter, where he contemplated the construction of a channel. To his surprise, the requirements included only 1 channel blueprint and 50 stones. Was it truly that simple? Merely stacking stones to create a waterway on flat ground? Yet, Yichuan sensed that the task could not be so straightforward. After swiftly adjusting the flow direction, he selected the manufacturing option. In an instant, a channel measuring 25 meters in length and approximately 50 centimeters in width materialized before him. It was then that Yichuan realized the crux of channel construction lay not in the stones forming the waterway, but rather in the curvature of the channel's bottom. Although the channel's design sloped from the center to the sides, upon completion, the curvature was inverted, creating a smooth bottom that would undoubtedly allow seawater to flow through. With this revelation, Yichuan returned the water pump and small generator to the sea, connecting the plastic tubing to the channel and fabricating another pipe that extended into the water tank at the end of the channel. Thus, even if the turtle were to upgrade twice more, it would have no impact on this setup. Shortly after creating the channel, the system's voice startled Yichuan. The host is intervening in the evolution of the island. It may be evolving in an unknown direction. Had he truly interfered with the island's evolution? Pondering this, Yichuan inquired, Is it good or bad to intervene in the island's evolution? I've constructed a channel here. Could it possibly lead to the emergence of a river? Both favorable and unfavorable outcomes were possible. The system responded. Only time would reveal the effects of the island's next evolution. Goodness, what a revelation! Yichuan exclaimed, unable to suppress a grin. He had inadvertently influenced the evolution of the island. If this channel were indeed to evolve into a river, he would be quite fortunate. After all, a river on the island would certainly be a freshwater river. Filled with anticipation, Yichuan returned to his room. He glanced at the super tablet. Where the public chat room was abuzz with activity. I nearly froze to death last night. I burned over 50 planks of wood just to make it through. I didn't sleep at all. I ran laps every hour, totaling nearly 10 laps. I'm utterly exhausted, yet it's still freezing. Let us eat something. Once full, the cold won't bother us. Are you joking? Eating requires food. I've finished the shark meat I traded for a few days ago. And now I'm both cold and hungry. I doubt I'll survive today. Everyone's having a rough time. I hope this cold weather passes swiftly. After checking the trading section, Yichuan saw that all the boiled water he had listed had been successfully traded, leaving him with 450 units of cotton. He immediately crafted 45 bolts of cotton fabric and then utilized the sewing machine to create 67 sets of cotton garments, promptly listing them for trade. Cotton clothing in exchange for rare resources and manufacturing blueprints. Within mere seconds, a plethora of private messages inundated Yichuan, leaving him quite overwhelmed. However, he soon discerned a peculiar trend. A significant number of individuals were eager to exchange furnace blueprints for cotton clothing. Were these blueprints procured from the opening of supply chests? Chapter 57. A frenzied acquisition of furnace blueprints. Yichuan promptly inquired of one individual, "Brother, from whence did you obtain this furnace blueprint?" "It was drawn from a supply chest." The other party responded immediately, "Boss, could I possibly trade for a set of cotton clothing? I'm on the verge of freezing to death. You cannot fathom how cold it was last night." Without even reading the subsequent message, Yichuan swiftly deleted the contact, muttering to himself, "Since furnace blueprints have surfaced, does this imply that charcoal will soon follow? If I acquire these blueprints now, might I not profit handsomely when the charcoal becomes available and I utilize the blueprints to trade for other resources?" Theoretically, this notion held merit, yet Yichuan felt a tinge of uncertainty. He promptly queried the system, with the furnace blueprints being widely distributed. Does this mean that charcoal will soon emerge? The oceanic world will release charcoal in 6 hours. The system replied without delay. Upon hearing this, Yichuan's expression shifted, and he hastened to boil water. After bringing a large pot to a boil, he immediately set to work, trading a high ratio of 300 milliliters of boiled water for one furnace blueprint, and he quickly amassed 50 blueprints before boiling more water. Meanwhile, the public chat room erupted into fervent discussion. Did everyone see? A prominent figure exchanged 300 milliliters of boiled water for a furnace blueprint. What on earth could these blueprints be used for? They must be for charcoal production, but thus far, we haven't even managed to obtain a single piece of charcoal. Are we merely gazing blankly at these blueprints? Even if we possess the blueprints, they're of no use. Better to trade for boiled water. I believe it must hold some value. It would be wiser to retain them. I'll wait 3 more hours. If charcoal is released, I'll be in luck. If not, I'll immediately trade for boiled water. You fool, will the boiled water wait for you for 3 hours? By then, it will be cold. Though the island masters harbored fantasies regarding the furnace blueprints, reality dictated that boiled water was the more pressing solution. Regardless of the prevailing sentiments among the majority of island masters, Yichuan continued to engage in slow but steady transactions. More than 2 hours passed, and Yichuan had boiled 5 large pots of water, ultimately exchanging for 250 furnace blueprints. Although the transactions were gradual, Yichuan remained confident that he would complete them. At this moment, Wang Sanrui furrowed his brow, observing that someone was trading water for furnace blueprints on the transaction interface. It was evident this individual was not idly passing time. Wang Sanrui even suspected that the sellers of cotton clothing and the buyers of furnace blueprints were one and the same person, someone who always seemed to be a step ahead of the island masters in anticipating forthcoming events. Could this present an opportunity for himself? As the thought struck him, Wang Sanrui promptly inquired of the assistant island master, "How much fresh water do we have left?" 20 liters, the assistant island master swiftly replied. "Let us take out 10 liters and divide it into 40 portions. Each 250 milliliters will be exchanged for a furnace manufacturing blueprint." Wang Sanrui decisively declared. "But brother, the others are exchanging 300 milliliters. If we lower it to 250 milliliters, will anyone agree to the trade?" The assistant island master questioned. "Do not forget the vast population of the oceanic world." Wang Sanrui retorted coldly. Hurry and take care of it. Time is of the essence. Understood, the assistant island master said, refraining from further comment as he set to work. Meanwhile, the public chat room erupted once more. Another prominent figure has listed fresh water to acquire furnace manufacturing blueprints. I've noticed this too. Why are these big players so intent on acquiring furnace blueprints? What is their significance? Regardless of their utility, the fact that these luminaries are interested indicates their worth. I've decided not to trade my fresh water. I shall hold on to it. Yes, I too will retain mine. One never knows when it may prove invaluable. At that moment, Yi Chuan, having finished boiling the last pot of fresh water, noticed the trading information and chuckled. However, he remained unconcerned. With such a large population base, it was inevitable that someone would relent and engage in trade. Even if 1,000,000 people were to list furnace blueprints, surely a few hundred among them would succumb to the allure of fresh water? Just as Yi Chuan prepared to take a break, the sheep in the pen suddenly began to bleat loudly, startling him. He smacked his forehead in realization. He had been so busy that he had completely forgotten about the sheep, not to mention the chickens that also needed tending. Immediately, Yi Chuan dealt a few sea fish to the chickens, added some fresh water, and then rushed to harvest the miraculous grass, dumping it all into the feed trough. Apologies. Apologies. You must be starving. I've been so preoccupied that I completely forgot about you. I've still got a pile of things in my room that I haven't had the chance to turn into a storage facility. Please don't hold it against me. The two goats immediately began to feast, neglecting Yi Chuan altogether. Sigh, I wonder when you will give birth so I can have a sip of warm goatess milk. Yi Chuan mused, watching the goats graze eagerly. System, when can these two goats mate and have kids? He found himself asking almost unconsciously. At any time, the system responded. What? Yi Chuan was taken aback and asked, System, you must be joking. They haven't even birthed yet, and they can produce milk? The system did not answer, leaving Yi Chuan to ponder whether it was unable to respond or simply deemed the inquiry unworthy of a reply. He attributed this peculiarity to the dual rules of the oceanic world and the system, and promptly ran to fetch a bucket to the sheep pen. Well, it seems quite large. It should be able to yield some milk. However, Yi Chuan felt somewhat at a loss regarding this matter. He had never learned the necessary skill. After a brief moment of indecision, Yi Chuan hurried back to his room and promptly sent a message in the public chat room. Who knows how to milk? Although his message was soon drowned in a sea of chatter, some individuals in the chat room noticed it. Wow, someone is actually asking who can milk. Could they possibly have a cow? Unlikely, considering we're in an oceanic world where supply crates cannot yield living creatures. Yet, could it be that the person was merely joking? What kind of life must they lead to jest in such a manner? Just because one cannot obtain living creatures does not imply that others cannot. This time, the ocean survival experience was markedly different from the rigidly traditional ones. Have you not realized this? The world of the elite is beyond our comprehension. While everyone engaged in discussions surrounding this matter, it seemed no one truly cared about the issue at hand, leaving Yi Chuan somewhat speechless. Just as he contemplated sending another message, someone finally initiated a private chat with him. Hello, may I inquire what you wish to milk? Chapter 58. A-Class Goat Milk. The Advantages of Information Discrepancy. Upon glancing at the ID, which read Lu Yi Wei Wei, it was evident that she was a girl. Yi Chuan promptly replied, I have a goat here that meets the milking conditions, but I am somewhat uncertain about the process. It's quite simple, really. It can be summarized in 3 steps. Lu Yi Wei Wei replied immediately. First, you must warm your hands. Then, grasp the goat's udder with your thumb and the base of your palm, lifting it upwards to guide the milk into the nipple. Next, press down firmly with your thumb to prevent backflow, while using your other 4 fingers to squeeze the nipple and extract the milk. It appeared straightforward. Yet Yi Chuan suspected the execution would be more challenging. He responded, It seems simple enough, but I anticipate it may prove difficult in practice. Indeed, it is a process that requires practice to master, she replied with a smile. As long as you grasp the technique, it will feel quite easy. I spent some time on my family's ranch as a child, and during my first attempt, I too was unfamiliar with the process, but it became quite manageable. I shall give it a try, Yi Chuan said, sending a request to add her as a friend before rushing off to put her instructions into practice. With a small wooden bucket in hand, Yi Chuan approached the goat from behind and began to follow Lu Yi Wei Wei's guidance. To his astonishment, he successfully extracted goat milk, which gushed forth like a fountain, pure and white. The mother goat was remarkably docile, merely standing still without any erratic behavior, further endearing him to the task. In a mere hour, he had managed to milk an impressive 5 pounds of milk. Such speed is truly astonishing, Yi Chuan exclaimed. As he gazed at the goat milk, the system promptly provided an explanation. A-class goat milk, upon consumption, enhances physical constitution, prevents mild ailments, and alleviates fatigue. With effects 3 times that of A-class freshwater. Yichuan's eyes widened in disbelief. Although the system had not rated the 2 goats, the milk he had extracted was classified as A-class, boasting effects 3-fold that of A-class freshwater. Without a doubt, this meant he would be fortuitously free from ailments in the future, and merely contemplating it filled him with joy. Carrying the goat's milk back to the room, Yichuan glanced at the super tablet and realized it was already past 3 in the afternoon. Without hesitation, he rushed outside to find a vacant space, intending to construct a warehouse first. After examining the requirements for building the warehouse, he noted that it needed a warehouse blueprint, 200 wooden planks, and 100 nails. Fortunately, he had ample materials on hand. Without a moment's delay, he initiated the construction, and before him, a warehouse measuring 20 meters in length and 15 meters in width materialized. It even featured a thoughtfully designed door equipped with a password lock. Yichuan promptly transported all the items he had gathered into the warehouse, and the room, which had previously been overflowing, suddenly felt remarkably spacious. The warehouse spanned an impressive 300 square meters, and astonishingly, the indoor temperature was nearly 10 degrees Celsius, making it quite suitable for storing various items. After inspecting the warehouse, Yichuan nodded in approval and turned back to the room. It appeared that Lu Yawai had already sent him a friend request, but he chose not to engage with her just yet. Instead, he focused on the public chat room. Wow, I actually managed to produce charcoal, and a single resource box contained 3 pieces of charcoal. At least I won't freeze tonight. It became clear why that influential person had been acquiring furnace blueprints. It turned out we could indeed produce charcoal. But how did he know that charcoal could be obtained? It seemed that no one had produced any charcoal in the morning. Uncertain about this, Yichuan noted that he had not traded his furnace blueprint for plain water. Instead, he had produced 5 pieces of charcoal. He had already rented a lighter to ignite the furnace. 1 piece of charcoal could burn for 3 hours. And within a 2-meter radius of the furnace, the temperature could rise to around 15 degrees Celsius. It was simply delightful. Words failed to capture the experience. However, he lamented that his furnace blueprint had been traded for plain water. Now, he found himself without a furnace blueprint or warm clothing. Was he to be eliminated in this oceanic world? He boldly speculated that each individual had only one chance to produce a furnace blueprint, and it would never be obtainable again. Those who had traded their furnace blueprints were in for a tragedy. To the ones who acquired our furnace blueprint, come forth and return it to us. As he read through the chat records, Yichuan couldn't help but smirk, promptly listing all his furnace blueprints for trade. Furnace blueprint. A rare item for sale. Act quickly. Those who noticed the trading interface began to privately message him with insults. While the public chat room erupted in a frenzy of complaints, that guy who was buying furnace blueprints has started selling them. It's utterly infuriating. This was a testament to his acumen. He had the uncanny ability to sense a business opportunity and act on it immediately. There was no room for resentment. One could not fault him for his skill. Who else could be blamed? He managed to deceive us and now seeks to exchange our furnace blueprints for scarce resources. Who possesses these scarce resources? He traded for plain water. It was a mutual agreement. Now that he has discovered its value, he blames others. Why didn't he act sooner? Yichuan declared, I don't care. Return our furnace blueprints. Regarding the grievances expressed, Yichuan chose to disregard them, gradually sifting through those seeking the furnace manufacturing blueprint. He exchanged valuable items directly, as he possessed several hundred copies. According to the rules of the ocean world, even with a population of 15 million, it was improbable for each individual to possess a single furnace manufacturing blueprint. In the face of such scarcity, it was only a matter of time before someone sought him out. Meanwhile, Wang Sanrui erupted into laughter, exclaiming in surprise at the unexpected turn of events. Indeed, aligning with that young man's operations would undoubtedly yield a modest profit. Consequently, Wang Sanrui promptly listed the furnace manufacturing blueprint for trade. Echoing Yichuan's message, furnace manufacturing blueprint, a rare item for trade, act swiftly to acquire. As the day waned and the sun dipped below the horizon, Yichuan prepared dinner. After serving a portion of blueberry jam, he set about boiling goat's milk. Many believed that goat's milk could be consumed directly after milking, but Yichuan understood the necessity of boiling it first. After boiling 5 pounds of goat's milk, he promptly traded 200 milliliters each to Lu Yi, blueberry jam, Lu Shuai, and Zhao Feiyu, while sending 500 milliliters to Lu Yawai. This generous act left Lu Yawai astonished, prompting her to send a private message. Brother, why did you give me so much goat's milk? It's far too precious. Yichuan replied, consider it a fee for your guidance in milking the goats. Drink it while it's warm. It will enhance your constitution and ward off various ailments. That makes it even more valuable. Lu Yawai excitedly responded, by the way, Hold on, I have something you might find useful. Chapter 59, Cold Front Detachment, Urgent Warning. A few minutes later, Lu Yewei placed a card in the trading window, causing Yi Chuan to pause in astonishment. A triple value card. Such an item existed? Even with the system's assistance, this was his first encounter with such a thing. He inquired of the system, "What is this?" The triple value card can only be used for specified items. For instance, if applied to a sea fish, it will transform into 3, the system replied. Understanding dawned upon Yi Chuan, and he quickly responded, "If you use this card on the 500 milliliters of goat's milk, it will yield 1,500 milliliters. There's no need for you to give it to me. I merely offered guidance on how to milk the goats. Accepting such a generous gift makes me uncomfortable." Lu Yewei insisted, "You should accept it without hesitation." Very well. With the matter firmly established, Yi Chuan accepted the card, awaiting an appropriate moment for its use. After concluding his conversation with Lu Yewei, Yi Chuan turned his attention to the private messages from Zhao Feiyu and the others, responding before finally addressing Lu Yi. After expressing his gratitude, Lu Yi remarked, "I forgot to mention, just now Yi Chuan returned my cotton clothing, stating that while wearing it, he discovered a supply crate. He fell and lost consciousness while salvaging it, only to awaken nearly a day and night later, to express his apologies. He also gifted me 2 bottles of mineral water and 3 sausages. Have you truly forgiven him?" Yi Chuan inquired, a twitch of his lips revealing his skepticism. "Indeed," Lu Yi replied, "I deemed it a trivial matter, and besides, I suffered no loss." He continued, "In fact, he is doing quite well now and has mentioned that he has even constructed a ship. He plans to seek me out after further development. Are you out of your mind?" Yi Chuan chuckled in disbelief. "The reason you still provided him with warm clothing is precisely because he presented you with the furnace manufacturing blueprint. His intentions are clearly to extract more from you. Why can't you see that? You possess many admirable qualities, yet you perceive the worst in others." Lu Yi laughed heartily. "Rest assured, I am well aware and will not be deceived again." "Suit yourself," Yi Chuan replied, then chose to disengage from the conversation. If she still chose to believe that scoundrel, so be it. Eventually, she would come to regret her decision. As night fell completely, Yi Chuan engaged in discussions with the island lords seeking furnace blueprints. After acquiring a portion of supplies, he retired to bed. The following morning, Yi Chuan awoke early, glancing at the time as the system's voice echoed in his mind. Detection indicates the host has yet to check in. "Would you like to sign in?" "Sign in," Yi Chuan declared while rising. "Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 evolution points, 50 charcoal, and a selection of 1 super thermal suit from 6 options." "Is this real? A super thermal suit?" Yi Chuan's expression shifted with excitement as he promptly selected it. Before him appeared an array of stylish garments, each with an ultra-thin thermal core, resembling summer and early autumn attire at first glance. He immediately chose a black outfit adorned with sleek lines and replaced his cotton clothing. To be honest, while the cotton jacket was warm, it was cumbersome and did not compare to the comfort of lighter clothing. "Ah, delightful." Yi Chuan stretched and beamed. Detection indicates that one of your subordinate island lords has severed ties with you, reducing your count of subordinate island lords from 3 to 2. Please recruit a new subordinate island lord promptly, or rewards previously issued will be revoked. Just as Yi Chuan was about to have breakfast, the system's voice interrupted him. He paused, having forgotten about the situation with Lung Feng, and was surprised to realize that, in this frigid weather, he had indeed lost control of 3 island lords. He was certainly a formidable character. Immediately, Yi Chuan dashed to the public chat room and posted a message: 1 furnace manufacturing blueprint, 1 set of cotton clothing, 2 sea fish, and 500 milliliters of fresh water available for recruiting 1 subordinate island lord. Perhaps it was early morning, but the chat was not overly active. It took a full 2 seconds for his message to be pushed out of view. Nevertheless, it sparked a lively exchange in the public chat room. "Did you see that? A prominent figure is offering such generous terms to recruit a subordinate island lord. Is he out of his mind? Surely, there must be conditions behind such an offer. It's best for ordinary folk not to indulge in such thoughts. I cannot allow this situation to persist. I must urgently inquire about my current predicament. With nothing to my name, the prospect of securing a wealthy benefactor could change my fortunes drastically. However, the opportunity is limited to a single individual. And what benefit would it bring us to pursue it? With so many vying for so few resources, it would be wiser to refrain. Yet how can one ascertain without an attempt?" This news has also caught the attention of Wang Sanrui. The party in question possesses such abundant resources, undoubtedly a formidable figure, now seeking to recruit subordinate island masters. Could it be that the next trend lies in subordinate island masters? Nevertheless, Wang Sanrui did not dwell on this matter. for he already commanded over 30 subordinate island masters. Even if such a trend were to emerge, he had already secured his advantage. In the blink of an eye, Yichuan's private messages were inundated, prompting him to instruct the system to commence a rapid screening process. Since the recruitment was for subordinate island masters, it was imperative to select only the finest. Yichuan had no intention of entertaining ordinary candidates. Yet, after swiftly filtering through over 200 applicants, he found not a single quality island master. To his surprise, he stumbled upon an individual bearing the same name as himself, who had sent numerous messages, seemingly determined to become his subordinate island master, claiming he would offer any valuable resources to him. Yichuan narrowed his eyes, suspecting this individual might be the one who had deceived Lu Yi. Just as he was about to inquire further, the system suddenly alerted him to the discovery of a quality island master. Yichuan's expression shifted, and he turned his attention to this promising candidate, Lu Yiwei. With curiosity, he asked, "Are you also considering becoming a subordinate island master? I sense a prosperous future in store for you." Lu Yiwei responded with an awkward emoji, confessing, "To be candid, my family is beset from all sides, and our domestic ventures are on the brink of collapse. We have also attracted the attention of a significant foreign power, and I am the sole hope for my family. Given my own abilities, I cannot secure high-quality resources. I cannot guarantee the salvation of my family from dire straits. Thus, I must seek external assistance." With this revelation, Yichuan understood. Lu Yiwei's status as a quality island master likely stemmed from her family's desperate gamble, investing everything in her by constructing a fleet. With this newfound perspective, Yichuan promptly agreed. "Very well, please transfer the super tablet to me." Chapter 60, Naming the Pet and Opening the Cold Storage. At that moment, Yichuan received Lu Yiwei's super tablet and immediately bound it to his own. "Congratulations, host, on acquiring your third subordinate island master. Please continue your efforts," the system announced as the binding was completed, bringing Yichuan a sense of relief. Setting aside other concerns, at least the reward was secured. After all, the rewards had already been utilized. Should they be revoked now, everything would revert to its previous state, which would be quite troublesome. Yichuan kept his word and provided Lu Yiwei with the promised items. Lu Yiwei, undeterred, sent a playful emoji, saying, "Since I am your subordinate, I shall not hold back. Hehe, your politeness is making me feel distant." Yichuan chuckled heartily. After resolving the matter, he finally felt at ease to enjoy his breakfast, drenching 2 eggs in egg water as he sipped, while replying to a message. "My friend, I do not accept just anyone. I have taken in a subordinate island lord. Although they will contribute 30%, what I receive in return will be far greater. Brother, I can gift you a woman." The response came swiftly. "A woman?" Yichuan narrowed his eyes. "I was once a student at Dongshan Ocean Survival University. I have already contacted our campus beauty, Lu Yi. I can present her to you." The reply was immediate. "I am familiar with that university, and I have crossed paths with Lu Yi. She is indeed quite beautiful, and I am intrigued." Yichuan replied, "But how can you be sure she will heed your command? Moreover, are you truly Yichuan? Would Yichuan engage in such antics?" Seeing the opportunity, the other party chuckled and replied, "I am certainly not Yichuan, but that fool believes I am. In a day or two, I will make her my subordinate island lord. Once that happens, if I tell her to go east, she must go east. If I tell her to go west, she must go west." Heh. Upon receiving this, Yichuan immediately inquired, "System, does this super tablet have a screenshot function?" "Yes." Hold down the page with one hand and swipe 3 times with the other to capture a screenshot, the system responded promptly. Yichuan quickly took a screenshot of the chat history and sent it to Lu Yi. However, Lu Yi did not reply. It was unclear whether she was overwhelmed by the truth or busy salvaging supply boxes. Yichuan then promptly blocked the imposter. On a small island of merely a few hundred square meters, a short man, pockmarked and only standing at 1.60 meters, was roasting a fire and waiting for Yichuan's response. After a few minutes of silence, he sent another message, only to see a red exclamation mark appear beside it. After a few moments of confusion, the short man realized he had been blocked and angrily exclaimed, "Bastard! I thought I had found a gullible fool, only to be blocked. Not even a stunning beauty is worth it." After venting his frustration, the short man sent another message to Louis. "Darling, are you awake? I have a sausage here. Shall I trade it with you?" Yet again, he was met with a red exclamation mark. What is going on? This time, the short man was genuinely disheartened. How could that wretched Louis block me? Did she not believe I was Yichuan without a doubt? Cursing under his breath, he lamented, "All these villains, they are all villains." Unbeknownst to him, Yichuan was out opening supply boxes. After 2 days of accumulation, With the assistance of 3 little companions, he had managed to gather 11 supply boxes, neatly stacked by the trio. This brought Yi Chuan great comfort. Previously, organizing supply boxes had been solely his task, but now, with the help of 3 little ones, he had liberated a portion of his labor. In this regard, Yi Chuan was quite content. The 3 little creatures had already learned to dive into the sea for fishing, boasting an impressive success rate. Remarkably, even without being fed, they did not suffer from hunger. Furthermore, they served as vigilant sentinels, promptly alerting him to any anomalies that might arise. Truly endearing. Upon calling out to the trio, the 3 little albatrosses soaring in the sky swiftly returned to Yi Chuan's side. Affectionately nuzzling against his thigh, he immediately rewarded them with generous handfuls of dried fish, his expression brightening as he cheerfully remarked, "You've been hatched for several days now, and I haven't yet named you. How about I bestow some names upon you?" The 3 companions, being S-grade pets, comprehended Yi Chuan's words instantly, nodding in understanding and chirping excitedly in response. After pondering for a few moments, Yi Chuan declared, "You shall be called Wealth, you shall be called Fortune, and you shall be called Luck." The trio seemed to revel in their names, chirping incessantly in delight. "All right, once you've finished your fish treats, go and play." Yi Chuan chuckled heartily, satisfied with his chosen names, and proceeded to open the supply crates. 3 pieces of charcoal, 2 wooden planks, and 1 instant noodle for wooden planks, 2 metal sheets, and 1 piece of charcoal. With 11 supply crates opened, he had indeed acquired a substantial haul. But what thrilled him most was a blueprint for a refrigeration unit, which intriguingly did not require electricity, relying instead on ice blocks to maintain a stable temperature of -10 degrees Celsius. The storage room's temperature was too high for the long-term preservation of fish and other perishables. The seafood still lingered in the system's inventory. The refrigeration unit blueprint would undoubtedly resolve this dilemma for Yi Chuan. He quickly examined the requirements for constructing the refrigeration unit. 1 refrigeration blueprint, 20 stones, 10 metal sheets, and 5 ice blocks. The ice blocks were consumables, with 5 allowing the refrigeration unit to operate for 7 days. However, after this period, an additional 5 blocks would be necessary. Although this posed a slight inconvenience, it was a worthwhile trade-off for the extended preservation of seafood and other items. Yet, he realized he had no ice blocks. Determined, Yi Chuan decided to inquire in the public chat room if anyone had ice blocks. Just then, he noticed Lu Yi had replied to his message. "Brother, I sincerely apologize for my foolishness, causing you such concern. I have already blocked that scammer. Now you realize your mistake?" Yi Chuan replied, somewhat exasperated. "I do understand now. I was too trusting of others, and in the vastness of this oceanic world, I was overwhelmed by the joy of meeting someone familiar," Lu Yi lamented, sending a sorrowful emoticon. "If it weren't for you, I might have been led astray." Yi Chuan reassured him. "Yes, I was deceived and wasted several hours, not to mention the heartache," Lu Yi replied. "Yet he also bestowed upon me certain items, perhaps with the intention of fishing for greater rewards in the long run. Furthermore, he provided a blueprint for the ice-making machine. I find it rather amusing that he merely handed me something of little value, and I foolishly placed my unconditional trust in him." Chapter 61. Constructing the refrigeration chamber and stir-frying tea. "Very well, please provide me with the blueprint for the ice-making machine," Yi Chuan decisively stated. "It may prove useful." "Certainly," Lu Yi exclaimed, promptly placing the blueprint in the trading area, while Yi Chuan placed a tent in exchange. Lu Yi's expression shifted, astonished as he inquired, "You actually possess a tent?" "I acquired it through trade a couple of days ago," Yi Chuan responded. "I held off on giving it to you for fear you might offer it to a scammer, but now I can confidently hand it over. At the very least, you can enjoy a good night's sleep." "Indeed," Lu Yi said with enthusiasm, "you are truly wonderful to me. It seems that in future matters, I must seek your counsel. You are far more capable than I. It's merely luck." Yi Chuan chuckled heartily, then turned his attention to the ice-making machine's construction, which required 1 blueprint, 30 metal sheets, and 6 pieces of glass. Without hesitation, Yi Chuan proceeded to manufacture the machine, subsequently attempting to create a block of ice. Each block required 10 liters of water, whether seawater or freshwater. He swiftly fetched a bucket of water and poured it into the machine, then began to vigorously turn the crank beside it, producing a deafening noise. This is a characteristic of the ice-making machine. Although it does not require electricity or oil, it necessitates manual cranking to generate power, enabling the manufacturing of ice blocks. After a full 5 minutes of labor, a block of ice was finally produced. Yi Chuan's expression brightened as he persevered, producing 5 blocks in quick succession. Fortunately, his physical condition had been significantly enhanced by the dual effects of the sea turtle's nourishment and A-grade beverages. Otherwise, The continuous cranking for over 20 minutes would have certainly exhausted him. With the ice blocks in hand, Yichuan promptly turned his attention to constructing the refrigeration chamber. In no time, a chamber of nearly 20 square meters was brought into existence. Upon entering to experience it, he found that even while clad in super warm clothing, he could still feel a hint of chill. He immediately retrieved all the seafood items from his system inventory. The inventory was nearly emptied, and he felt a great sense of relief within. After completing his tasks, Yichuan finally sat down for breakfast and took the opportunity to inspect various crops and resources. The bean sprouts had grown over 30 centimeters tall and had even begun to bloom. He estimated that in 2 to 3 days, they would bear beans. The corn had reached a height surpassing that of a person, with numerous small ears appearing. He was confident that soon he would be able to enjoy boiled edamame and corn. The pear tree, peach tree, apple tree, and chili plants had all grown considerably. Yet they would require additional time before flowering and bearing fruit. The only thing that left Yichuan astounded was the extraordinary tree species, which had grown to a remarkable height of 3 meters, standing tall and straight. The trunk remained bare for over 2 meters, with only a few leaves, roughly the size of a coin, adorning the very top. System, what type of tree is this? Why have I never encountered it before? Yichuan inquired, stroking his chin with a hint of skepticism. The system remained silent, offering no response. Yichuan had discerned a pattern. Whenever the system was unwilling to answer, it simply refrained from speaking entirely, exhibiting a rather distinctive personality. Eventually, Yichuan's gaze settled upon the ancient tea tree. This Longjing tree, after being transplanted, had not wilted. It continued to flourish vibrantly. With nothing pressing on his agenda, Yichuan picked up a wooden bucket and began to harvest the tender tea buds. Thanks to the tree's expansive canopy, after more than an hour, he had gathered nearly 5 pounds of tea buds. System, you must know how to roast tea, right? Yichuan asked once more. Roast it directly in a large pot, ensuring to stir continuously by hand to prevent the leaves from burning. Additionally, knead the leaves to help them curl better. This process takes at least an hour. Once they turn a brown hue, lay them out to dry for approximately 10 hours before they can be consumed, the system replied. Yichuan paused, taken aback. While it sounded simple, the execution appeared somewhat cumbersome. However, he recalled the ordeal of milking goats and thought he should have asked the system directly. Yet, had he done so, he might have missed the opportunity to encounter the splendid subsidiary island master, Liu Yewei. With a large pot and ample time at his disposal, he decided to get started. After more than an hour, as noon approached, he finally completed the roasting and laid the tea out on a stone slab to cool. Noticing that it was already midday, Yichuan promptly cooked several sea fish, distributing one to each of Liu Yi's 5 companions while keeping one for himself, along with a bowl of fish soup. As he ate, he glanced at the public chat room. Today, while scavenging materials, I stumbled upon a ship that was heading straight for me. Wow, someone has actually built a ship? Why are they coming your way? Surely they're not trying to seize resources? Everyone had come to this oceanic world to grow stronger quickly, to combat sea beasts and seek resources. Some resorted to such means for rapid advancement. After all, accumulation was never as swift as conquest. Fortunately, I managed to drive them away with my crossbow. That fellow even took an arrow to the arm. If not treated promptly, he would have been doomed. Impressive, big shot. You managed to craft a crossbow. What a valuable asset. Did you find it in a supply box? Let us remain cautious. If a powerful player is being invaded, it means we could also be at risk, especially at night. Stay alert. Reading these messages, Yichuan raised his eyebrows. It appeared that not only Li Bo and Lung Feng had ships, but many others had begun to construct vessels and were contemplating the notion of invading others. There are individuals who possess automated weapons such as crossbows, far superior to mere bows and arrows. It appears that I too must devise a means to acquire a more formidable weapon. Previously, I observed the shared experiences of seasoned island masters in the past 6 months. Everyone focused on their own development, with little inclination towards acts of aggression. Even the binding of subordinate island masters was a rare occurrence. Perhaps this marine survival experience is unlike any before, prompting a surge of restlessness among the populace. I can only hope these individuals do not provoke me as Li Bo did. Otherwise, there would be no return. With this thought in mind, Yichuan promptly listed the previously acquired herring can. Herring can for a powerful weapon. If interested, come forth. In an instant, the public chat room erupted. Wow, did you see? A big shot actually offered a herring can. A bizarre delicacy. Trading a weapon for a herring can? Only a fool would agree. How unpalatable it is. Perhaps some have a taste for it? We too must act swiftly to procure weapons to counter the invaders. Chapter 62. Crafting rotating crossbow arrows. Enjoying tea. As the fervor of the public chat room gradually subsided, numerous private messages flooded Yichuan's inbox, most inquiring how he acquired the herring can. After all, such dark culinary creations are hard for many to accept. Yichuan chose to disregard these inquiries until, over half an hour later, a message caught his attention. Big shot. I possess the blueprint for crafting rotating crossbow arrows. Would you exchange it for a herring can? Yichuan replied immediately. I desire the herring can, but I also seek a set of cotton clothing and 1 liter of boiled water. The other party responded, Isn't your request a bit excessive? Yichuan furrowed his brow. While these items were indeed trivial compared to the crossbow arrows, he had only mentioned exchanging for the herring can, and the request for 2 additional items made him reluctant. I lack food at present, only warmth, the other party replied. Consider it, if you wish to exchange. We can proceed, if not, it matters not. Ultimately, Yichuan acquiesced and successfully exchanged for the blueprint of the rotating crossbow arrows. This type of crossbow is somewhat akin to a Gatling gun, featuring a cylinder capable of housing 12 arrows. Upon pulling the trigger, the cylinder rotates, discharging the arrows sequentially within 3 seconds, with an effective range of approximately 120 to 130 meters. Moreover, with 3 levels of sights, its accuracy is quite remarkable. Indeed, trading these items for such a weapon was a profitable venture. Immediately, Yichuan crafted the rotating crossbow arrows and fashioned dozens of arrows from wooden strips and metal sheets. After inserting 12 arrows, he stored them all in the system's inventory. Compared to a warehouse, the primary advantage of the system's inventory lies in its portability. Whatever is needed can be retrieved instantly, saving considerable effort. The item inventory of the system has been nearly entirely cleared, and Yichuan intends to store only valuable items in the future to avoid chaotic situations. After completing his tasks, Yichuan stepped out of the room, promptly harvested the miraculous pasture, placed it into the feed trough, added some water, and began to milk the sheep. He temporarily stored the sheep's milk in the refrigerator before rushing off to gather tea leaves. In the morning, he picked the tender tea buds, planning to consume them internally, and then gather some leaves to roast and prepare into a large bowl of tea to barter for supplies and some scarce items. Although he had been in the ocean world for 3 weeks, the most pressing needs for everyone remained water and food, especially water. Now, not only was there water, but it was also tea, which he believed would attract many eager buyers. After processing the tea leaves as he did in the morning, Yichuan laid them out on stones to dry, feeling a slight sense of relief as he gazed at the setting sun. He couldn't help but reflect on how, without realizing it, he had been busy all day. Indeed, time seemed to fly when one was preoccupied. Yichuan then steamed 2 large crabs, distributed some to the 5 others, and prepared a dipping sauce with lao gan ma, before indulging in a hearty feast. After satisfying his hunger, he retired to bed early and checked the public chat room. Today, I unlocked the blueprint for crafting a wooden boat and made one right away. I plan to temporarily leave the island and try my luck at sea. You truly are a big shot, thinking of venturing out to sea. What if you encounter a desperate school of sharks? They might capsize your small boat and devour you whole. I only operate within a 30 nautical mile radius of the island, which increases my chances of finding supply boxes. Once I unlock the blueprints for a medium or even large sailboat, I will completely leave the island in search of resources. That is a feasible plan, but it's likely to take at least 3 months to craft a medium sailboat. As he read the messages, fatigue overcame Yichuan, and he unknowingly drifted into slumber, only to awaken the next morning after a solid 9 hours of sleep. Detected that the host has not yet checked in. Would you like to check in? A few minutes later, after washing up, the system's voice arrived as expected. Check in. Yichuan replied without hesitation. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host, you have received 1,000 evolution points, a complete set of purple clay teapots, 500 milliliters, and a feather fragment. Note: 3 feather fragments can be exchanged for 1 angel feather, which may lead to unexpected events. What a stroke of luck. Just yesterday, he had finished roasting the tea leaves, and today he had received a complete set of purple clay teapots. This meant he could enjoy leisurely tea in the future. Moreover, he had also obtained a feather fragment. With 3 fragments, he could exchange them for an angel feather. Yichuan immediately proceeded with the exchange and activated it, eagerly awaiting the arrival of good fortune. Rushing outside, I gathered 2 eggs and prepared a delightful meal of fried eggs. After savoring the dish, I ventured to inspect the tea leaves I had pan-fried. They had curled up and dried, weighing approximately a pound. I promptly stored them in the system's inventory, then hurried to boil some water. I placed the Longjing tea into a purple clay pot and began the brewing process. In an instant, a refreshing and robust aroma wafted throughout the room. Taking a small sip, I found it both fragrant and sweet, far surpassing any tea I had previously tasted. Indeed, in this oceanic realm, everything seems extraordinarily delicious, amplifying their original flavors by at least threefold. Perhaps this is a testament to the environment and the little nutrient solution at play. After enjoying a cup, I filled the remaining 5 teacups and offered them to Lu Yi and the others. Please, enjoy a cup of Longjing tea. Heavens, you even have tea leaves? Lu Yue exclaimed in astonishment. Luck, I obtained a plant during a trade and roasted it myself. I replied with a smile. Not only is it delectable, but it also possesses antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties. Truly a rare gem. Incredible. Lu Yue's expression was one of sheer amazement, devoid of any other emotion. After a while of sipping, I decided to brew a large pot of tea using the broadleaf variety. Once prepared, I listed it. Longjing tea 100 milliliters wooden board 10. Longjing tea 100 milliliters metal sheet 10. Longjing tea 300 milliliters rare item. The listing of tea in the oceanic world was akin to a bombshell, sending the island lords in the public chat room into a frenzy. A big shot has actually listed tea, and it's Longjing tea. How on earth did this individual manage that? I suspect this big shot has some inside connections to transport items from the outside. Otherwise, how could they possibly have tea? Comparing myself to others is disheartening. I can't even drink water, and here they are enjoying tea. Words fail me, TMD. In this freezing weather, I'm on my knees begging the big shot to take me on as a subordinate island lord. Chapter 63. The battle with the giant octopus. Observing the flurry of messages, I chose to remain silent, turning back to brew another large pot of tea. After listing it, I noticed several messages had come through. Lu Shu continued with his flattery. Brother, you are truly remarkable, my idol. You even have Longjing tea. My admiration for you flows like an unending river. I disregarded Lu Shu's praise and glanced at the messages from the others, mostly expressions of gratitude. Though blueberry jam was particularly verbose, even hinting at self-sacrifice, I merely smiled faintly, choosing not to engage further, and departed the room. At that moment, 3 little creatures were soaring high, emitting sharp sounds. It was then I noticed, over 30 meters away, a supply box. The little ones were intent on retrieving it. Suddenly, Yi Chuan observed a remarkable sight. Fish, approximately 30 centimeters in length, leaping from the sea and soaring through the air for hundreds of meters before gracefully returning to the water. Were they flying fish? Among them, 2 agile little creatures had already captured a flying fish and were swiftly returning, while another little one, having just landed a few meters from a supply box, was startled as a colossal tentacle emerged from the depths, striking fiercely at it. This little creature, classified as an S-class pet, moved with lightning speed, evading the tentacle's assault by deftly flapping its wings, then ascended into the sky before executing a dive back toward the ocean's surface. With a resounding splash, the tentacle lunged again, but the little one, akin to a tactician, skillfully dodged and grasped the supply box with its claws, soaring into the heavens. What on earth was that? Each one furrowed his brow. The tentacle appeared to be at least 10 meters long, dark red in color, clearly aimed at the little creatures, perhaps accustomed to hunting, yet today it had failed twice. Several tentacles emerged from the water, thrashing at the flying fish as if in a fit of frustration. An octopus. In that moment, the term flashed through Yi Chuan's mind. However, this octopus was extraordinarily massive, each tentacle stretching 10 meters, making it difficult to fathom the size of its true form. As he pondered, the island suddenly experienced a slight tremor, causing Yi Chuan's expression to shift. His first thought was that the octopus had taken the initiative. After all, even during the tsunami, the sea turtles remained remarkably stable. Such movement was impossible unless under extraordinary circumstances. Yi Chuan immediately plunged into the water, gazing ahead, and indeed, he spotted a large octopus engaged in battle with a sea turtle, its 8 tentacles simultaneously assaulting the creature. Despite the turtle possessing an air cannon and rapid healing abilities, it appeared somewhat overwhelmed. Yi Chuan couldn't help but gasp in astonishment. This was the largest octopus he had ever encountered, its enormous eyes clearly visible even from 100 meters away. Yuduan, attack! Yi Chuan called out as he raced back to the island, directing his shout toward the dolphin while retrieving his rotating crossbow. Recalling the earlier position, he aimed at a specific point and pulled the trigger, unleashing 12 crossbow bolts in a flurry. Though the colossal octopus possessed immense strength, it struggled against such a large sea turtle. At that moment, the 12 bolts penetrated its body, causing it to thrash in agony. Just as it intended to charge toward the shore, the dolphin collided fiercely from the side. The force of 600 pounds concentrated at its head, sending the giant octopus reeling. Instantly, the tentacles released their grip on the sea turtle, The turtle opened its mouth wide, unleashing another air cannon that slammed into the spot where the dolphin had struck, compounding the pain. The massive octopus writhed in torment within the water, its tentacles flailing wildly. Yet in an instant, it charged once more toward the sea turtle, unrelenting in its speed, as if intent on toppling the turtle. Upon receiving the command from Yechuan, the dolphin had placed the colossal octopus on its blacklist. After executing a swift rotation, it charged once more towards the gigantic creature. Yechuan, observing from the shore, closely monitored the octopus's movements. At this moment, his crossbow was prepared, with an unused rope securely fastened to a nearby evolved tree and the other end tied around his waist. Without hesitation, he leaped into the sea, just in time to witness the dolphin collide forcefully with the colossal octopus, sending it tumbling several times. The octopus, now aware of Yechuan's presence, rushed towards him at an alarming speed. Yechuan scoffed quietly, unleashing a barrage of crossbow bolts in rapid succession within 3 seconds. This time, submerged in water with unobstructed vision, all 12 bolts were aimed directly at the octopus's mouth and eyes. Having experienced a setback previously, the octopus attempted to evade, but the bolts, traveling swiftly through the water, found their mark despite its considerable size. They penetrated its body entirely, and the dolphin charged in again, striking the same spot. Goodness! Yechuan couldn't help but exclaim. Even underwater, the dolphin, usually quite astute, not only collided with the octopus but inadvertently propelled it toward Yechuan. Despite the octopus's pain, its animosity towards Yechuan prompted it to lash out with a powerful tentacle. With a sharp intake of breath, Yechuan summoned his machete, meeting the enormous appendage with a decisive strike. In an instant, the tentacle was severed, blue blood gushing forth, igniting the octopus's fury and signaling its intent to retaliate against Yechuan. Gripping the rope tightly, Yechuan swiftly turned to make his escape towards the shore. However, he was a fraction too slow. A tentacle ensnared his legs, and just as he took a deep breath, he was yanked back into the depths. His expression changed dramatically as he felt the constriction tighten, realizing that his improved physique was the only thing keeping him from being crushed. No, I cannot perish before achieving greatness or honoring my family's legacy. With this thought, Yechuan's eyes widened as he struck downwards with his machete, cleaving the massive tentacle in half. The octopus, in agony, finally released its grip. Yet now, Yechuan found himself perilously close to the octopus's mouth, able to see its lengthy tongue and the myriad of jagged beak plates within. Desperate, Yechuan gritted his teeth, firmly gripping his machete as he charged towards the octopus's maw, summoning every ounce of strength for one final blow. In a dramatic climax, he carved a wound over 30 centimeters deep between the creature's eyes. Just as he feared he would plummet into the gaping mouth of the colossal octopus, his body abruptly halted. Yechuan's expression shifted. The rope tied around his waist had reached its limit, saving his life in the nick of time. Subsequently, a tremendous force yanked him backwards. It was a dolphin that had seized the rope. Just as the remaining 6 tentacles of the colossal octopus were about to strike Yechuan with great ferocity, he finally escaped the grasp of the creature, bursting forth from the depths of the ocean and being propelled onto the shore by the dolphin. Exhaling deeply, Yechuan could not help but gasp for breath, having held his breath underwater for nearly 3 minutes, reaching the brink of his limits. Had he delayed even a moment longer, he would have succumbed to suffocation, even if the giant octopus had not claimed his life. What a close call. With a sigh of relief, Yechuan promptly began reassembling his crossbow. Below, the colossal octopus, realizing it could not gain the upper hand, resolved to retreat. However, the dolphin had already positioned itself behind the giant creature, and with unwavering determination, it charged towards the very spot where the octopus had been struck. The octopus's visage turned pale. As a deep-sea creature, it was experiencing the surface for the first time and found itself unable to return. With a thunderous crash, the air cannon fired by the turtle, having been held in reserve for so long, struck the giant octopus squarely at the site of its injury. Unable to withstand the onslaught any longer, the octopus gradually sank towards the ocean floor. The dolphin swiftly maneuvered beneath the octopus, laboriously dragging it towards the shore. The 3 little ones, sensing the unusual situation, dove into the water to assist the dolphin in its endeavor. Yet, as they neared the coastline, they still found it impossible to haul the creature ashore. Yechuan, taken aback, leapt into the water, grasping one of the tentacles. With the combined efforts of the dolphin and the 3 small creatures, they finally succeeded in dragging the colossal octopus onto the beach. At last, Yechuan could fully relax, returning to drink a large cup of grate of fresh water to recuperate. He hung his clothes by a nearby fire, temporarily donned a cotton jacket, and returned to inspect the colossal octopus, which was now significantly larger than the previous whale he had encountered, particularly its lengthy tentacles, each presumably weighing 100 pounds or more. Would this not lead to fortune? Yi Chuan murmured to himself, without hesitation. He began to slice the giant octopus into thousands of pieces, each weighing 500 grams, and promptly listed them for sale. Like tea, it could be exchanged for various resources, and possessing rare items could yield even greater returns. The public chatroom erupted in excitement. What on earth? Someone is actually selling octopus meat in the trading interface, and it appears there are thousands of portions. How immense must that octopus have been? I saw it too. I suspect it must be a giant octopus. How curious that it should be captured by that esteemed individual and sold in slices. I am not particularly interested in that. My mind is solely consumed with thoughts of grilled squid. It has been over a month since I last savored grilled squid, and I believe that must be a delectable treat. Alas, I find myself troubled by the scarcity of water and sustenance, while some individuals have already indulged in tea, and others have feasted upon octopus. Why must I languish in such misfortune? At this moment, Zhao Feiyu sent a private message to Yi Chuan. Did you see? Someone actually took down a colossal octopus and is selling it. Yi Chuan smirked slightly and replied, that was me. The octopus troubled me, and I accidentally ended up killing it. What? Zhao Feiyu responded with a barrage of astonished emojis. The deep-sea giant octopus, long regarded as a terrifying sea creature, is a formidable being. It is said that even a medium-sized sailing vessel would be at risk of being pulled into the depths if it were to encounter one. How did this fellow manage to vanquish such a beast and drag it ashore? After all, it weighs several thousand pounds. Quite accustomed to it, Yi Chuan replied. I've dealt with sharks and orcas before. Now, the giant octopus seems almost trivial. Impressive. Zhao Feiyu appeared somewhat disheartened, responding merely with those two words and then falling silent. Even previous batches of island lords had never encountered such a feat. The notion that a human could single-handedly challenge an orca or a giant octopus was beyond Zhao Feiyu's imagination. Brother, I have something you would definitely find intriguing. At that moment, Yi Chuan noticed another private message, this time from Wang Sanrui. Come take a look, Yi Chuan promptly replied. However, I wish to know how you procured your tea leaves and how you managed to acquire that giant octopus, Wang Sanrui responded. Presently, Wang Sanrui lacked for nothing. He merely sought steady development. He believed himself to be among the elite of the millions of novice island lords until he discovered that the individual selling tea and octopus was the same person. His composure began to falter. None of this concerns you. Yi Chuan replied without hesitation. I possess an island area expansion card that can enlarge my territory by 500 square meters. Wang Sanrui immediately replied. You have such a valuable item. Are you perhaps seeking to exchange it for those two pieces of information? Yi Chuan replied, I know who you are. Yet I cannot shake the feeling that you wouldn't be so generous. My island spans over 2,000 square meters. I am not in a hurry to expand. Wang Sanrui responded. However, I am particularly interested in those two items you possess. Very well, let us trade, and I shall divulge. Yi Chuan replied without hesitation. The two engaged in a transaction, and Yi Chuan promptly responded. As for the tea leaves, there is an ancient tea tree on my island. I merely needed to create a recipe for an iron pot to process the leaves. As for the octopus, it was already deceased, having been dragged ashore by a dolphin. Humans can be remarkably fortunate at times. I see. Wang Sanrui sent an okay emoji, but then pounded his fist on the nearby table in frustration. He had hoped to glean some useful information, only to find that it was all a matter of sheer luck. After a moment of contemplation, Wang Sanrui inquired once more. Do you harbor any interest in becoming my subordinate island master? I can provide you with a plethora of resources you could scarcely imagine. Yi Chuan merely cast a glance at the message, dismissing it outright. Only a fool would become your subordinate island master. Congratulations, host. You have achieved your first kill of a B-level marine creature, and you are awarded a lucky gift pack. Would you like to open it? Just as Yi Chuan was about to step outside for some fresh air, the mechanical voice of the system abruptly resonated. Chapter 65. Constructing a wind turbine. Watching television? B-level marine creature. Yi Chuan's expression shifted. Upon reflection, he recalled that the massive whale shark he had previously attacked was classified as a B-level marine creature. While formidable, it was indeed less challenging and perilous than this giant octopus. By that reckoning, the octopus rightly deserved its B-level classification. However, Yi Chuan was astounded to learn that there existed a B-level category. It likely did not qualify as a level and could only be regarded as the pinnacle of B-level creatures. Open it, he exclaimed with a smile. Opening successful. Congratulations, host. You have obtained 200 kilograms of fertile black soil, 5 medium nutrient solutions, 1 wind turbine manufacturing blueprint. one evolution value gift pack, and one seawater component separator blueprint. Compared to the previous lucky gift pack, this one appeared to be considerably more abundant, with the small nutrient solutions upgraded to medium ones and the inclusion of a wind turbine manufacturing blueprint. It was crucial to note that Yi Chuan's modest apartment was desperately in need of electricity and gas, with electricity being far more precious. Now, not only would he no longer be engulfed by darkness at night, but he could also watch television. Goodness, he could watch television. Without delay, Yi Chuan examined the requirements for constructing the wind turbine. 1 wind turbine blueprint, 300 metal sheets, 30 plastics, and 10 stones. Having all the necessary materials on hand, Yi Chuan did not hesitate and promptly made his way to the shore to commence manufacturing. Before long, a wind turbine towering approximately 20 meters, with blades nearly 10 meters in length, materialized before him, complete with an automatic connection device. Yi Chuan swiftly expended 50 plastics and 30 metal sheets to connect all of his household appliances to the automatic connection device. As he observed the wind turbine begin to rotate slowly once everything was in place, Yi Chuan could not help but chuckle with delight. He dashed back to his room, turned on the energy-saving lights in the living room, and, to his joy, they illuminated brilliantly. What an exhilarating experience. Yi Chuan snapped his fingers and promptly seated himself on the sofa, switching on the television. To watch television amidst the vast expanse of the ocean was an unparalleled joy. While others struggled even to procure a meal, he was already engrossed in a show. How infuriating that must be for the other island masters. Suddenly, with a crackling sound, the television flickered to life only to extinguish immediately, along with the energy-saving lights. After a few moments, the lights began to flicker erratically. Unstable voltage? Soon, Yi Chuan discerned the dilemma. Everything stemmed from the feeble wind turbine, which, after a full rotation, barely generated a fraction of power, coupled with the energy consumed during transmission. It was no longer feasible to even watch television, let alone keep energy-efficient bulbs illuminated for any length of time. It appeared that he had indulged in overly optimistic thoughts. Closing the light, Yi Chuan exited the room, gazing at the slowly rotating wind turbine, and couldn't help but murmur to himself with a bittersweet smile. If only there were a battery to store the electricity generated by the wind turbine, this predicament would be resolved. For now, he decided to wait until a battery was available, temporarily setting aside the wind turbine's affairs. He turned his attention to the seawater component separator. After some time had passed, the 2 pounds of salt he had procured previously were nearly depleted, and Yi Chuan had been troubled over this issue for the past couple of days. To his surprise, the device had produced more. Without hesitation, he opted to manufacture. The current seawater desalination apparatus featured a slender tube that expelled salt, magnesium, and other substances back into the ocean. Yi Chuan promptly connected the seawater component separator to this tube and adjusted it to the sea salt setting, subsequently attaching the outlet to a plastic bottle. This arrangement would ensure that sea salt would continuously accumulate in the mineral water bottle, allowing him to collect a bottle of sea salt in approximately 4 to 5 days. This would not only meet his own needs, but also enable him to exchange any surplus sea salt for other resources, inadvertently opening yet another avenue for income. How delightful. Having completed these tasks, Yi Chuan noted that it was already noon. He promptly retrieved several octopus slices and began preparing grilled octopus. Soon, a tantalizing aroma enveloped the entire island, drawing the attention of 3 little creatures who had been examining the wind turbine, scurrying over to Yi Chuan and chirping incessantly. "Don't rush, I'll share some with you shortly," Yi Chuan replied with a smile, swiftly grilling a few slices and tossing one to each of the little ones before savoring a piece himself. Truly, as an A-grade marine creature. The meat was firm and exceptionally delicious, far surpassing the grilled octopus found at roadside stalls. As the saying goes, sharing joy is better than solitary delight. Yi Chuan continued grilling 5 more slices to share with Lu Yi and the others, saying, "Here, try this. While it may not be an authentic teppanyaki, I believe my culinary skills are quite commendable. Brother, what you've made is beyond commendable. You're a culinary genius reborn." Blueberry Jam sent a flurry of thumbs-up emojis, exclaiming, "I'm nearly in awe of you. You shall be my idol for life, hee hee." With such playful banter, it was best to finish the teppanyaki before it cooled and lost its appeal. Yi Chuan rolled his eyes. "I'm off to prepare some goat milk. I'll bring you a cup shortly." "Thank you, big brother." Blueberry Jam replied in an instant. The others expressed their gratitude as well. Yi Chuan contentedly enjoyed his grilled octopus before heading to boil fresh goat milk. Upon returning, he checked the public chat room. The temperature seems to have stabilized between 0 and -1 degree. I wonder if it will drop further. And the shark's school has vanished. Has anyone else noticed? However, I believe we should not let our guard down. The presence of such a colossal octopus suggests that formidable marine creatures are actively roaming the surface of the sea. Be cautious while you sleep. One must be wary of being dragged into the depths by a sea python or similar beast. Goodness, my friend, must you speak in such a terrifying manner? I can't help but conjure such horrifying images in my mind, envisioning being swallowed whole by a sea python and then slowly digested. What is wrong with you? It is already disturbing enough to entertain such ghastly thoughts, and yet you dare to voice them. Truly repugnant. I am free to imagine what I wish. Your concerns are unwarranted. Be careful lest you find yourself devoured by a sea python tonight. It seems there is no useful information to be gleaned, and thus Yichuan chose not to pursue it further. He distributed 500 milliliters of freshly boiled goat's milk to each of the 5 individuals, urging them to drink it while it was still warm. My dear brother, since becoming your subordinate island lord, I have not only failed to provide you with sufficient offerings, but have instead been indulging in your hospitality. Lu Shuai, surprisingly, felt a twinge of embarrassment. Rest assured, once the 6-month novice period concludes, I shall ensure my family provides you with ample support, even if you do not offer me anything. I am entitled to a share of your resources. Yichuan sent a laughing emoji, suggesting that Lu Shuai's display of loyalty was somewhat premature. Lu Shuai smirked, a hint of awkwardness creeping in. Yet Zhao Feiyu, without hesitation, placed an item into the trading column, leaving Yichuan momentarily astonished. Chapter 66, Leveling Up Again. Lu Shuai's gratitude. To Yichuan's surprise, Zhao Feiyu presented him with an island area expansion card. Yichuan inquired, "Are you aware of the significance of this card? It can expand the island's area by approximately 500 square meters, and you intend to give it to me? I have been the recipient of your kindness. It seems you could benefit from it more than I." Zhao Feiyu replied, "This is a reward from opening a resource box. I am certain more will emerge in the future, and for now, I find it unnecessary. I believe you should utilize it. I possess another one that remains unused." Yichuan continued to decline, adding, "To be honest, the area expansion possesses evolutionary potential, perhaps allowing for the emergence of wildlife. With your skills, you could easily engage in hunting, lest your abilities become rusted over time." "Very well, I shall use it for the time being. But when I procure another one next time, you must not refuse." "Of course," Yichuan replied with an affirmative emoji, concluding his conversation with Zhao Feiyu. He then consumed the 500 milliliters of goat's milk and exited the room. Upon opening the evolution value gift bag, he acquired 1,000 evolution points. And with the points accumulated from recent sign-ins, he found himself with a total of 13,000 evolution points. Yichuan contemplated for a moment and allocated the 3,500 evolution points to the dolphin. Instantly, the dolphin's body began to expand slowly. Yichuan couldn't help but glance at the dolphin's information panel. Name, Dolphin Friendliness, 100 level, 7 evolution points, 4,000 skills, Sonic Disruption, Beginner, Absolute Impact, Beginner, Talent, Deep Dive, 800 meters. Note, Absolute Impact allows the dolphin to attack with its head, with a collision strength equivalent to 900 pounds. As before, both the Deep Dive and Absolute Impact attributes had been enhanced. However, these 2 enhancements alone were sufficient. After all, the greater the depth of the dolphin's dive, the higher the likelihood of discovering resources. Previously, a force of 600 pounds could affect a giant octopus. Now, with 900 pounds, a few collisions might send it fleeing. Upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. Your contracted beast has reached level 7 and has obtained an upgrade gift pack. Would you like to open it? While pondering, the system's voice echoed. "Open." Yichuan responded. "Opening upgrade gift pack. Please wait." Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 growth points, 10 white steamed buns, 4 grade A citrus fruits, and 1 island area expansion card. Wonderful. I've also obtained an island area expansion card. Yichuan's expression brightened as he took the expansion card in hand to admire it. Currently, he possessed 1 card, which could expand the island's area by 500 square meters. However, given the vastness of his island, and the possibility of leveling up the turtle again, his excitement for the card was somewhat muted. Next, Yichuan calculated that if he were to level up all 3 creatures simultaneously, he wouldn't have enough points left to upgrade the turtle. Previously, he prioritized the little ones. But this time, he decided to give the opportunity to the turtle first. Therefore, he allocated 7,000 evolution points to the turtle, which caused its size to gradually increase. Yichuan immediately checked the turtle's information panel. Island Master. Yichuan type. Turtle level, 7,8,000. Skill, Water Bomb. Intermediate, Talent. Longevity. Rapid healing. The transition from level 6 to level 7 resulted solely in an increase in size, with no other changes. The water bomb skill remained at an intermediate level. Yichuan speculated that perhaps a qualitative change in skills and talents would only occur once the turtle reached level 10. Temporarily dismissing these thoughts, Yichuan suddenly recalled a question and inquired, "System, if I use the island area expansion card, warning, host, please use the island area expansion card with caution, as it may result in unknown changes to the island." Before Yichuan could finish his question, the system interrupted him with an urgent warning. This caught Yichuan off guard. He had just entertained the thought, and the system issued a warning. This was the first time since binding the system that such a precaution had been taken. It seemed that the island area expansion card would not be usable after all. Considering that the situation on Lu Yi's side regarding the island expansion remains unclear, and given the ineffectiveness of blueberry jam, it appears that only Lu Shuai is suitable for this task. Thus, the island area expansion card was promptly handed to Lu Shuai. Lu Shuai, perplexed, inquired, "Brother, what is this?" "It is used to expand the island area by 500 square meters, replied Yichuan. Wow. Lu Shuai was immediately taken aback, responding, "Brother, you truly are my own brother. This is akin to gifting me 500 square meters of island space. How should I express my gratitude? With my life? Are you out of your mind? You're a man, and you want to offer your life?" Yichuan replied, speechless. Right. I was too excited and forgot my own gender." Lu Shuai exclaimed, slapping his forehead. "With you safeguarding me, my future will undoubtedly be smooth sailing. Rest assured. After the 6-month novice period, I will not let you down. Let's do this. Be cautious. After you use it, tomorrow the new island area may feature forests or hills. And there might even be wild animals," Yichuan advised. "Before using the island area expansion card, it's best to equip yourself with a weapon. You wouldn't want to encounter a venomous snake and end up retreating prematurely." Oh, understood," Lu Shuai replied, somewhat dazed. After briefing Lu Shuai, Yichuan proceeded to spread the previously prepared fertile black soil, applying the fragrant grass seed. He glanced at the seed sown earlier, now approximately 20 centimeters tall. Not bad, Yichuan mused, planning to harvest once they reached 30 centimeters. This grass, much like the miraculous pasture seed, would cause goats to produce milk abundantly. Observing that the project was near completion, Yichuan returned to his room, intending to rest for a moment while casting a glance at the public chat room. "I must tell you all, you probably won't believe it. But today while I was salvaging a supply box, I was unable to pull it up. Guess what I discovered? A massive octopus was gripping the supply box, attempting to drag me into the water." "What? Previously, a big shot took down a giant octopus, and now there's another? We are in the novice area. What is going on? From now on, let us be more rational and avoid recklessly entering the water, or we might not even know how we met our end. Yet, some supply boxes can only be retrieved by diving." Yichuan frowned, suddenly recalling Zhao Feiyu, who often dove to salvage supply boxes. If he were to encounter a sea-level or B-level marine creature, it could be quite perilous. Yichuan shook his head slightly and promptly initiated a trade with Zhao Feiyu, offering his previous bow and the wooden boat manufacturing blueprint. Chapter 67. Forests and Hills. Zhao Feiyu responded with a shocked expression. "Why did you give me both the boat and the weapon? What will you do?" After checking the public chat room, it became evident that I was not the only one who faced an attack from a giant octopus. It suddenly dawned on me that your frequent swimming to salvage supply boxes is quite dangerous. Yichuan replied, "Therefore, I will provide you with a blueprint for a wooden boat. You can construct it yourself. Typically, you can place your bow and arrows on the boat, ensuring that you possess some fighting capability in times of danger." "What will you do?" Zhao Feiyu responded. "I have no need for a wooden boat, and I also possess a medium-sized sailboat that has yet to be utilized," Yichuan boasted. "As for weapons, I have a rotating crossbow, which is far more convenient than drawing a bow." "You possess such advanced weaponry?" Zhao Feiyu inquired in astonishment. "So feel free to use it." Yichuan replied with a hearty laugh, before exiting the room and making his way to the flower bed. The chili plants had already grown over 30 centimeters tall, soon to blossom. Yichuan promptly took out a bottle of nutrient solution and poured it over the chilies. The nutrient solution, plant growth rate increased by 100, lasting for 72 hours. This nutrient solution is twice as efficient as the small nutrient solution, meaning 1 day of growth equals 2 days. And combined with the unique environment of the oceanic world, it is estimated that in 3 days, they will be ripe. After all, there is only one meal left of the beloved Laogan Ma, and having grown accustomed to a spicy diet, suddenly cutting off the spice would likely render all food tasteless. Having completed these tasks, Yichuan finally let out a long sigh, gazing at the slowly descending red sun, and succumbed to the tranquility of the moment on a beach chair, reflecting, "Nothing is more beautiful than the crimson sunset." The following morning, Yichuan awoke naturally. seemingly oblivious to the system's reminder for check-in. Nonetheless, as he stepped out of his room, he called out, "Check-in." After a moment's thought, he added, "Open the gift package. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host, you have received 1,000 growth points, 5 charcoal, 5 glass, 2 citrus fruits." Opening. Congratulations, host. You have received 2,000 growth points for A-grade citrus fruits, 5 small nutrient solutions, and 1 bicycle blueprint. A bicycle blueprint? Yichuan was taken aback, sensing that the island was expanding and the system intended for him to ride a bicycle to patrol the island in the future. Pondering this, Yichuan finally noticed ahead. The small grove that had once appeared had transformed into a forest of approximately 2,000 square meters, occupying one side of the island. Towering trees over 20 meters high, capable of being embraced by 2 individuals, stood within, alongside low shrubs and patches of grass covering the soil. In summary, the scale of this forest was quite substantial, even doubling the area of some island owners' territories. Beyond the circular grassy area behind Yichuan's apartment, the former dozen stones had now morphed into a mound over 30 meters long and 5 to 6 meters high. While it could only be considered a nascent hill, Yichuan had reason to believe that with a few more upgrades, this small hill would certainly grow at least 5-fold. Goodness, the changes are remarkably significant. Yichuan inhaled deeply, unable to suppress a quiet murmur. Yichuan suddenly felt a stirring in his heart and immediately rushed towards a specific location. Upon realizing the deliberate intervention in evolution, he had previously excavated a channel, hoping that it might one day evolve into a freshwater river. Given the qualitative changes in the forest and hills, it was only natural to assume that this small river would follow suit. Now, Yichuan found himself at the side of a studio apartment, yet he was disheartened to discover that the artificial channel had shown no signs of change. Perhaps time was still insufficient, he reassured himself. At that moment, an unfamiliar sound caught Yichuan's attention. He turned towards the woods, where the noise seemed to emanate from within. Animals had begun to appear there. His expression shifted, and he cautiously stepped forward while drawing his crossbow, taking care to bring along his 3 companions, Wang Kai and the others, just in case any danger arose. After all, they could provide support if needed. On the ground, small ants and earthworms had begun to appear. Furthermore, there were faint rustling sounds coming from some bushes, the source of which remained unclear, causing Yichuan to feel increasingly anxious. If it were merely rabbits, that would be one thing, but if it turned out to be wild boars or wolves, even with his crossbow, he could very well find himself at a disadvantage. As he pondered these thoughts, a sudden loud noise erupted, as if something was shooting into the sky. In an instinctive reaction, Yichuan swiftly raised his crossbow and pulled the trigger. In the blink of an eye, 12 bolts were released simultaneously, the sound echoing for several seconds. After a brief interval, a wild chicken fell to the ground, struck by one of the arrows, lifeless upon impact. To his surprise, there existed such game as wild chickens. Yichuan's spirits lifted, and he hurried over to retrieve the bird. Excellent, he thought, at last. He would enjoy an improved meal for lunch. It had been far too long since he had savored a proper feast of meat. Just the thought brought him joy. He exited the woods, swiftly processed the wild chicken, then immersed it in fresh water, preparing for a barbecue later that day. After breakfast, Yichuan reflected on the 3,000 evolution points he had gained that day, bringing his total to precisely 7,500 points, enough to elevate all 3 of his companions to level 5 simultaneously. Without delay, Yichuan upgraded the 3 albatrosses. In an instant, their bodies expanded by half, taking on a surprisingly charming appearance. Their information panel also updated. Name, albatross level, 5, growth stage, evolution points, 30,000 skills, diving talents, capable of lifting objects weighing up to 50 kilograms, talents, diving, fish catching, flying, long distance travel. After reaching level 5, the weight they could grasp increased by 20 kilograms, and they gained an additional talent. This sparked an idea in Yichuan's mind. If he were to discover Lu Yi and her companion's coordinates, could he not send an albatross to protect them? Disregarding the thoughts that linger, the more one contemplates, the more plausible it seems. However, at present, everyone remains uncertain of their position, and this matter can only be addressed in the future. Albatross upgrade completed. Congratulations to the host's pet for ascending to level 5, receiving an upgrade package. Would you like to open it? Open all. Yichuan promptly replied. Opening upgrade package. Please wait. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1,000 growth points, 5 glass, 3 charcoal, and 2 bottles of Erguo 2 at 42 degrees. Erguo 2. Yichuan's expression shifted. Chapter 68. The system's ironclad terms. The prospect of receiving alcoholic beverages was utterly unexpected for Yichuan. Although he was merely 21 years of age, he had already accumulated 2 years of drinking experience, particularly favoring Erguo for its affordability and delightful taste. Coincidentally, the prize he received was indeed Erguo, which meant he could savor it properly at noon. How exhilarating! Chirp, chirp, chirp. After ascending to level 5, the wings of the 3 little creatures unfurled to over a meter in length. After a brief run-up, they soared skyward, then executed a dive, engaging in free fall. Just as they were about to touch the ocean's surface, they spun gracefully and shot back up into the sky, reveling in their freedom and carefreeness. With a smile, Yichuan watched as he harvested the miraculous grass and tossed it into the feed trough for the sheep. He then conjured a bicycle, though it had rubber tires. It was impervious to nails and stones. Riding it was exhilarating, and a lap around the 7,000 square meter island took only a few minutes, allowing Yichuan to experience the thrill of high-speed cycling. Noticing the time was right, Yichuan began roasting a wild chicken while tossing a few dried fish to the tired little creatures. When he deemed the moment suitable, he messaged Zhao Feiyu, "Do you drink?" "I am in the military. I generally do not consume alcohol," Zhao Feiyu replied. "What about outside of principles?" Yichuan inquired again. "I love to drink," Zhao Feiyu responded. "Excellent." Yichuan then posed the same question to Lu Shuai, receiving a similar reply, who even retorted, "Big brother, tell me, can one truly be a man without drinking?" In that instant, Yichuan promptly distributed half a kilogram of alcohol and a pound of wild chicken to each of them, causing them to leap with excitement. Zhao Feiyu was particularly ecstatic. "Brother, I am at a loss for words. You managed to procure alcohol and are willing to share it with me. This is a treasure at sea. Even the finest things lose their charm when enjoyed alone," Yichuan replied, "though we may not be together. Being able to drink simultaneously is indeed a delightful affair." "Well said, I toast to you," Zhao Feiyu immediately responded. "Brother, you are my true brother. I can hardly believe my eyes at this bounty of food and drink," Lu Shuai said, nearly brought to tears. Just as he was about to share heartfelt words, Yichuan interrupted. "Could you refrain from repeating those sentiments every day? I'm starting to find it tedious." Just a moment of reflection. Lu Shuai chuckled. "Hasn't the area of your island also expanded? In a few days, you might be able to explore it. Perhaps there will be delightful surprises." After Yichuan spoke, he left behind a chicken leg, sharing another with Lu Yi, while blueberry jam and Lu Yue were equally treated. The reactions from the 3 women seemed even more pronounced than those of the 2 men, particularly from blueberry jam, whose excitement could have been heard in a voice chat, likely resulting in ecstatic shrieks. After exchanging a few words with the 3 women, Yichuan made his way to a beach chair outside, sipping on a drink while gazing at the distant scenery. What a refreshing experience it was. Several hundred nautical miles away, a small boat approached a tiny island. The man aboard was dark and thin, almost emaciated, yet his eyes sparkled with intensity and a hint of murderous intent that sent shivers down the spine. Upon catching sight of the island, his expression shifted dramatically. Jumping up in disbelief at the sight of the ravaged land, he let out a furious roar. "Yichuan, I will kill you. I will kill you." This man was none other than Lung Feng, who had been absent for quite some time. In a bid to escape Yichuan's control, Lung Feng had spent nearly 2 weeks adrift, ultimately binding with 3 subordinate island lords, successfully shedding his previous identity. This achievement filled him with exhilaration. Although he could have chosen to reside on one of the subordinate island lords' islands, he preferred solitude, especially since those 3 were faring worse than he was. Yet now, not only had his home been reduced to ashes, but even his corn and beans had been completely looted, plunging him from a lofty paradise into the depths of despair. Without a doubt, he knew that Yichuan was behind this. It was evident that upon realizing Lung Feng had successfully severed ties with him, Yichuan had sent his sea turtle here for revenge. At that moment, Lung Feng silently vowed to find Yichuan and make him understand the cost of opposing him. Suddenly, a voice from the system interrupted Yichuan's thoughts. "Hidden mission detected. Will the host accept?" Startled, Yichuan opened his eyes to find that dusk had fallen. After a long hiatus from drinking, and having indulged in half a gin of liquor on the sea, he felt his head grow heavy and promptly fell asleep, unaware that he would slumber for over 5 hours. Had it not been for the system's voice waking him, he likely would have slept through much of the night. "What hidden mission?" Yichuan murmured, gently tapping his head before inquiring. It seemed that the last hidden mission had involved locating a mining resource, which he had discovered ahead of time, resulting in a generous reward. He wondered if the system had taken his suggestion to heart and was now notifying him upon discovering a hidden mission. Hidden mission. The host must bind with 2 additional subordinate island lords within 1 week and commit to binding only these 5 island lords throughout the ocean survival journey. A substantial reward will be granted upon completion. Will you accept? Yechuan was left momentarily bewildered upon hearing this. The system has a peculiar plan in place. If unchecked, one could bind themselves to hundreds or even thousands of subordinate island masters. Yet, this hidden task surprisingly limits the binding to merely 5. Is it truly a matter of quality over quantity? Puzzled, Yechuan inquired, what exactly is the nature of this task? Am I permitted to refuse? Indeed. The system promptly responded. However, be advised that hidden tasks will only refresh upon the completion of the current one. Should you choose to decline, you shall remain indefinitely bound to this task, with no new ones emerging. This is an outrageous clause. Yechuan exclaimed, filled with indignation. There was no need for further contemplation. The system was resolutely intent on compelling him to fulfill this task. The host may choose to accept or decline. Just as Yechuan simmered with frustration over the matter, the system interjected once more. To think not only was such a bizarre task presented, but I am also being coerced into making an immediate decision? Yechuan was taken aback, left utterly speechless. Chapter 69. The Trading Thermostat. Is it about to snow? Initially, Yechuan contemplated abandoning the task, but then reconsidered. To forego this hidden task would be an egregious loss. Moreover, acquiring hundreds or thousands of ordinary island masters pales in comparison to securing a single exceptional one. Presently, he already possessed 3 high-quality island masters, and by enlisting just 2 more, he could amass a force equivalent to an army. From the system's perspective, high-quality island masters are capable of forming fleets, suggesting that they hail from powerful families. Hence, there must be more than one such island master. Surely, many seasoned island masters lay in the background. Consequently, although he was to bind only 5 high-quality island masters, the true extent of the power behind them remained uncertain. Except for blueberry jam, of course. With this in mind, Yechuan promptly declared, I accept. Detected that the host has accepted the hidden task. Please complete it as soon as possible. The system responded immediately. Note, Zhao Feiyu is a high-quality island master. Completion is imperative, of course. Yechuan retorted irritably. However, he did not concede that he was being manipulated by the system. He merely viewed it as a means to maximize his benefits in pursuit of forthcoming hidden tasks. As for the system-recommended Zhao Feiyu, Yechuan had no intention of inquiring further. Considering the individual was affiliated with the state, all future actions would not reflect upon him. Thus it was prudent to avoid any entanglements. After a leisurely stretch, Yechuan proceeded to prepare a meal, once again featuring teppanyaki, but this time supplemented with steamed buns. Serving each of the 5 a portion of teppanyaki octopus along with a bun. Today, we have steamed buns. Let us see how they taste. Brother, in this vast oceanic realm, I can't shake the feeling of riding on the coattails of the wealthy. I fear I might become quite plump. Lu Yi sent a shy emoji, expressing, to encounter you has truly exhausted my lifetime of good fortune. Your words sound remarkably akin to a confession. Yechuan replied with a playful emoticon. Is that so? Lu Yi, located over 1,000 miles away, felt her cheeks flush crimson and quickly responded. Isn't this merely a jest among friends? Ha ha. Yechuan sent a series of laughter emojis, saying, all right then, eat quickly. This food will taste dreadful if it gets cold. He then replied to a few others before simultaneously dining and perusing the public chatroom. Have you all noticed that the temperature seems to have dropped by at least 2 degrees these past couple of days? Apart from our winter attire, I believe we should consider acquiring a tent or some form of shelter. I have a tent, but as for a house, only the elite possess the means to procure one. We shouldn't overthink it. Another chimed in. I just hope our crops don't perish. The temperature is exceedingly low. No one can say for certain. It seems to be yet another trial from the oceanic realm. As for how low the temperature may eventually drop, that remains uncertain. Damn it, wouldn't it be better if we just perished outright? Someone lamented. I possess the blueprint for a thermostat. Would anyone be interested? Yechuan furrowed his brow, realizing he had indeed overlooked the temperature drop. Upon seeing the mention of the thermostat blueprint, he immediately initiated a private chat. Friend, I am quite intrigued by your thermostat blueprint. What would you like in exchange? Winter attire, food, water. Came the swift reply. After several seconds, Yechuan responded. How about I offer you a set of winter clothing, 5 kilograms of octopus, and 1 liter of freshwater in exchange? Sounds good. The other party replied just as quickly. Yechuan promptly placed his worn winter clothing, along with the octopus meat and freshwater, into the trading section and completed the transaction. He then examined the construction of the thermostat, which required 1 thermostat blueprint, 30 metal sheets, 20 glass pieces, and 10 plastic units. To Yechuan's astonishment, the thermostat did not require electricity. It was a spring-operated device that could generate heat for 10 hours with every 1,000 turns. maintaining a temperature of around 1 degree over an area of 100 square meters. To prevent the temperature from dropping further that night, Yichuan wasted no time and immediately began winding the device. Fortunately, the resistance was not particularly great. With his enhanced physique, he found winding it almost as effortless as relieving himself. In just over half an hour, he had turned it 1,000 times. As darkness enveloped the surroundings, he finally placed it among a few flower beds, and the temperature began to gradually rise. Yichuan looked up at the distant horizon, narrowing his eyes in surprise. Tonight, there were no stars visible. However, he did not dwell on this phenomenon, recognizing that clear skies could not persist indefinitely. After a brief inspection of his surroundings, he returned to rest. Detected that the host has not yet checked in. Would you like to check in? In a state of drowsiness, Yichuan heard the system's prompt, opened his sleepy eyes, and promptly declared, "Check in. Successful check-in. Congratulations, host. You have received 1,000 evolution points, the greenhouse manufacturing blueprint 1, and 1 feather fragment. Note: 3 feather fragments can be exchanged for 1 angel feather, which will lead to unexpected occurrences upon use. System, are you truly certain that using the angel feather will indeed result in unforeseen events?" Yichuan yawned, strolling outside while voicing his thoughts. "I've utilized it numerous times, yet luck has seldom graced me. It feels quite akin to a chicken rib, more of a hindrance than a help." As expected, the system crashed once more. Yichuan rolled his eyes in exasperation, then dashed to the chicken coop to retrieve 2 eggs. He poured boiling water over them and continued to drink the egg water, carrying it over to the super tablet to peruse the chat records. Has anyone noticed how the sky was overcast last night, and it seems even gloomier today? Does this imply impending rain? Are you out of your mind? The temperature has plummeted to -4 or 5 degrees. If anything, it would snow, not rain. Given our current circumstances, even with a stove and warm clothing, if it snows, our situation will become extremely dire. Let's hope the clouds clear soon. Sigh. I better hastily construct a tent with branches or something. I do not wish to be drenched by snow. Yichuan furrowed his brow, having also noticed the ominous clouds above. Contemplating the forthcoming situation, he pushed aside his concerns, quickly downed the egg water, and rushed outside, glancing up once more before shaking the thermostat. Half an hour later, he began to study the greenhouse manufacturing blueprint, which detailed a plastic greenhouse capable of covering 100 square meters. However, he needed to protect at least 3 flower beds, and it seemed challenging to accomplish that. Chapter 70, Greenhouse for Winter Protection. Snow has indeed arrived. System, is there a way to simultaneously protect all 3 flower beds? Yichuan inquired of the system. It appeared that the unique tree species could not be safeguarded with a greenhouse, leaving only the other 3 flower beds to be protected. The system promptly responded. The greenhouse can be divided into 3 or 4 sections. Would the host like to partition the greenhouse? Very well. Let us divide it into 3 sections during the construction to protect these 3 flower beds. Yichuan decisively commanded, immediately commencing the creation of the greenhouse, enveloping all 3 flower beds. Delight surged through him as he beheld the 3 greenhouses, each spanning over 30 square meters, with the periphery and roof sealed tightly, featuring a single entrance for watering. Yichuan stepped into one of the greenhouses to gauge the conditions. Despite its recent construction, the temperature inside was gradually rising. According to the system's description, each greenhouse could elevate and maintain a temperature of around 15 degrees Celsius, which was quite sufficient for crops. However, the coconut tree had already reached over 50 centimeters in height, and Yichuan had yet to devise a plan for its future growth. Considering that the greenhouse's height was only about 5 meters, while the coconut tree could potentially grow to at least 15 meters. Thus, the thermostat's utility here diminished considerably, prompting Yichuan to relocate it to the enchanted pasture. While other matters were of little consequence, the miraculous grass required constant growth. Otherwise, if the sustenance for the 2 goats were to be interrupted, it would spell disaster. After harvesting the newly sprouted grass and tossing it into the goat pen, he added some fresh water and divided several sea fish into the chicken coop. With a long sigh of relief, Yichuan turned to the trio. Observing the 13 or 14 supply crates salvaged by the dolphin and the sea turtle, and began to open them. Cotton 3, charcoal 4, mineral water 1, charcoal 2, glass 2, instant noodles 1. Upon unearthing all 14 crates, apart from resources, food, and water, Yichuan was astonished to discover a card inscribed with 3 words, Beast Card. This revelation left him somewhat perplexed. Could this card summon an animal of some kind? If it were to conjure chickens, ducks, or kittens, that would be acceptable. But what if it summoned a brown bear or an elephant? Wouldn't that spell his doom? Nevertheless, Yichuan reasoned that the oceanic realm could not be so capricious as to allow novice island lords to summon ferocious beasts. Steeling himself. With one hand poised to draw his crossbow, he chose to utilize the beast card. In an instant, a soft luminescence flickered, accompanied by a flurry of flapping sounds, as a vibrantly feathered rooster manifested before him, igniting a wave of exhilaration within Yichuan. With 2 hens already in his possession, the arrival of a rooster signified the potential for fertilized eggs, which meant he could hatch chicks, thereby ensuring a continuous supply of chicken meat and eggs. Truly, this was a stroke of fortune. Yet, it appeared that in over 3 weeks, no one had unearthed a card of this nature. Could it be that only when supply crates amassed to a certain extent would such precious items be revealed? The more Yichuan pondered, the more he believed this to be the case. It seemed that other island lords would require additional time to unearth similar treasures. Upon placing the rooster in the henhouse, it strutted around like a sovereign, while the 2 hens observed, displaying no sense of territorial infringement, even following the rooster closely. This instinctual dominance offered Yichuan reassurance. He had feared that introducing a new member would incite chaos, yet the outcome was unexpectedly harmonious. Having completed these tasks, Yichuan finally returned indoors, quenching his thirst before perusing the messages in the public chat room. The weather had indeed turned colder, and last night, even wrapped in a cotton coat, I nearly succumbed to frostbite. I cannot fathom what the heavens intend. If they wish to extinguish us, there is no need to wield such a blunt instrument. I find myself at a loss for words, and I suspect the temperature will continue to plummet. By then, the strawberries I planted may perish before they even bear fruit. To my astonishment, you still possess strawberries, a delightful surprise indeed. Meanwhile, I find myself struggling to secure even a meal. How did you come by such precious fruit? Might I request a single strawberry plant from you? In the future, whenever we meet, I could cultivate strawberries from it. What do you say? But of course, one must also partake in my bananas. Observing the somewhat off-topic conversation, Yichuan shook his head lightly and promptly posted a message, seeking subordinate island masters. Complimentary offerings include 1 liter of plain water and 10 kilograms of giant octopus meat, with further benefits to follow. As with the previous occasion, numerous island masters quickly reached out to Yichuan in private messages. Yichuan then enlisted the system to assist in filtering the responses, resulting in over 100 candidates. Yet none of them were of high quality. Indeed, exceptional island masters are a rarity that cannot be sought after. Have you all noticed? It is snowing, and the flakes are quite large. I have observed it as well. The sea is utterly calm, and the clouds overhead are thick. With this snowfall, it seems unlikely to cease anytime soon, and our situation may become increasingly dire. Let us hope it only lightly dusts the ground before coming to an end. Otherwise, not only will movement be hindered, but we may find it impossible to salvage any resource crates, leaving us with little choice but to await our demise. This is a veritable hellish ordeal of survival at sea. This new novice phase hardly feels like a beginner's experience. The oceanic realm appears intent on our destruction. Such malevolence. What has gone awry? While the snow remains light, we must hasten to salvage the resource crates. If the snowfall intensifies, all tasks will become arduous. In the public chat room, the topic of the snow arose, prompting Yichuan to rush from his room. Indeed, he beheld flurries of snowflakes cascading from the heavens, transforming the distant landscape into a vast expanse of white. This snowfall is likely to be significant, Yichuan murmured, surveying his surroundings. Aside from placing a few wooden boards atop the nests of 3 little creatures, he had intervened little else. Brushing off the thin layer of snow from his clothes, he swiftly returned to his room. At that moment, Louis sent a message. It's snowing here too. The public chat room is buzzing about the snowfall. Has it reached you? I suspect the entire novice area is blanketed in snow, Yichuan responded. You have a tent, so you should be fine. At least you won't get soaked. Yet, one cannot predict the duration of this snowfall. It feels as though our oceanic survival challenge is not only fraught with uncertainty, but also growing increasingly difficult. Louis replied with a wry smile. Fear not. With me here, we shall prevail. Yichuan reassured her. I believe in you. Louis promptly responded with a flurry of thumbs-up emojis. By the way, I ventured into the 500 square meter forest this morning. Guess what I discovered? Chapter 71, Distributing Tents, Gaining Snow Melting Agents. What did you find? Yichuan inquired, surprised. In his eyes, while Louis may not compare to the likes of Blueberry Jam, she was merely an average island master. Yet, her audacity to enter the forest had earned her Yichuan's respect. Louis did not reply directly. Instead, she placed several mushrooms into the trading column, over 30 in total. Mushrooms? Yichuan's expression shifted, intrigued. Upon entering the woods, I encountered small creatures such as wild rabbits. However, despite possessing a bow and arrow, I was unable to capture them. Nevertheless, I managed to pierce a snake with an arrow and later discovered a cluster of mushrooms behind a rather robust tree. Lu Yi responded, expressing uncertainty regarding the edibility of these mushrooms. Yichuan, too, felt a twinge of doubt and inquired with the system. The system promptly replied, lychee mushrooms, revered as the king of fungi in Lingnan, require no seasoning. Only oil and salt are needed to savor a bowl of the most exquisite mushroom soup of your life. Yichuan was somewhat familiar with this type of mushroom. In the year 2333, wild specimens were nearly extinct. Even cultivated varieties had escalated to over 1,000 yuan per pound, rendering them inaccessible to the average person. Naturally, Yichuan belonged to that unfortunate category. This mushroom, known as lychee fungus, is a delicacy among delicacies. He immediately gathered them, planning to prepare a pot of soup that evening, allowing us to experience both flavor and warmth amid the snow. I didn't expect you to know this, Lu Yi exclaimed, her expression one of astonishment. Only a little. Just a bit. Yichuan grinned, sending a toothy smile emoji. I'm drenched. At that moment, Blueberry Jam sent a message, realizing